Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Donington Park. Yes, it's the Caterham Racing Festival, and it's a weekend where, guess what, champions are going to be crowned. Sam, how exciting is that? Now, I'm covering the Caterham graduates, and things get a little bit tasty in the 135s. Paul Goldstein, he just needs 2 points to win the title there. In fact, he's going to be a busy man indeed, isn't he? Overall, Jamie Elwood, of course, has picked up 10 titles now. He's already champion in the 150s. But Sam, we're here with the academies. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen this weekend, and what are we looking out for?
Well, we have 2 championships already decided, which is the 270s. We've got Ben Timmons, he is the champion. He was at Brands Hatch. He got that.
Might be up in the comments box today as well, I think.
I've heard a little rumour that he might be, yes. But we've got Academy White Group here with us. They have Paul Oglesby as their champion for this group as well. But all the other groups still to be decided, so that will be decided this weekend.
More importantly, you are out today as well, aren't you? And your race has been a change actually to the timetable, hasn't it? So the 7 race comes after your Academy Green race now, doesn't it? So slight change to the timetable. If you're wondering why we're a little bit later than the timetable as well, the Super Pole went straight out after lunch, so they're currently out on track at the minute. But you are going to go catch up with some of the Academy drivers, aren't you, Sam? So go have fun, enjoy it. It's going to be a cracker, isn't it? I'll let you go catch up. So in fact, let me just hand the baton over to you.
Thank you very much. Right, now the one thing, because it's their final championship round, now there is the Autumn Trophy race tomorrow. Not everybody's partaking in that. There are 36 entries for it. That's a mixture of green group and white group. So, but this is their last of the championship rounds. So they qualified this morning. It was wet conditions this morning for them, wet for Academy Green as well, but it's dry on track now. So it's all to play for. Paul Oglesby, second place, he's qualified, but he has already won the championship. But Nick Sampson, first pole, so he is delighted. I had a little chat with him earlier. Scott Helm, now he's in third because Cal Short is serving a 10-place grid penalty. So Cal actually did qualify third, but everyone gets to move up a place. So we're going to have a quick chat with a few of them before they get called out. And one thing, because we're at this point of the season, I want to ask what their highlights are, because, you know, it's been their first season in racing. So we're here with Rich Haig. Rich, I just want to ask, what's been your highlight this year?
Starting in 6th today is probably a pretty good highlight. I think it's my best group position so far, so see how much of it I can hold on to during the race, I think.
Yeah, you can do it. We've been out in testing together, haven't we? We've had a lot of fun. You've really got a good pace here.
Yeah, it's been great fun. As we've been going through the year, we've been driving closer and closer, and out on the test days having a load of fun just sparring with people. So yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. Sad it's all over. The last race already, can't believe it.
I know. It's come around really quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, super quick. It was only like April yesterday, and now we're at the end of the season. Amazing.
And you've learned a lot, right, this year?
Oh yeah, loads about driving, loads about the car. So I built mine. I've had to rebuild it, unfortunately. But yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. A wonderful experience. Can't wait for next year already.
Yeah, me too. I'll second that. Well, have a great race. Wish you all the best. Enjoy. Yeah, it's lovely. They really do. You know, you learn so much in this first year. Right, that's the whistle. So I won't speak to any of them now because I don't want to disrupt their focus. We'll move over to the side quickly while they can move on to the grid. So we'll head over to David and Cheesy in the comms box to run through the grid.
Thank you, Sam. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to get our first race of the weekend underway for the Caterham Racing Festival to wrap up the Caterham Motorsport Ladder Championships for this season for 2024. And we've also got what is the Caterham Graduate Racing Club Sigma 150s and Sigma 135s over the course of this weekend as well. It is a weekend of kit racing action. And as we get ready for the grid for our Caterham Academy White, of course, all your race commentary will be brought to you on circuit side by myself, Paul Walsh, and also in the commentary with Chris Hutchinson. But here is the grid for our first race of the day, and as we can see, pole position going to Nick Sampson, who is joined on the front row by champion Paul Oglesby, who here today has no pressure on him. We've then got Scott Helm being joined by Craig Evans on row number 2, Luciano Caruso and Richard Hay on row number 3, Charles Harris and William Harris on row number 4. The 2 Harris family members, they're lined up together, which is great to see, and William Coop and David Hall complete complete your top 10. And keep in mind, of course, that Nick Sampson, who starts on pole, has not won a race this season. In fact, he's not picked up a podium either, so this is a great opportunity for him to do so. Alistair Morton starts Fester SP11, head of Ivan Searle. Carl Short, with the grid penalty, starts P13 rather than P3. Greg van der Gas lines up alongside on the 7th row. Eduardo Pontes starts P15 ahead of James Platt. Then we have Chris Buck and Benoit Khan on row at number 9, and your top 20 is completed by Charles Chapman and Zana Al Jalili. That is going to be your top 20, and I do believe we have a couple more drivers to go on the grid, and there we go. Row number 11 will go to Oliver Plunkett and Stephen Harris, who starts P22, and last but not least, P23, Gary Fry. And goodness me, Chris, what a grid, but a grid that is completely mixed up as well, given the fact that this morning we had inclement weather conditions. It's sunny right now, but I mean, I don't think our viewers would believe us if we told you that it was almost flooded this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's had all sorts of weather already. Yeah, thank you, everyone, and welcome along to the stream. More Caterhams than you can shake a stick at this weekend. All 5 steps of the Caterham Motorsport ladder, plus the graduates with us as well. Here you can see the first grid then of the racing action. This is the Caterham Academy white group. 2 Academy grids, completely independent of one another, score points on them. And as we've heard, the man on your right of your screen in the green car is already the champion-elect this season. So as long as he doesn't get any penalty points, we're all good. Scott Helm has also lined up on 4th on our grid, and he is already taken the 2nd place. But it is still all up for grabs for the 3rd place, and that's between Carl Short, Caruso and Harris. So we'll keep an eye out for those throughout the course of this race and see where that goes and ends out. But they will get their green flag lap done then. Like you say, in these conditions, you can still see some damp patches out on the circuit, but actually the racing line's nice and dry, and it won't be causing them any hassles as they go through. But a great sight as they weave towards us on their green flag lap.
Oh, 100%. And keeping eyes out for a number of drives. Of course, we do have our pole sitter of Nick Sampson, who will be going all in for victory today. But also keep your eyes out for what is our P12 starter of Alistair Morton. Now, I had the chance to catch up with him in the build-up to today, and he was saying to me that because he's in the thick of the fight for P6 through to P10 in the championship, he's going to try and give it everything he can in order to finish as high as possible. And he feels as though with the changing conditions, much like at Cadwell Park earlier this season where he scored some of his best results, he's expecting it to be a game of avoiding pushing too hard in the early stages and build up the pace. I mean, Chris, with your experience of the Caterhams, going from the wet conditions to the dry and a circuit that is still relatively damp or greasy, we could say, that's something for our drivers to consider as well, particularly on the tyres they're running on these Caterham Academy cars. They're intentionally not made to have that much grip. The idea is it's all about learning car control and learning how to carry momentum through apexes and then add the conditions in, and well, it's an absolute dynamite combination.
Yeah, given that they're all brand new, well, novice drivers at the beginning of the season, they've got some races under their belt now. This is their final official championship race. They've got their autumn trophy tomorrow. But yes, they would have squirrely conditions this morning, really damp and sort of wet. So the track will also be green, as we call it. So it's been washed off overnight with all that heavy overnight rain. And so regardless of there is a completely dry line, they will still find the grip levels quite different, and the balance of the car may therefore be slightly adjusted as they're heading out. So it'll be a bit of an adventure. And because we had wet this morning, there's going to be drivers that are kind of outside their normal position, as we've already accounted to. Nick, a fantastic pole position. He comes in here 11th in the championship, so what a great thing to score a pole position. Can he convert that, or will the dry conditions now, which a lot of them were testing in on Friday, mean that we're going to see some overtakes and positional changes? I think that's guaranteed in Caterham action anyway. If you're new to Caterham action, then stand by and watch for incoming. There's all sorts of action, especially around here at the Donington National Circuit, 2 miles around here. And yeah, absolutely fantastic track to drive around in these cars. Many drivers' favourites as they're pulling up then onto the grid for their one and only 20-minute actual championship race. But they do have that race tomorrow we call the Autumn Trophy. But we'll talk about that when that happens. Let's get this one out of the way and see who's going to come third in this Academy white group.
Oh, and as they all pull up on to the starting grid, last couple of cars getting in position, and remembering, of course, that we do still have plenty to play for, particularly P2 in the championship between Scott Helm and Carl Short. But keep in mind, of course, that for Short, with the penalty applied as of his qualifying session, he's got a long way to come through the field. But as everybody gets in place, we are just now waiting for the lights and also the thumbs up for everything to go racing for the first race of the weekend. 18 races this weekend, and everything looks a-okay down there. So without further ado, the engines begin to roar, the roar of those 1.6 litre Ford Duratec engines, and in fact we do have the red lights on there in the top right corner of your screen, but those are going out, and without further ado, it is lights out and away we go for the first race of the weekend. A good start there from Simpson, but as they make the way down, charging through the middle there is going to be our 4th place starter. A lovely start there from the number 42 as they make the way into turn 1, but Paul Oglesby hangs it around the outside there, has confidence in the grip, and as they roll away through, oh goodness me, many cars going wide, one going around, but they part the seas, and I believe that's number 32 pointing in the wrong direction as they make the way down to the crane of curves, Chris. It's been dramatic at the start, and I think there's going to be a bit more into the old hairpin.
Yeah, Richard Haig also into the gravel there. We spoke to him on the grid, so not the great start he wanted. Oglesby hanging around the outside then of the old hairpin as they come down the hill for the first time through this famous bit of track down the crane of curves. Oglesby didn't initially get a good start, but he then managed to take around the outside of Redgate. Oglesby then moves up into that position. Sampson down to the second. He's still looking around the outside. Then it's Scott Helm. It's just dropped now down to that 4th place again where he started. So all change at the front, and hopefully everyone's still facing the right direction after those spins out of turn 1.
Oh, indeed. Fingers crossed that everyone now is to point it in the right direction and carry on. Of course, very tricky conditions, and with our drivers being novices on the Caterham Motorsport ladder, it does mean they're learning as they go, but the best way to learn, of course, is through experience typically as they make the way on down now into the S's for the first time, and as they do, Oglesby already starting to pull away, but the battle for P2 raging on come the end of this first lap, swapping places then, keeping in mind, of course, that a lot of momentum-based racing in the slipstream very powerful as well, so you're going to see these back and forth exchanges of position, as Chris was educating me in earlier today. It's all going to come down to either breaking away or being in the right place at the right time, but meanwhile in the centre rear of your picture you'll notice almost 3 wide there on the brake, and as they come into turn number 1 into Redgate they go, and that's the number 36 there of Buck gaining 2 places in an absolutely brilliant move as they now come on down, and it's a bit of a bold move from Buck there, Chris, but to be fair it might pay off.
It's definitely going to pay off. Yeah, he was down the inside and actually compromised the drivers on his outside, so great move by Buck there to move his car up into, I think that was about 5th place by the time he went round the turn 1. Oglesby does lead and he's got a little bit of a gap. Caruso up into that 2nd. He's the guy fighting out between Cal Short and Richard Harris for that 3rd place in the championship, so he's doing what he needs to do at this point. Sampson just slipping to that 3rd place, then Harris follows on behind, so Harris making good progress. There is Buck absolutely sideways as he follows on behind and chasing the drivers in front. He's going to look at another position, so he is the man with the speed in the early part of this race.
Oh, and as he makes his way up the inside there, coming on through the right-hander, lovely move, albeit a bit of a run wide there from what other drivers. Sampson going wide, and Sampson falling down the order, and well, he started this lap in P3, but by the end of it, he's going to be looking to be outside of the top 5 as they head down into the S's once again, and onto the brakes, and you can start to see how this fighting is enabling drivers now to start to break away in the field, and well, those who are fighting intensely, they're going to be pushed back into the chasing pack as they exit what is the last corner, onto another lap they go, and will almost be running away. Go on, Chris.
Buck made up 5 places on that lap. We saw him take the 2 in the first corner, and he's overtaken someone at every single corner since. He is now in 2nd place. He's overtaken over the top of Caruso, who's now down in 3rd. Harris chasing him. They need to work hard together to make sure they don't lose touch, and Sampson, big loser in that one, losing 2 places. Hall also making good progress through, up into 6th place as they went over the line that time.
Oh, indeed, and places to be made or lost as our drivers make the way towards the end of the first quarter of this race. And you can see there a number of drivers still just trying to get themselves in the right racing line and really find that momentum, and I can imagine they're still trying to get some temperature in those tyres as they roar their way down through the old hairpin. And well, that old hairpin, very easy to carry too much speed into there and subsequently find yourself heading onto the gravel or the grass on the exit. But meanwhile, as we look back towards the front of the field, well, we're looking to the battle here for what is from P6 through to P10, and getting absolutely stuck in a good number of our drivers there, and well, the number 42 of what is Helm falling back into this battle and finds himself between a rock and a hard place right now as he makes his way on through turn number 8 and down at the final back straight they go. But you can see Oglesby at the front of the picture trying to break the toe as Buck, well, he's not holding anything back today. It's almost as if Buck wants to go for the victory, and well, based on my notes, Chris, I don't think Buck's had a win this season, and he's not in fact had a podium. He's had 1 top 5.
He's got outside the right side of bed this morning, didn't he? And he's absolutely up to speed straight away, got all his tyres singing in the pointing forwards. He is going to come under pressure here from Harris or Caruso as he comes up, and Harris not too far behind, so Caruso looking down the inside then. He does look like he's going to take that place back. Oglesby, the man in control at the moment. And then Sampson losing another place there to Hall, I think, as the recovery drive-through. We're going 4 wide into Redgate already. Remember, these are academy drivers, our least experienced of the drivers out there on all these grids that we're going to watch today, but it's fantastic action already.
Oh, it's fantastic indeed. And the thing for Caruso, of course, battling for P4 in the championship versus William Harris. So an important set of places to be gained, some big points still to be scored. And of course, we'll say provisionally with regards to where people finish in the championship, given the fact there's drop scores to be accounted for, plus also any post-race penalties. But meanwhile, staying in the here and now, in the present, we can do the points later. Whereas the drivers make the way up the hill and in towards McLean's. Lovely to see there. Many are too wide, potentially encroaching. But we're continuing to focus on the battle between the number 42 of what is none other than Helm, and also there the 86 of is in 10th place, and that is the car of Evans. So they're fighting over P10 as it stands, but as they make their way on to the back straight, well, there you can see the battle for P2 on our screens now, and when it's too wide as they make their way into the braking zone. Oh goodness me, and well, that's going to be number 14 Harris getting ahead, and it's another place to be gained, and all out of sorts there is what is our drive now falls to P3, and that's BARC, and BARC's under a lot of pressure, Chris.
Yeah, suddenly all this change. We've got a collision though, looking like that's into Redgate. A bit of a car side-on action. So the 92 there, Vandergast, having a collision. So looks just Dramash is checking on the drivers, check they're okay. Looks like he's trying to get out of the gravel, so all fair. Good job, marshals, for keep the driving going. Let's hope they can get the other car there. I can't see what number that was, but here comes the battle for second then. Is that BARC back into second over the top of Harris? And then Caruso lines up behind them. So yeah, still fiercely battling every single corner. Harris was over the line in second, but he's already lost that. Meanwhile, Oglesby, our champion-elect, is already disappearing up the road.
Oglesby's just been allowed to run away here with a gap of over 1.5 seconds going into the midpoint of this lap. You would imagine that Oglesby now will be feeling quite comfortable that he can just break away at a saunter. I mean, on this battle for P2, it's suddenly gone from a battle for P2 all the way through to P8 here as they make the way into Coppice Bend through the right-hander. And you can see everybody there trying to carry as much speed as possible, and the rear right tyre lifting up. And I have to ask, Chris, with these cars, I mean, when you drive them at these speeds as well, I mean, we talk about front-engine, front-wheel drive cars, it's called cocking a wheel, but with these Caterhams as well, it's almost if they can do that through some corners.
Only with the Academy car. We don't have a rear anti-roll bar on these cars, and generally speaking, it doesn't quite lift in the air, but you can see how far the car leans over, and if you hit a curb, then it may well lift into the air for sure. But they don't have the rear anti-roll bar on this Academy car. That's one of the upgrades they get as part of the Road Sport package. So we're going down the inside there. Great move down the inside of Harris there, and he might even have a look at BARC. So that's Hall trying to make 2 places up. Can he do what BARC what BARC did to the others? And it's Caruso around the outside as well. We're going to go 4 wide into Hollywood this time. I said be careful of when the overtakes are important and when they're not. This is an absolute fight out on track, isn't it, between these drivers?
Oh, indeed, and you know it's the end of the season because they are throwing everything at this, and we love to see it. As you can see, everyone now settling down into single line formation. No, there's only one way through the old hairpin, and that is the right racing line. But as they make the way up in towards McLean, so you can see now the battle for P2 goes 2 wide in the run in towards the braking zone, and still Harris, BARC, Hall, Caruso and Short all getting stuck into that fight as they make the way on through. 3 wide there as they come on through McLean's. My goodness, and well, that's going to cost the driver on the outside multiple places, as we do see there what is the number 97, a Short falling behind. Oh goodness me, and what, I think that's Short being run out of road.
No, that's Sampson, our pole position sitter, isn't it? Number 15, yeah, so his race has gone downhill. That was 4 wide going through those last 2 corners, and Sampson finds himself out there. Cal Short is the driver who is also fighting for that 3rd place. It's important for him to be involved in that battle, and he has firmly made himself there. But Hall currently leads that battle over the top of BARC. Then we've got Caruso, then we've got Short, then Harris. So all of these battle for 3rd place. These drivers are all, so these positions are important for their championship. We'll try and start doing the points towards the end of this race, but let's see whether this settles out. BARC coming to the outside then of Hall as they come down to Redgate for this time, and just behind them Caruso, Harris and Helm are all involved.
Oh, they're all getting involved, and well, Hall there trying to take the move on the inside into Redgate corner, not quite working out for him. In fact, having to tuck back in and pick up the toe once again. And what Oglesby, I think, lap after lap, is going to be looking in his rearview mirrors and just wondering the question, where has everybody gone? And well, this is where they all are. They're still fighting, as we can see there. BARC right now, absolutely obstinate. He's refusing to budge. And well, these Caterhams are narrow, Chris. I can tell you one thing, BARC right now is making his Caterham look as though it's 3-4 cars wide.
He's having to do, isn't it? Wide elbows and sharp elbows, as we say. But yeah, so Cal Short coming through then, 5th place over the line that time, but firmly involved in this battle. Looks like he's moving up to 4th place around the outside of Caruso. He's had to come deep in the field. In fact, he's going over the top of Harris as well, as Harris got a bad run out there. Sorry, not Harris, it's Hall. Got a bad run out of McLean's, but he looks like he's going to lose a couple of places. as they head out to the back straight. But yeah, so Cal Short has come straight through the field from 10th, 11th place on the grid, all the way through now to battling into that 3rd place he's on for now with yes, just seeing whether he can make anything around the outside. It's a difficult move around the outside of the chicane. Hall's got it under control, I think, so Cal will tuck just behind and he'll follow in and try and see whether he can do anything about Redgate.
Well, as they make the way onto another, oh goodness me, a bit of a tank slapper there for the number 42 in the rear of the pitch, and that was Helm almost losing it, but catching it just in time. But as you can see, they're free wide once again, and that is going to be now Short on the inside, as meanwhile we have one of our drivers back out there in the lime green machine, and as they roar their way through, we also look a little bit further back here and we can see some further battling for a brief moment, but our eyes are transfixed on what is this lead battle for P2 and P3 as they come on down in towards the crane of curves. The number 14 of Harris getting back into the fight there after being left behind for a brief moment into Redgate, but coming down into the old hairpin, and now we can see there Short just missing his apex very slightly, albeit brings it back together as they head up the hill underneath Starkey's where the bridge used to be, and now in towards McLean's. And it seems as though everyone's taking a little bit of a breather, Chris. Perhaps they've decided, you know what, we've still got 9 minutes of the race to go, it's not worth getting too involved just yet.
Oh, they're brave words. I don't think drivers think like that out here, but Cal Short currently ahead of Harris, and Harris was pushing him all the way around the back part of that track. They even looked like there might have been a tiny bit of contact as they came out through Hollywood that time through. But they're going to head down the back straight then for the adventures into the chicane. Oh, a bit of a spin in the background I can hear in my earphones, but as Hall comes down, chasing down then Buck out in front, and Cal Short defending for all he's worth from Caruso and from Harris. It looks like Caruso's going to try and shove it down the inside of two of them, does make up 2 places then into the chicane. Cal Short's got the better run coming out of the chicane. Can he do anything with that speed? He's going to tuck to the inside as they come across the line once more. Buck and Hall absolutely nose to tail as they come into Redgate as well. This action has not relented.
No, it's not relenting whatsoever, and well, the 2-wide battle of P2 is followed up by a 3-wide battle for what is their P4 as they come on through, but meanwhile, maintaining the middle ground and preventing the reverse Moses manoeuvre is the 88 of Caruso as they come down for Redgate and now into Hollywood. But as it's going to be an absolute blockbuster here coming through turn number 2, we can see it's going to be Caruso all the way just trying to hang in there, but it looks as though Short in fact has got back ahead with the momentum swing, and as they come through the old hairpin, well, Short right now insisting on P3 for the time being. And when I was catching up with some of the other drivers in the build up to this race, they were talking to me about the fact that it is quite easy to be defensive around this Donington Park circuit. Holding that inside line has a lot of power, and you're seeing an example there of that inside line really being maintained by the 36 of Buck, who's being chased after Hall in the number 23, and Buck right now really getting his elbows out and knowing exactly where to place the car, and well, that is going to be experience that will bode well should he decide he wants to advance to the next stage of the Caterham Academy.
Yeah, absolutely. You can defend around the Donington track. You stick to the inside of the circuit and don't let anyone go by. However, it is not a quick way to drive, and that's what bunches all the cars up. So as soon as you see cars going side by side, especially when it's 4 wide like this, you absolutely are losing seconds per lap over a clean lap. So Oglesby, which is one of the reasons why Oglesby is able to pull a clear, is because everyone else is battling, and therefore he can take the natural racing line and pull away. They've got a car in the gravel then. Is that the number 92? So that's the second time we've seen him into the gravel. So that's Vandergast. In fact, I think it might be the same gravel trap, but it looks like he may have done it all by himself this time. I wonder whether his car had damage. But as we watch there, Scott Helm, who is second place in our championship, just following up that group at the moment, looking like he wants to get involved. As Hall goes down the inside of Hollywood, coming down the crane of curves. Buck's not given up though. They're going to go side by side. A bit of a bollard there, sat in the middle of the road. That's not going to upset them too much at this stage. Hall then does make that battle win, but is he going to win the war, or is Buck going to come back to him as they go up to McLean's?
Well, surely the answer to that's got to be yes, he is going to come back, and Buck right now immediately with him as they make the way up the hill. Meanwhile, behind we've got 3 wide again, Caruso, followed by what is there none other than William Harris, and also Short still getting involved. But as we continue to focus on the lead battles here as they roar the way through, well, there you can see the evidence that Short has been able to get back head into P4 as they head in towards that braking zone for Coppice Corner, and it's all about the momentum now all the way down to the last 2 quarters. But you can see how Short, I think, will be hoping, and well, I say hoping with a very loose confidence there, that he's able to break away. But goodness me, meanwhile, in the battle for P2, well, you could not have had it closer there on the inside line, and Buck holds the inside, gets through the S's, and he is not giving in. I mean, I love the man's confidence there. He's going to find every sliver of racing room where he can get it, Chris?
I think 98% of the width of a Caterham was available to him, and he decided he was going to shove 100% of his car down it. But as we watch Hall and Buck going side by side into Redgate still, so even after that move, they're still absolutely fighting. Cow Short currently still heading Caruso, Harris, and the rest. There's Helm as well, following up that group, seeing whether he can make any progress forward. Remember, he's not got anything to win out of this. He's got second place rolled up in the championship. But Buck and Hall side by side. They've been pretty much side by side this entire race. Great racing from them as they head through the old hairpin, watching the number 36 there as they head up towards it. And we did see a bit of backmarker coming into play with, I think that was Plunkett, who's the other driver I think we saw in the blue car getting caught up. And so Oglesby having to deal with that backmarker, and therefore all these cars are going to come across that backmarker soon as well.
Oh, indeed. And another spanner to add into the works here. We have had a black and white flag for track limits issued to both the number 14 and also the number 96, and I also believe the 97. So that applies to what is William Harris, also to Cal Short, and also to the other member of the Harris family there. And so track limits could have a little bit of a perspective change on this race towards the end. And we are now into the final quarter, as meanwhile looking a little bit further back here. We've been focused so much on the top 10. We've also got some battling further down the order, and this is for 15th, and well, you can see here it's the absolute fight that's going on between the likes of Khan. Also, they've got the number 5 of Harris in the mix. They make the way on down the back straight, but everyone decides to run line astern there. Back to the front of the field, still the fight between Hall and Buck into turn number 1, and then the battle for P4. 3 wide they go, Short in the middle of the road. Oh, goodness me, and almost losing it was Caruso. And well, Caruso absolutely showing brilliant car control there to snap the rear back in the right direction, but you can see the momentum, and Short right now almost like a rolling roadblock there, albeit all's fair in love and war when it comes to Caterham racing. But Chris, I mean, how long can Short keep this up for? He's got the best part of another 3 laps to go after this one, but you can see, look at the 14 absolutely hugging him.
He's been our most winningest racer in the White Group Academy this year, taken 3 wins already. You can see he is not shy, and nor are the other drivers. You can see how much confidence they've all gained over the course of this, their first ever year of car motorsport, and showing exactly the racecraft that they've developed over time. 3 minutes of this race to go is all. I tried to do some championship points then. Absolutely useless endeavour because they're all changing positions and I haven't got time to concentrate on it. And whilst we've got the action out on track, we'll concentrate there. We'll see whether we can sort out the points afterwards. But Cal Short still managing to defend at the moment over the top of Caruso and Harris. Harris ducking out. Helm coming back involved after a little bit of a squirrely moment in turn 1 last time through. Cal Short down the inside, holds on, resolutely defends. It's meaning he's losing ground to the cars in front of him. In fact, see Harris banging his steering wheel. He was frustrated then that he's lost time. He's now having to deal with Caruso and Helm behind.
And as they come down in towards Redgate, well, will this be another 3 wide? As we can see the 42, they're trying to go all the way around the outside. That's Helm, who decides in the end it's better to play the cutback move. And meanwhile, Harris just puts himself right back in the middle of that battle. Now, I know we've got quite a few Caruso fans tuning in on the Caterham broadcast on YouTube, and I'd see what Caruso to do. But meanwhile, that is the 92 crawling along there by the looks of things. So it looks so things are going from good to bad to worse for none other than what is Van der Gaas. But hopefully he can get that repaired and get to the final checker flag of the season. But as we come back to the battle up front, 2 minutes or so to go. We haven't got long left in this race and long left in the championship season for the Caterham Academy White Group. But as they make the way on through the right-hander there, McLean's, I don't think they understand the concept of only 2 minutes remaining, Chris. I think they could keep on racing until those tyres were bald.
They absolutely would as well. So Harris down the inside of Caruso this time. Oh, ducks over the curb. That was an uncomfortable moment. Caruso gave him the room, but that gives Helm the opportunity to move up through the grid. You can see the cars all in front. There's the back marker in between as well. So there's quite a complicated end to this race already. Back marker could make it 5 wide at some point. Cal Short, though, is in that crucially ahead of the chasing pack, who are now side by side with Harris. Great move. Frustrated last time through the chicane. This time looks like he's got the best of it. We will have to be careful of those track limits. I know we've already had a couple of black and white flags and they're still going out onto that green sort of astroturfy area, which might mean that some of them are getting time penalties. Keep an eye out for that as Helm looks around the outside, but Harris going down the inside, Caruso, and then Evans as well. Evans doing a great job to stick with this group sideways as they go out through Redgate that time. This is relentless action. Brilliant stuff.
Oh, it is. And I've just noticed, by the way, on what is their Helm's car, I believe, the upside down license plate, which spells help me. Well, I think the car might be screaming out help me right now because those tyres are being pushed the absolute limit. as they make their way up through the old hairpin. But meanwhile, the number 14 there of Harris doing well. Further back, we do have a bit of side-by-side battling there into turn 1, and well, that is between the number 16 and, well, I think Christian Filmion and who that is getting in the fight.
Samson fighting with, I think it was Coop. So if they're side by side, then remember he started on pole position, so his race has not gone smoothly. Oglesby, meanwhile, opposite 8.7 seconds in front. That's almost unheard of in Caterham action. It might be the biggest gap we get all weekend, but here is Oglesby, 23 seconds still. I think he's going to get across the line for one more lap then. We have to be careful unless they do put the checkered flag out one lap early, but generally speaking, we will have another lap now. They get the last lap board you can see on the right of your screen. So he's going to go on and serenely take, I think, what will be his second race win, in fact, his third race win of this season. In fact, fourth. No, I'm getting over ahead of me. It's definitely third race win of the season. He's been resolute. He didn't have to do this race. He'd already won everything. He was putting it on his neck on the line, because if he gets penalty points, he could lose a championship. But he's done it all out there, and he's done exactly what he wants to do, which is sail away into the distance, 8 seconds into the head. What a great result for him this race, but also this season.
And also not having an easy time, having to go round the outside into turn 1 in order to take this lead, and then just maintain momentum and break away. And well, it's the ultimate ice on the cake when you're already champion-elect, and then you decide to end your season on a race win. You couldn't ask for more. And well, as Oglesby makes his way on through at turn number 7 now at McLean's, only 3 more major corners to go, plus that final stretch to the checker flag. And we're going to stay relatively focused on him all the way to the line. And well, he's going to add his name to the history books for the Caterham Academy White Group as the 2024 champion, no doubt about it, by 9 seconds here as he makes his way on down into that final braking zone. And well, the future is looking bright for Oglesby, because of course the next step up in the ladder is the road sport category, and I think he'll be eagerly looking forward to that. So as he comes up through the last corner, he adds another win to his bank account, and Paul Oglesby seals his championship crown for the Caterham Academy White Group with a win at Donington Park National by an absolutely phenomenal gap of what is 9 seconds. Meanwhile, what's happened at the finish line, and it is going to be P2 to Hall by literally a thousandth or two ahead of Buck and Short. It will then have William Harris P5 ahead of Helm, followed by Caruso. In fact, no, Caruso takes P6 ahead of Evans and William Harris, so it's a bit of a shuffle right at the end. We then do have what is number 96 of the Harris family taking P9, and Morton will wrap up your top 10 ahead of Pontes. And then we can see a bit more battling here. It's not over yet. We've got the number 5 and 15 exchanging side-by-side glances there into the S6. More cutback moves being made further on down as well. Everybody enjoying a fight all the way to checker flag, even if it's not inside the top 10. And it will be in Samson, who started on pole, who takes P12 ahead of the number 5 of, I believe, that's Simon Harris. There'll be Coop, then it'll be Khan to complete your top 15. And then we will have So, Al-Jalili, Hay, and then Platts had to come into the pit lane, I believe. But that is going to be your finishing order for what will be practically your top 20, albeit 1 or 2 more cars to come. I think we've got Fry and Chapman still to come. Fry will take P19 with Platt demoted to P21 as he came to the pit, and Chapman completes top 20 with Plunkett a lap down. But what a race to start off our weekend, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, Chris, we couldn't ask for a better open race.
Fantastic race, especially from, like I say, the least experienced out here on these Caterham ladders that you're going to see all throughout the rest of this race weekend. But here are the provisional results then.
And as we can see, Paul Oglesby there, provisionally your winner over the 15-lap distance, taking victory by almost 10 seconds over David Hall, unheard of this season. Chris Buck only in the end what was a 10th behind, if that, and then Cal Short completing your top 4. Scott Helm P5 ahead of Luciano Caruso, who fought hard for that P6 and we gutted to have missed out the podium. Craig Evans P7 ahead of William Harris, then Charles Harris. I said Chris Harris, I do apologise, Charles, if you're listening or listening to this later on. And we also see there Alistair Morton completing your top 10. Eduardo Pontes, Bester SP11 ahead of Nick Sampson, and then Stephen Harris and William Coop completing the top 14 finishers. And your fastest lap, well, it went to William Harris on lap number 3 at 1:23.09, and he adds another fastest lap to his bank account. And I do believe that is his first fastest lap of the season.
Indeed, yes, and just done the provisional calculations, and like I say, it's all provisional until all the results come in, but Cal Short does look like he has taken 3rd place in the championship. So Paul Oglesby, Scott Helm and Cal Short are your top 3 in that championship. I think they're nearly getting ready to hand over down to Park Ferme and hear from some of our drivers. But yeah, what an opening to the Caterham action, and if you're sat at home watching, don't go anywhere because we've got plenty more of this action to come.
Oh, 100%. And well, as we get ready to head down to Parc Fermé very shortly for what will be some post-race interviews, we're just getting that set up. Of course, keeping in mind that this is the novice level of the Caterham Motorsport ladder. And I say novice, but to be fair, Chris, the performances these drivers put on, I mean, you would think they were experts already in the cars.
Yeah, absolutely. They've developed so much over the course of the season, as you would expect. And so, yeah, fantastic to see them out there showing how good they are and ready to go into road sport next year.
And well, with that, we'll cut to Parc Fermé.
Wow, what a fantastic race for the Academy drivers. A few gravel moments for some of them, but the champion is proving why he's champion. Paul Oglesby, fantastic race for him with almost a 10-second lead. And David Hall missed a few rounds, but you know, he has got the pace. He's done a fantastic job. And then we've got our first podium for Chris Park. I'm so happy for him. It's very, you can tell how emotional it is. But let's come in and speak to Paul. Paul, I just said there's a reason why you're champion. Almost a 10-second lead in that race.
Yeah.
Fantastic job.
I saw Greg in the gravel. Was that Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was Greg. And I was worried about safety car, but other than that, yeah, just got my head down, focused on my lap times, tried to break the toe. Luckily, they were fighting with each other, and then I was just counting down the minutes. Yeah.
Fantastic job. So neat, tidy, composed, and yeah, brilliant way to end.
Yeah, great fight at the very start, and then yeah, I'm pleased I raced. I wasn't going to race, and I'm really pleased I did it. Yeah, very happy. Thank you.
Excellent. Well done. Well deserved champion.
Cheers. Thanks, sir.
And David, let's have a quick word with David in second place. Did a mega job there. Great race, David. That was fantastic.
Really good fun.
Yeah, good battles.
Best race of the year, so it's good to finish that way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was. I just knew that I had to wait until the chicane on the last lap because the toe was so much. I was like, I'm just going to have to go for it then, get position, and then run it to the end.
Yeah.
But it was close.
It's quite tactical though, isn't it? You've got to be thinking ahead all the time.
Yeah, no, it's better out of breath now.
Well done, congratulations. And then Chris, let's come over to Chris. Chris, I am so happy for you. Honestly, it makes me quite emotional, but yeah, are you fantastic, like from 17th to third, almost second as well, you know.
Second, wasn't it? I thought there was another lap left to go because I didn't see the last lap marker, and I was kind of aware that if he was behind me, he'd take me. So I thought, well, I'll let him drop. I don't care. I got a podium.
You did your first podium. What a way to end!
Oh, what a way to end! What a year! Thank you so much. It's been
Yeah.
brilliant. So thank you very
I'm
much.
so happy for you. Like from 17th to third, that's quite unheard of, really.
Myself, once I got the start going, it just gave me the confidence to move on. And I just managed to find a way through. There was a little touch at the start somewhere, but after that, and then I'm not used to being at the front, and it was a whole different experience trying to manage your own nerves, I guess.
Yeah,
wicked.
100%.
Amazing. So thank
Well,
you.
this high is going to last for ages. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully. Thank you. Well done, Chris. Right, that's the Academy White Group done. So now it's on to the 270s, and we have Ben Timmins commentating in the commentary box with Cheesy and Paul. So I'll hand back to them.
Thank you, Sam. And well, we move on to race number 2 of the weekend, and we move on to the Mission Motorsport Caterham 7's 270R Championship. That 270, of course, in reference to, I do believe, Chris, their power to weight ratio, unless I'm mistaken. And we have a special guest in the commentary booth, and let's introduce him, Ben Timmins, the champion, I do believe, coming into this round. And there he is in the centre of us. We all say hello to the camera parked up. And Ben, it's great to have you here. And well, I mean, why are you not out there? I mean, haven't you got the itch to race?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. It's a really great experience to change the helmet for some headphones this weekend. It's I thought the FOMO wouldn't really kick in this weekend. I'm just able to spectate and really enjoy being a part of it. But yeah, getting here, watching some testing yesterday, watching qualifying this morning. Yeah, I'm missing it desperately. But you know, great opportunities to watch the action, and we've got so much to look forward to. So as a fan, I can't wait.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant to hear from your perspective. And well, we are going to be getting the grid underway very shortly. And as we can see, pole position going to, I do believe, Charlie Lower. John on the front row by Ben Wheatley. The gap between the two of them in qualifying 3.5 attempts, quite the gap. Megan Bruce starts P3 ahead of Stephen Merritt. We then have Adam Keane and Rob Kenley on row number 3 ahead of Lionel Tolomash and Daniel Hope on row 4. And your top 10 completed by Craig Boyle and Nick Bryant. As we work our way on further down the order, that's your top 10 starters. We come to row number 6. Best of the rest, P11 is Zach Lower, who hasn't made too many appearances this season, but when he has, in the number 33, he has been absolutely sensational, at least for race number 1 of the day. Matt Larby joins him on row 6, ahead of Luke Waitman and Ryan Wilby. Keep your eyes out for the 88 driver, who's going to be looking to try and chase down P2 in the championship. Adam Waitman and Oliver Kibblewhite start on row number 8, ahead of Henry Littlejohn and Andrew Bailey, and your top 20 is completed by Toby Boys and Gary Cross. But wait, there's more outside the top 20, and as we get ready to bring the rest of the field up, of course it's an absolutely packed grid, and we've got James Moonstar's P21 ahead of Neil Warnock, and then the more famous one, not the football manager I do believe, Guy Crossman and James Emson line up on row number 12, ahead of Richard Coop and Robert Lowe, and then Andy Palmer and Graham Finlayson on row number 14 to complete your top 28. Rob Gregor starts P29, Mark Soden P30, and well, I believe we've got even more cars after that, given my entry list here spans the best part of 35 cars, so we then come to our final slots on the grid. In fact, it's a total of 32 entrants. James McCullough and then Solomon Rogers complete your 32 entrants to the first race of this weekend, the first of 3 races for the Mission Motorsport Caterham 7's 270R Championship. And well, the green lap is underway at the moment. They'll be heading around the drivers, but Ben, from your perspective, the green lap, of course, an important one to assess the conditions, get a bit of tyre temperature, but given the fact we had a very wet qualifying session, so it shuffled up the grid, as a driver, what would you be focusing on this lap? What's going to be your prerogative?
Yes, I think it's a great question. I think it really varies day to day. I think particularly qualifying this morning, as you mentioned, it was a track that's constantly evolving, started off very wet, began to dry. I think it now looks to be fully dry out there. So I think some of the guys have been going out there focusing on tyre temp, probably especially the front here through the craners and old hairpin. And you'd also be looking at maybe things like, are the curbs still wet? That, you know, there's a chance they may not have dried as well. Can I really push the limit and go to those places as well? So definitely about tyre temp, and just starting to think about what's your strategy going to be from the start as well. It's really a chance to kind of get yourself into the right mindset for the race to come.
Oh, definitely. And also out there at the moment, of course, the sun beating down on our drivers. It would have been cool this morning. It's getting warmer by the minute, and it's very warm in this commentary booth, we must say. But out there as a driver, I mean, you don't really fixate on that at all, because you've got the wind blowing in your face, albeit a small windshield, and at the end of the day, you're focused on one thing, and that is getting to that checker flag as number 1.
Absolutely, it becomes very all-consuming. I think as soon as those lights go out, the visor's down, the revs are up, and your elbows are out, everything else just disappears into oblivion. I think where you really start to feel if it's very warm, it's it's an October day here, so it's not too bad. When you're sat in the assembly area, you can sometimes be sat 30, 40 minutes plus, and particularly in the height of summer, that's the time when you really start to feel it. And these cars aren't, they're not super fast, but they're fast enough, and they're very much pure driver cars as well. So the physicality is something that you'll also note. So when you get out the 20 minutes, that bottle of water is absolutely fantastic that's waiting for you in Park Ferme.
Oh, it is absolutely brilliant. And many of you we've seen in the respective broadcast chats have been asking, why did we see some drivers demoted places at the end of the first race? That was for 5-second post-race time penalties that we saw some multiple Caterham Academy white group drivers. And that's something that our drivers in this group will need to have. They'll need to be aware of it in all our races this weekend. The stewards are out there watching for those track limits. So you may get away with it once or twice, but Chris, from your perspective as a past racer, and also from your perspective, Ben, there's only so many times you can get away with it as everyone's lined up on the grid.
Different tracks have different marshals out there, but they're all looking to see whether you're exceeding the outside white line of the circuit, and then also the striped red and white here at Donington Park. But we are getting ready then for the first of 3 20-minute race action for the 270R Championship. Ben alongside us in the commentary box, but a sort of 2 guest drivers on the front there, Charlie Lowe, Ben Wheatley, seeing what they can do about taking the win away. We're waiting for the green flag at the back of the field, and then we can get this first of 20-minute race up and running. What are they actually going to be like for the 270s? Well, if you saw their academy race, they've got a lot to live up to. I have every confidence they will do that.
Oh, indeed. And without further ado, it's lights out and away we go for our second race today, the first of the 270 races this weekend. You can see there already Lower having to defend very tight to the inside, practically being squeezed there, but opens the door back up now as they head through Redgate Corner. Everybody coming on through. It's going to get very tight there as they make the way on through the right. And oh, goodness me, contact there. Some body parts coming off. And then we do see the number 40, I think that's the number 45, taking a long excursion all the way around. In fact, the 49 there, as my eyes do not deceive me. And oh, goodness me, we've got even more contact there as they come through Hollywood. And well, multiple cars off there. One in the barrier backwards, one almost pointed into the barrier. It's been a dramatic start to this race. And well, I think we might have 2 cars that are not going to be moving, but meanwhile, they make the way onwards.
Keeping out for a red flag. They may do a complete restart. They haven't completed 2 laps, so they can do that if they can't get those cars moving and if one of them stationary in a dangerous position, which it looks like they might be as we're going side by side, though. They will continue to race until they do see those red flags in this colourful field. Ryan Wilby was involved in that contact that we saw starting starting off, and he's trying to fight for that second place in the championship, so not the start of the racing he wants to have. Again, not seeing any flags out there at the moment, so we will call the race as it is, with Charlie Lower weaving down the start-finish, or the back straight, looking to see whether he can... Yeah, we have got a red flag, you can see on your screen now, so they are all off the throttle, and we will get to re-grid everyone, and we'll do it all again.
And, well, with the red flag, coming to yourself, Ben, in the fact, I mean, with races such as this, you've had a great start if you're the likes of Zach Lower or Wheatley, and then suddenly you get told, by the way, we now got to stop the race and you have to do it all over again. I mean, how do you sort of let that go? Because surely there must be a bit of frustration to think, oh, why can't we keep racing? But, of course, safety comes first.
Absolutely, yeah, safety first always, and, the first thing these guys will be thinking as they're going around is that their fellow drivers out there are safe and well, and great to see people getting out the car there. It is definitely hard. As soon as those lights go out, you're immediately into attack mode, and it can be hard when you have a red flag or a safety car. You have that opportunity, that lull. It's hard to, once that big adrenaline dump has come, it's hard sometimes to get yourself back into that right frame of mind, particularly as you say when you've had a good start. I think that's one of the things you see here quite often at Donington National. Redgate corner is a corner that's much tighter on the exit than it is on the entry, so you get cars with a fantastic launch that have a lot of overspeed and sometimes leads to scenarios like that.
Indeed, and that grass, of course, being very wet as well still, whilst the circuit is drying, as we get a replay here of the race start. And I mean, Chris, from your perspective, what a battle at the front and in the midfield to get through this so well.
It's always crazy to watch the races from the outside. It's actually less complicated when you're in the driver's seat than it is when you're looking at this, but it was side by side between Wheatley and Lower as they came in. Watch a little bit further back, Megan Bruce still slotting into that third place, but the compression happened. Ryan got a bit of contact here in the rear of that orange car. You can see the two there, and I think there was a chain reaction all the way back through Finlayson. I think that is off wide into the gravel, and then it was a little bit further round that we got the issue. You can watch in your back of your sheet, they're absolutely collecting themselves as they go over that curb. So as Ben said, maybe the outside of that greenery and the outside of the curb is still a bit slippy, and we saw damage to Coop's car there that damaged his right rear, which means he's just not going to get that car going. They're going to have to, you can see the rear wheel is hanging at a strange angle, so they'll get that onto a flat loader, and then we will get a complete restart. We didn't complete a lap, so it will be a complete regrid. The drivers all been held short of the grid, and then the marshals will pull them all forward in exactly as they started the previous race, but obviously without Coop in there.
Indeed, and Richard Coop out the car and looking all well, which is the most important thing. I think they're having a discussion with the other driver who was involved in that four-way altercation coming out of turn number 1 into 2. And, well, as they look to and now shift the Caterham, that seems to have entrenched itself to a degree in the grass. The marshals working hard there, and even the drivers help giving it a push. And ideally, they will want to try and move that under its own impetus rather than getting the low loader if they can, because that'll take some extra time. But there we go, they are starting to move it. And, of course, the marshals being the unsung heroes, the Orange Army of UK motorsport. But meanwhile, one of our other cars will definitely be embedded in the barrier. I think that is the number 63, unless I'm mistaken, and that would be the car of Andy Palmer there. And, well, Palmer will be a little bit frustrated at that one, and the car looking in the wrong direction. I think that is going to need a low loader there, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked a little bit there like Andy was almost the meat in the middle of a Caterham sandwich. I think, again, particularly going into Hollywood, it's a right-hand corner, it's tightening still, and it's when you're in the middle, it's really hard to know where to go, and you can't just make a Caterham disappear. So it looked like he might have been an innocent bystander there.
You do breathe in as a driver, don't you? Because you just know that it's coming, and especially if they do make a touch or any sort of contact, it does mean often the cars will sort of sandwich together, and it just happens once a little bit of contact happens. But it does give us the opportunity as drivers just to say, as ever, thank you to all the marshals out there at the circuit today. They've had to put up with some awful weather this morning already, and tomorrow's not looking great, but for all the season's action and all of their efforts out there that allow us to go and do what we love doing. And so ever so many thanks to every single one of the Orange Army out there today.
And, well, as we can see there now, our drivers being gradually moved onto the grid. Our marshal telling them exactly where they need to go and how they need to line up. So the restart is probably not going to be too far away. As meanwhile, there we do see the number 63 of Andy Palmer just gradually being towed along in the grass, and that will be safely moved into one of the exit zones. But meanwhile, the marshals also kicking off any little bits of debris. And I have to ask, gents, from your perspective with regards to these cars, when we do see bits of contact, obviously some bodywork comes flying off. We saw that at the race start. But how sensitive are these Caterhams to touches? I mean, can you give little taps, or is it as soon as there's a tap, it starts to come very loose?
Yeah, I think it really varies. I mean, obviously it's very much a non-contact sport, and no advantage to bump draft or anything like that. I think you really see this. It all comes down to the angles and the velocity. I think and I know you're the same, Chris. Amazingly, I've never lost a wing, despite having several bits of contact. You'll see some people that their wings will be flying off in every race almost. They are essentially consumable to an extent. So it can really have a big impact. Again, you have no assists on the car, so it's all about your ability to catch those slides as you have that contact.
Well, it helps when you're disappearing off down the road every single race, Ben. You don't have to have too many other cars to complicate matters. But yeah, exactly that. We only attach these wings with glue and with nylon bolts deliberately so that they don't rip the car apart when if that contact does happen. You certainly don't want it to compromise your race. You want it to depart the car, which is why you do see in Caterham action quite a lot of those wings do separate, and that's actually what we want them to happen. And hopefully they land well off the racing line so they don't interfere with the race. If they do land on the racing line, sometimes we have to get the safety car out to go and retrieve them, but that is how they're designed to be. Bit of work for Williams Motorsport to get Andy Palmer back out, but he will do all that they can to make sure that car is back on the grid, and hopefully you'll see him out there again twice tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed, and fingers crossed, because we always want to see every driver who's turned up for the weekend race, and we have lost a couple of drivers this weekend already due to an incident that occurred in the Friday practice. So I don't think it was a driver in the 270R class who was affected there, but it just goes to show it can all go wrong even in the practice sessions. But thankfully the two drivers involved in that incident not ending up in any disarray other than their cars having to be retired from the weekend. Both drivers A-OK, but as we continue to see their Palmer's car being moved along. We also did briefly, when we panned to the grid, we did see the back of what was James Emson's car, the number 20, and I had the chance to speak to him this morning about the livery on the car, the Kermit car. Kermit, of course, in reference to Kermit from the Muppets, and saying about the fact that design was designed by his wife, and, well, the fact that it does stand out very much, and that you're going to see some absolutely brilliant and standout liveries out there on all the different Caterhams over the course of this weekend. But he was also saying to me about the fact that with the rain really shuffling up qualifying, it means that this grid being so shuffled up, we are going to see plenty of battles all the way through. And I mean, Ben, from your perspective, of course, changeable conditions, and when you see some of the fastest drivers qualifying further back and they've got to come through, it changes your perspective on the race, because 20 minutes sounds like a long time, but you've got to fight your way through, and by the time you get 5 minutes in, the leader could have already got off into the distance.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think, as you said, 20 minutes in normal day-to-day life flies by, but when you have a swarm of Caterhams around you and you're pounding around at maximum attack the whole race, that time can really feel like an eternity. And I think particularly setup decision is such a big part of it. And I caught a word with James Emson earlier as well, and he was saying it was just made the wrong call there, and that was one of the reasons for that slightly underperformance from James earlier today. So yeah, that 20 minutes, it's the culmination really of hours and hours of work, both as a driver, as the coaches, and as the team in the setup as well.
There are times when 20 minutes, like you say, feels like an eternity when you're defending, but it feels like a lightning quick when you're trying to back through the field and you're running out of time. Suddenly 20 minutes disappears. You can see the damage there to the rear of Richard Coop's car. Again, a bit more work for them to get that out there. Oakmere are going to have to work a little bit on that car, but I'm sure that car will be back on the grid tomorrow. So the driver, they're being moved back into the paddock, the shortcut through, and I can see out of our commentary box window that the drivers are lined up on the grid. They'll have a full green flag, then followed by the actual race lights. So a little bit more time before we get this racing interaction. All the drivers will be trying to get rid of the adrenaline they had at the start of the race to calm themselves as they have this pregnant pause, and then later, as they go around this green flag, they have to get themselves back into that race mode. I can hear the sirens going off, which signifies that they've got the 30-second board being shown to them, and the next thing we'll see is a green flag waving, and then off they'll go on their green flag lap.
Oh, indeed, not too far away from our second green flag lap and the restart of what is the first of the Mission Motorsport Caterham 7 270R Championship races for this weekend for the championship conclusion. But as all our drivers get ready to slowly make their way away, of course, another formation lap, another 20 minutes of racing, and well, we are definitely going to be seeing what will be that lead battle into turn one once again. But I do have to wonder now, from your perspective, Ben, I mean, we did see Lower under a lot of pressure into turn one last time around. Do you think he'll have taken notes, mental notes that is, because he doesn't have a notepad in the car, unless he somehow managed to sneak that in on a pen with it? If so, he's very talented. But he'll be taking mental notes of where to defend now and how perhaps to work his way into that win.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlie's a fantastic driver. He would be learning at every corner. I think it may be the first time that him and Ben have gone wheel to wheel, and again, Ben Wheatley, another fantastic driver as well. So Charlie is very much, an elbows out. He's not afraid to get stuck in. So I think he'll know what's worked for him in his previous seasons. I know he did very well here at Donington last year. Was unlucky to have 2 DNFs across those three races. But yeah, he'll certainly know what he needs to do to go out there and maintain that lead.
He's guesting this weekend alongside Wheatley, so they're not going to be scoring points in the championship, but they are going to be taking home trophies if they stay in those leads. And we've got several others as well coming up into the 270R grid for the first time. This time we've got who have we got coming in? I've got to get my list of drivers who've entered now, but yeah. One of them was Adam Keane, so he's jumped up from Roseboy into 270s to see, because he's going to be doing 270s next year and going to see what it's like. But he's come across from those cars, so his car was looking very nice and shiny as he'd had it all really redone, ready for this 270R outing. But yeah, lots of guests on this grid, so it's worth keeping in mind as we go through to the tail end of the season. And remember, we can't really sort any positions out today. We will add a top score points up, and tomorrow will be where we figure out the second and third positions in this championship. But Ryan Wilby certainly needs to come forward from where he is. You can see he is deep in the field, just coming to the middle of the start-finish straight there. And he's got some work to do. And he had a little bit of contact into turn 1, so you'll want to avoid that this time through.
Oh, indeed. And, well, hopefully nothing too major has fallen off the car, other than perhaps a little bit of error, a little bit of bodywork. Of course, most of the bodywork on
Caterhams don't have error.
No, well, indeed. But most of the bodywork there, of course, being more sort of plastic rather than metal. As I've seen a few comments in our respective YouTube broadcast chat saying, isn't Donington Park also the location of the Metal Download Festival? Well, indeed it is. But today, the only heavy metal you'll see is our drivers putting their pedals to the metal and getting away with victory if they can. And as they get ready to rock on for the second time around, I'm going to put the musical puns back where they belong in my bag. And well, we can see there all drivers just line up on the grid. And of course, the restart grid, it'll be the same as the original starting grid, minus a couple of drivers who have had to retire from this race due to the incident on lap 1 at turn number 2. But we are ready for the restart, minus a couple of cars just slotting into their last positions. We can also see there the doctor's car in the back, which is the signal to say that everyone's good to go. But now we are just waiting for the lights to go on, and we are going to be going racing for the second time today. And we're going to see that battle at the front of the field explode onto our screens. But as the clock now counts down for our drivers here, it's all about waiting for those lights, and it's lights out, away we go once again. And many a driver immediately looking to scrap, but this time a better run off the line there from lower into turn 1. Wheatley's going to look around the outside, but in fact Wheatley's now got to go defensive and cover off. It's a slow start for Wheatley.
Yeah, so Wheatley into the second place. Megan Bruce does hold on to that third place. Craig Borland, Matt Larby watching out for him a bit further back down. Also watching out for Zach Lower, seeing whether he can come through. He often does in the early part of a race, but it is Charlie Lower who does lead them down once more. It looks like we've got through Hollywood that time through, so Charlie Lower leads over the top of Wheatley. Then it's Megan Bruce in the third place, our GB4 racer, racing with the 270R grid this year as well, as they all flow through the old hairpin. Much tidier. Sol Rogers making up 3 places there off the back of the grid, so he's had a nice little start to his race this time through as well, as they head up to McLean's then this time through. Wheatley still holding into that second place, but Charlie Lower threatening away to pull away already.
A bit of a run wide there we did see. I think that might have been from Kenley, just drifting a little bit wide coming on from McLean's, but up into Coppice they go. 2 wide there, further down the order from multiple drivers, and Coppice one of those corners where you can experiment with multiple lines, but you can see at the front there, Lower right now really try to break the toe, looking left, looking right. You'd think he was a boxer with the amount of juking he's doing from side to side. And well, as they make their way down into the S's, where he finally settles down on the line, but meanwhile further down the order, it's 2 by 2 for many of the drivers. It's not Noah's Ark, it's Caterham Racing, and as they come on through and onto the end of a lap, it's Lower ahead of Wheatley, with Keane followed by Bruce, and then Merritt to complete your top 5. But Ben, as they make their way onto lap number 2, I mean, there's still further battling further back, and 5 wide in the rear of the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And just seeing there, Charlie breaking that toe, that's something that is trademark Charlie Lower. It's something he does consistently. It's really hard sometimes to make sure that you're still optimising your line and not get caught up trying to follow him exactly and keep a hold of that toe. Just looking back slightly further here as well, you can see Rob Kennelly there in front with Nick Bryant just behind. Those are 2 very much championship protagonists as well, so although not fighting for the lead right now, between them and Ryan Wilby, it's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of the weekend plays out.
Yeah, that second place of the battle is kind of drifted into the midfield, doesn't it? And that's exactly where they don't want to be, because it's so complicated there. But all sorts of drivers all around you, but those mixed conditions in qualifying definitely stirring things up just a little bit as they head up through McLean's then once more. Tollmarsh around the outside of Bryant there, and yeah, there's lots of action here. Who are you watching out for, Ben, in this mid-pack?
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how Rob Kennelly gets on. I think this is a track where he goes really, really well. Had 2 wins here last year at Donington Park, first time he's ever on the podium, and I think it's a track that he's really confident at. So excited to see how he makes his way through, see him get ahead of Merritt there into turn 1 slightly earlier as well. So looking really, really fast out there.
As they make the way to the end of another lap, well, all our championship protagonists continue to push on at the front of the field. We've got 2 guests who are absolutely going toe to toe.
3 guests.
3 guests, in fact. Yes, thank you for correcting me, Chris. They made the way through turn 1, but 3 wide further back. It comes in threes, and as they make the way through, well, that is going to be a run in the middle there. I believe that was Tolomash making that move and making it count. That's brave to do it so early on. And as we come back to the front of the field, well, goodness me, Lowe and Wheatley, you couldn't get a sliver of paper between them as they came down through the Craner curves, could you, Ben?
Fantastic racing there. Just going back to Lionel Tolmarsh, I mean, that is a man who, behind the wheel of Caterham, lacks no bottle at all. He is exceptionally quick. Maybe not the most consistent person on the grid, but the speed, the raw speed that he has there is phenomenal. So no surprise to see him up there doing so well. And also Adam Keane going really well. Now up there alongside Ben Wheatley as well. This is an opportunity now for Charlie to really pull away, really eyes forward. Don't look in your mirrors. Ben Wheatley, though, just pulled away again there slightly, so now he'll be able to latch onto the toe from Charlie as well. So this front 5 really pulling away here.
So difficult to decide whether you want to go for the move and pull out of the slipstream, try and go for it. It's a chance you're going to lose a position. As you can see, Megan Bruce now throwing her car down the inside as they head into the chicane this time through then, and she didn't make that stick, so Keane still holding on, still got the 3 guests out front. There's Brian, and he's sort of chasing on. There's Ryan Wilby. We need to see him moving forward. He's got Zach Lower just behind him. So it really is all action and all change, but out front, Charlie Lower has managed to maintain that lead. Wheatley has having heavily defended into that second lap to hold on. Now he's still there in that second place, and Megan Bruce looking like she wants to take that 3rd place away from Keane.
Keep in mind, of course, that Megan Bruce having her first podium of the season at what was the Knock Hill circuit, and looking to add at least 1 more to that as time goes on, and as our drivers make the way on down through the Craner curves and on through the old hairpin. Well, currently it is nose to tail, but everybody now seems to be settling it down into a running order, and we can see our drivers making their way up towards what will be in McLean's. It does look as though a little bit of a calm before the proverbial storm. And Ben, from your perspective, is it one of those situations whereby after a few minutes you might decide to back off for a little bit and then sort of recharge and go back on the attack? How do you weigh up how much pressure you put on your rivals?
Yeah, exactly as Chris said there. I think when there's a pass on, you really need to commit to it. There's no such thing as a half attempt here.
We had a car half with the sideways through Coppice that time. I'm not sure who it was, but there were other cars coming in on them, so hopefully that all ended in the right... Sorry to cut off you. There was a car sideways in the middle of the track, but hopefully that's all sorted itself out now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going back to that, yeah, there's no such thing as a half attempt at a pass here. Really, it's fully committed or nothing at all. So, as Chris said earlier, all you're going to do when you go by side is slow each other up and compromise both the races. So, one of those things where you either make the pass happen or you drop in behind and optimise your times.
And as the drivers come towards the end of another lap and we're on to the next one, 5 minutes down, we've still got plenty more to come. And well, as we can see there, still everyone trying to run each other into the distance and get as close as possible. But further on back, well, we can see more fighting for just outside the top 10. But looking back inside, firmly inside the top 10, it does look as though now that Keane is really on the attack. And well, with Wheatley going around, that was Wheatley we saw going sideways a bit earlier on, it does mean now our leader, who is the guest driver, well, we just have Keane now really trying to run away and take that victory. And correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, if Keane was to take victory, is he a guest driver? Because this might be his first win as a guest driver for the season.
We had Charlie Lowe winning, I think, last time out, so we've had guest drivers come in and win. However, yeah, Keane jumping up into this class and getting it there would be fantastic for him. You can see him there in that DPR machine, just following on behind another DPR teammate there, Megan Bruce. But yeah, it would be great though for him to take that win. What a way to sort of set up your season next year. He's got 3 races to see what he can do. Here's Ryan Wilby having a fight with Nick Bryant and the others as they can. Rob Kennelly there in the middle as Nick Bryant late on the brakes there, managed to get it all done. Ryan Wilby's going to have all the momentum out of the chicane, hangs it around the outside of Kennelly. Boyle going around the outside, another driver there as they head down the start-finish straight once more then, and looking like they're going to see if there's anything they can do. Megan Bruce there leading over the top of Charlie. In fact, Megan Bruce has got into the lead there. Charlie Lower is back now into that. He was second temporarily, so he's not going to get the lights to flag. Megan now seeing if there's anything she can do about holding on into that second place. But a great result for her as well in that second place.
And as our drivers roar the way on around, well, we're not even at the halfway point of this race already. You could write a novel with the amount of battles that are going on and also the drama that's playing out. But as they head up the rise and in towards what will be at turn number 7, meanwhile, the pack behind, well, it's the top 3 that have just disappeared off into distance, and then P4 all the way through to what is P16, separated by less than 4 seconds. I mean, Caterham racing is pack racing, but this is a big hungry pack of drivers, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. And one person who's very much on the move, Craig Boyle, keep an eye out for him. 7th across the line that time. Craig very much the fastest lap maestro in that car. He's had 2 this season, 6 last year, the most of any driver by a long way. So another person as he moves to the outside here who's looking to make forward momentum as well.
Watch them 3 wide then as they're coming into the chicane once more. Kenley back in front then of Brian Wilby. Remember, he needs to move up for his championship as the rest of them also side by side. That's Larby and Zach Lower, I think, going side by side through the chicane. That time through. Fantastic action all the way up and down. Keane now looking down the inside of Megan Bruce. They've got a nice comfortable gap over Kenley in this battle we just watched going through. So Ryan Wilby is making the progress that he needs to from deep in that field, and there are others trying to demote him back down, but absolutely brilliant racing by this 270R grid. And we've had some fantastic races all through the season. They are in their 3rd step of the motorsport ladder in this car, and they've all learned how and what they need to do. And they've certainly got confidence in the car, and they know the width and the length of it, don't they? They certainly know when there is a gap to go for and when not to, and it's been a fantastic racing so far.
And a special mention to Craig Boyle in the number 93, currently in P8, getting 3 places in that previous lap and really tearing things up, having started quite some way down the running order. But as they come on around, will he be able to hold on to all the places he's gained over the course of this race? Well, he's back, in fact, to where he's 1 place ahead of where he started. He started P9, but was muscled down the order. But of course, from lap to lap, things can change as our drivers make their way around Copper's Bend. And well, as we can see now, it does look as though they're a little bit of bob and weave. And well, of course, for the drivers who are all single file, it works out quite nicely, Ben. But when you're 2 wide and then the toe suddenly switches from being in front of you to your rival, I mean, it's got to be a little bit of, hey, give me the slipstream back. I kind of need that.
Absolutely, but a big part of it is how about you manufacture that gap as well. You see there, Rob Kenley caught Nick Bryan a little bit too early there, coming onto that back straight, so he pulled out early. Ryan Wilby with the double toe from 2 cars, exactly what he wants to then try and make that slipstream. We can see now that those 4 championship protagonists have found their way to be together this time, and interestingly, both Brian, Rob and Dan Hope all shared a podium here at the last race at Donington Park in Road Sport, so great to see them having a battle again.
As our drivers roar their way down through Hollywood and into the Crane, of course, we now move into the second half of this race. Time continues to trickle away, albeit for some drivers a bit slower than others. And as they come on through the old hairpin, well, that top 5, Lower, ahead of Bruce, followed by Keane, then Brian and Kenley. But really right now, when we talk about P4, P5, it's Brian and Kenley on this lap, but by the end of the race, it could be completely different because, as we've said previously, P4 all the way through to what is P17, or in fact P18, separated by 5 seconds, and no change at the moment. It could be anybody who takes what would be, after all the places adjusted due to guest drivers, Chris, anybody could be on that final podium.
Yeah, just worth saying as well, Wheatley has dropped out of this battle. We didn't notice that earlier on. We had a few monitor glitches, so Wheatley finds himself way down in 18th place. He does have the fastest lap of the race, which is a point there, or it removes a point from someone else in the championship charge. But nevertheless, yeah, so just to call that he has slipped down the order as we watch. In fact, we've got another driver out there. Is that Little John out there? I can't sure work out who that is in that car, but using the grass, it's not going to be very grippy out there on the grass. It will still be damp as we watch this battle flying in. Ryan will be looking to see whether he can tuck his car down the inside. No way through at the moment, but this battle is absolutely building as this race develops.
And with the battle building at this point now, Ben, I mean, from your experience as a driver out there, when you find yourself in the thick, what's your priority now? Of course, you want to go forward, but are you now starting to think of, well, you know what, we're in the second half of the race, I need to figure out the final lap and how I set up that lap?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for these guys in the pack who have been fighting, they'll be looking at the end timers on their car and thinking, crikey, I can't believe I've still got 8.5 minutes of this to go. So I think they'll very much be thinking about, as we've got a car off there, looks like 33 is Zach Lower that's run wide as well.
Yeah, and that's not easy to rejoin there, so he'll do well to rejoin the track without collecting anyone. It looks like he has managed it. Yeah, but with the wet grass, as soon as you get on it, it's almost impossible to get your car back onto the track and in any kind of control, but it looks like he has managed to do it. He will have lost out multiple positions, so we can see a few more wings now hanging themselves down the straight. You see the weaving to get rid of the toe, but as soon as someone pulls the alongside you, that weaving stops, which is exactly what we saw there. We're going to go 3 wide, why not into it. Kennelly coming down the inside and making their move stick. We've got a bit of a locked up car there, a bit further back as well. That was the number 60, wasn't it? He was, or 50 of boys. Oh, we've got a car toll march into the barriers then. See how slippy that grass is.
Oh, indeed, just dip one tyre onto the grass and very quickly you find your race unfolds. But meanwhile, the race hasn't stopped for the front of the field as they make their way in towards Redgate Corner, and that is going to be very tight there as the pink and silver machine tries to make its way around the outside, and 2 wide they come down through Hollywood and in towards the Craner curves. Neither driver giving in at this point, but in at the end somebody's got to give, and well, it does.
Ahead of Wilby, yeah.
Indeed, and with now Brian gets ahead of Wilby, well, they'll calm down for a moment, but Wilby's going to come back at him through the old hairpin. Goodness me, Chris, the gloves are off.
They absolutely are, aren't they? You can see that we come down with 7 minutes to go. They're really trying to still move forward, and they're trying to assert their authority into that pack. And Ben, I bet you're glad that you were clear of a lot of this throughout the season out front.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, normally that's the safest place to be. I think I managed to disprove that in the BARC race against Netherton, but it is what it is. But there, seeing Brian and Nick, those are the 2 people that we're really looking at here fighting out for the championship. I walked past the CTS garage earlier, and I heard them say there's only 1 car that you need to worry about, and I'm assuming that was Brian, whose wing I believe that is as well. It looked like contact with Rob Kennelly about 2 or 3 laps ago, so that's something to keep an eye on as well.
Kind of outside the racing line, are certainly wide enough there, and they'll be aware of it. They'll probably put the slippery surface flag out there as they all sort of sort themselves out there. I'll be making another place up, just tucking ahead of the following car, but coming down towards us, we're definitely not going to be able to call this until the last lap. We're going to go 3 wide, why not?
Oh, indeed, it's going to be unpredictable all the way to the finish. The only time we'll know is that the checker flag is there. They go into Redgate once again, 2 wide at the front, and meanwhile we can see that the 80 of Wilby now getting clear of Hope and now trying to get himself involved in this fight to make it 3 wide. And of course Wilby, who's starting quite a way down the order, really just trying to roar his way up as high as possible and get himself onto that podium, given he's still got where's the top 3 in the championship to play for. And as they come down through the old hairpin, that lovely panning shot which just shows the momentum and the ferocity with which they're all chasing after lead. Oh, goodness me, further back, however, that's not how you want a Caterham to appear. That's the front grille by looks things lift up quite a bit.
Yeah, the nose cone is another one of those things that you definitely don't want to have this. It makes it really awkward to see, and it also affects the aerodynamics quite a lot. And it's a big, heavy bit of bodywork if it does leave the car. So yeah, suboptimal, I think we'll call it, as they head into Coppice, this team. So Team Perry's Motorsport cars there, looking to see whether they can join in the battle and the fun. They will have to avoid that wing. It might get blown a little bit further onto the grass as they whoop on by. Ryan will be looking to see whether he can go around the outside of Nick then as they go into Kennelly looking down the outside. And we've got Daniel Hope locked up down the inside. He manages to get it all stopped up though, just about. That was looking sketchy, and now it looks like Boyle's going to see whether he can do anything about that. Sketchy for a bit there though.
Very much so. And another car who I don't think has done quite yet is Ben Wheatley, just clutched onto the back of this group here as well. An incredible recovery drive. That was him that spun earlier. So 5 minutes to go, probably 3, maybe 4 laps, only 5 or 6 cars ahead of him. He's still got a chance to get to the front of this train of cars as well. He
was on the front row of the grid when we started this race, and he's looking thirsty to see whether he can recover all that. A great spot there. He's certainly got the ability to come through this pack, but is he, and has he got enough time to get that done? Let's keep an eye out for him.
As they make their way down in towards the old hairpin, here they all come, but you can see there whilst the front 4 decide to back off, and meanwhile we've got 2 wide further on down. And we'll have to ask Ben from your perspective as well, of course, 20-minute races, and the tyres on these cars, do they last the 20 minutes? Can you push them for the whole 20 minutes, or do you have to put a bit of time management in?
Yeah, I think certainly in the first race you'll go 20 minutes absolutely fine. You might find if you're having some big slides and you start to lose performance towards the end. Towards the back half of the weekend you'll really begin to feel it. These tyres, unlike previous tyres we've run that are more tread based, these are very much heat cycles. So it's very much you start to compound the issues. If you have a big slide you'll find you start to have more and more slides, and that's when the performance is really hard to stay on top of.
Well, I'd imagine there's been quite a bit of tyre shredding in this race alone, given the lockups we've seen and also the battling. But as they all come down into the braking zone there, but we'll be right now leading a hungry pack for P4 behind him as the rest of the leaders run up.
That's Mega Bruce looking like they've got a real right failure. So whether there's been contact, that's certainly not going to get to the end. So Mega Bruce was in second place, and that's going to be the end of her race. What a shame. I wonder whether that's contact or maybe even going over a curb or two to cause her to finish that race. She's pulled towards the inside of the track there. The marshals should be able to clear that away without actually upsetting this race. They will cover it, undo, wave yellows for a bit. But what a sad end to Megan Bruce's race.
100%, and indeed when you're running so high up, and Bruce after that second place at Knock Hill, which really was the first podium, and now to see it all fall away, and it's heart-wrenching to happen at any point, but when you've only got 3 minutes or so to go, even more so. But still 2 more races tomorrow, and well, we can expect plenty more from Bruce then, albeit coming from the back of the field in those races. But as we look at our drivers continuing to make the way on around, with still what is now the P3 battle, albeit Wilby won't be aware of it this time around, although he may have noticed Bruce going off, but I think his head's going to be elsewhere, and it's going to simply head down and push on as much as possible and lead the pack on round. And well, as they make the way onwards towards what will be the S's once again, you can see all the drivers still staying very closely together as they make the way down towards the braking zone. Mate, it looks as though too wide here, and Wilby's going to defend in the middle of the road, but he's going to be sandwiched. In fact, he'll be gobbled up there, and that's the 28 of Bryant making the move.
Yeah, so Nick Bryant back in front then in their championship battle. Remember, they can't solve it all today, but they can certainly help themselves. Ryan will be going back to the outside. Megan Bruce will be out with the graduates as well. She qualified on pole, so they've got a bit of work to do to get that car back out and all fixed up. I'm sure DPR will work hard to get that done. As we're looking around the outside, Ryan Wilby does get that swoop around the outside. Nick Bryant's going to have a look down the inside then as they go into Hollywood, not making it stick this time. We're down to 2 minutes on the clock, so we're going to be starting our penultimate, or only a few laps of this race left to go. Ryan Wilby, though, he's managed to chop across the front of Bryant as they head down into the old hairpin then. Bryant looking like he's got it all the speed in that car, but Wilby is just not letting him use it.
No, not at all. And also, we briefly did see Kennelly there take a look up the inside to try and make it free wide, but decided to back out quite smartly, knowing there was not enough room to be able to do so. But as our drivers come up into McLean's here, all right, now 1.5 minutes left, very few laps left in the day of this race, but will be still holding on. And meanwhile, we can see Brian tucking back in. I think Brian now, Ben, from your perspective, do you think Brian's just trying to set this up and knowing that he doesn't need to be ahead on this lap, he needs to be at the end of the next lap, and therefore he wants to be in the tow?
Yeah, exactly. There's so many things that could happen. There could be a safety car thrown, a red flag thrown, it goes back a lap. So it's all about making sure that you lead across the line as much as you can. As Rob Kennelly looks to the inside there as well. That's Nick Bryant done very well to hold that.
Both of them, Bryant and Wilby, then lost the rear of the cars as they were late. They're braking ever so late, and they went straight across the chicane, managed to get back into the queue quite well, but Wilby's lost quite a lot of momentum as they are going to start their last lap then with Kennelly in that third place over the top. Keen and Lower, don't forget, are out in front and doing their own thing. Matt Hope has made some progress, and so has Larby. Larby came from the back of that pack now into second place, so that's fourth place in this race. So he's having a great end of this race, but at the expense of Nick Bryant, who now has several cars between him and Ryan Wilby, who's still going backwards. That's devastating for Ryan Wilby as Kennelly went down the inside and they all outbraked each other.
Oh, indeed, and loss of momentum, a loss of places, but meanwhile, the flip side of the coin, Larby, who started P12 in this grid, is currently on course for a P4 as they make the way through, but Kennelly will do everything to make sure he doesn't gain one more place. Rob Kennelly, who started P6 and really is in contention for some of the highest spots in the championship as they make the way up through McLean's. It is very close to them, but a bit of a run wide there as they head on the rise and coming up in towards what is Coppice Corner. I can see Ben next to me right now, absolutely standing hair on end, but we look towards the front of the field as the clock strikes 0, and it is going to be a victory there for none other than what will be Lower in the number 71. A fantastic drive by 3 seconds over Keane. Our two guest drivers, they're doing a fantastic job, but meanwhile, who is going to take P3 and what will be victory effectively out our drivers? It is going to be, as we see them come to line, I think, is it going to be Kennelly? Here they come, and it is Kennelly who just holds on ahead of Larby. Then it'll be Hope, Bryant, Merritt, and then Boys, Littlejohn, and Wilby to complete your top 10, and then it will be none other than Waitman who completes the run to best SPL. We still got more to come. Warnock there, Neil Warnock holding on for P17 ahead of Lower, with Cross and Bailey complete your top 20, and then we do have Crossman, Finlayson, and then I do believe we have Lowe and Gregor to complete that running order top 24, and then Soden will take P25, just holding on ahead of McCullough to the line there in their own little battle. But goodness me, what a race. And I mean, Ben, you must be thinking right now, you had your first taste of being in the commentary booth with Bas, and what a race to have your first commentary debut on.
Right, I mean, my nerves are shot. I can tell you it's much easier being sat in the seat of the car itself than it is up here. But wow, what a fantastic race, and well done to Charlie and Adam Keane particularly jumping up there. Great result to becoming second in your first 270 race. This is a grid of fast drivers, hard racers as well. So amazing performance. Matt Larby really flying through there, and in particular well done to Rob Kennelly, the man, the Donington man, the king of Donington, doing his best there as well. So great to see, and it's a a testament to what Caterham are building here. Rob is one of my very best friends. He's a groomsman at my wedding next year, and I met him from Caterham Academy. So the motorsport ethos, the paddock that you generate through Caterham is very, very special.
And as we can see on screen, those provisional results, subject to stewards' inquiries, Charlie Lower, your winner in the end by 3.3 seconds over Adam Keane, with Rob Kenley taking P3. Matt Larby just behind the end by 600ths. He missed out ahead of Daniel Hope, Nick Bryan P6, Stephen Merritt P7, Toby Boys P8, Henry Littlejohn P9, Ryan Wilby at P10 with that misfortune going the end of the penultimate lap, demoting him down to P10, but holding off Luke Waitman, who finished best rest P11, Ben Wheatley P12 on a great recovery drive after that spin early on in the race, and then James Emerson and Adam Waitman completing your top 14, and it was none other than Ben Wheatley with the fastest lap on lap 7, that 1:19.48, showing if he couldn't put it up to the front of the field, he could be the fastest man out there. But we're going to take a breather here in the commentary booth and make our way down to Ian in Parc Ferme to catch up with our drivers who've given it their all and hear their thoughts.
Well, here I am. Now he's actually got out of the car. Charlie, what a great race. What a shame, though, for Megan Bruce there. Her car did actually come back past us through Parc Ferme, so I'm not too sure what the issue was. But, Charlie, you were under a lot of pressure throughout that race. And, of course, when we lost Megan, it seemed to get a bit of a gap on Adam there and just controlled it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. They were obviously in my mirrors the whole time. So we were playing tactical and it worked. They managed to, they were definitely battling a lot, which was exactly what I needed. I managed to spring a gap and hold it. It felt pretty good.
It's been a perfect day so far for you, hasn't it? So,
at the moment, I want to master the 3 of 3 because I lost out at Brands Hatch. So going for 3 for 3 this time.
Top man. A lot of you won't know as well. He hasn't got the shoes on now, but he's got perfect shoes to match his outfit as well. I saw that a little bit earlier. Not those ones. He's got a different pair. Adam, let's have a quick chat. Oh, it's good to see you again, by the way, mate. Well done. Congratulations. Shame we lost Megan in the end there, though.
Yeah, what happened?
I'm not too sure. She did come through, actually, but the car seemed to be okay.
I saw a big wiggle. It looked like something on the steering or something. But yeah, it was fun battling her and Charlie, and we kind of lost everybody else for a bit, and then it was just me and Charlie was miles down the road, and yeah, there was no catching him. When he was
it
gone.
just a case saying, look, just take home second place? There's still more work to do this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, honestly, even if I wanted to, he was quite a long way up the road. So yeah, I was pretty much by myself. But yeah, it was fun driving with Megan and Charlie for a bit. It was really good fun. Yeah.
So these Caterhams are something else, aren't they?
Yeah. It's my first time out in this spec. And yeah, it's different again.
Won't be the last day?
No, definitely not. No.
Top man, well done. Good to see you again as well. Let's grab Rob, shall we, for a quick chat. Rob. Oh my word, these Caterhams, you guys, something else out there. That racing between the pack behind you was something special.
That was so intense. I think at the start of the race, the sort of front pack got away, and I was involved in that. And then someone spun in front of me, and then all of a sudden they went, and I was like, oh no, I've got to battle it out. And there was some battle between about 5 or 6 of us, and I think 3 wide into the chicane obviously doesn't work, so 2 people went wide. I was fortuitous on that, and then managed to hold on. So I've not actually had a podium since this time last year. It's only my 3rd one. They've all been here, so I like this track.
Come on, man. Well done. Go celebrate, buddy. You deserve it. Congratulations. Great stuff indeed. Right, almost time to go racing for the next race. It is the Caterham Academy, the green class. And I actually caught up with Sam Parker just before she's about to go out. So let's hear it from her now. Right, everybody, here we are at Assembly Area once again in the beautiful sunshine. Time for the Caterham Academy Championship, the green section. There has been a change actually to the timetable. The 7s are going to go after now. That was swapped over between the 2. We've seen her, we've heard from her. We're going to hear from her again because we're about to see her on track as well, Sam. Things changed a little bit with the timetable, didn't they?
Yes.
And of course that made you a little bit more apprehensive for this race. But how are you feeling now?
I'm okay because I'm here now.
Yeah.
Right, the car's on the assembly area. So I think there's a red flag in 270s. So. Yeah. We've got a full race restart for 270s because it was less than 2 laps, so I've still got 20 minutes.
So I was going to say it's probably going to go back to your normal time anyway, isn't it? Now?
It might well do, yes, yeah. But no, it's fine. I'm here now, so it's good.
Well, let's talk qualifying because I know you weren't too sure about the conditions this morning. It's bone dry now and you're 8th. That's fantastic.
Yes, hopefully I can get a good start. I've not been very successful with my starts for the last 2 races. Brands, I qualified 3rd, but got a terrible start. It was a really slippery part of the track, and I just had so much wheel spin. But I'm on the right side, well, I'm not the right, but I'm on the good side of the track here next to the pit wall where most of the grip is. So hopefully I'll have a good start.
Looking at your season, I was at Brands Hatch actually when you qualified there. It's fantastic, wasn't it, by the way? But you are getting quicker and quicker and quicker, aren't you? You're becoming a front runner here.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think now, because we're at the end of the season, the times are so much closer. At the beginning of the season, there was a massive, time difference between the front of the grid and the rear of the grid, but now it's bunched up, so it's, we're all very similar pace. We're all putting in quick times, so it's going to be really, really tough out there.
Sam, go enjoy it, won't you? Thanks for talking to us. Really do appreciate it. Yes, so for this Caterham Academy Championship, the green is Alex Coombs on pole. Harrison Cavers alongside Sam lines up in 8th. This is going to be an absolute cracker. Let's hand over to your commentary team to take you through the action. Enjoy.
And well, there we heard from Sam Parker in preparation for this Caterham Academy Green race, which is coming up. And of course, we've just finished our first race of the weekend for the Mission Motorsport Caterham 7 270R Championship. You'll see more of them tomorrow. They've got 2 more races on Sunday, but we've still got 4 more races of other series this afternoon. And of course, next up is the Caterham Academy Greens. And well, Chris, if the Caterham Academy Whites are anything to go by earlier, I can tell you one thing. We are on for an absolutely fantastic race, are we not?
Yeah, absolutely. And just say the show that they put on earlier for the white group was fantastic, and I know that the green group will be looking to do exactly the same. So more stories in this championship as well, sort of between all the drivers there. But here come the grid, so we'll talk about the permutations, but let's go through the grid for now.
And as we can see, then Alex Coombs on pole ahead of Harrison Cavers. The pole position coming by the best part of what is 4 tenths of a second. James Hall line up P3, joined on the second row of the grid by Aaron Oliver. Brian Thornton starts P5 ahead of Ben Snay, with Dean Burden P7 ahead of Sam Parker. Of course, keep your eyes out for Sam there, doing an absolute multitasking effort today. Charlie Nern starting at P9 ahead of Lewis Darling, who completes your top 10. And then we do have what will be our next set of drivers very shortly to walk you through the grid, but that's going to be your top 10. And remember, a big shuffle in the grid, given the very changeable conditions that we had this morning. So you're going to see a lot of drivers out of potential position, but that's only going to serve to help to mix things up. But as we continue to look at the top 10 here, we'll shortly bring you the rest of the field, which we'll see on screen, and we'll fill you in the rest of the picture as we do then come to the second half of the field. And it is Jeremy Skeleton who starts Bester SP11 in the number 27, head of Oliver White. We then have Steve Lorriman starting P13 with Jimmy White alongside. Daniel Crawley starts P15 on row number 8 in the company of Andrew Davidson. Then we have Chris Morning and Chris Hicks on row number 9, and then it will be Alistair Kinnear and Mark Stancer on what is the 10th row of the grid. And starting last but not least, P21, Scott Darling. Well, the green flag lap is underway, and Scott Darling will be at the back of the group. Meanwhile, Alex Coombs will be at the very front. And in terms of the championship, Chris, well, I mean, it's their final race of the season, and leading the championship is none other than, I do believe, and I'm sure you'll correct me if I've got this mistaken, I believe it is James Hall.
Indeed, yeah, we had Bruno van Dijk was leading the championship coming into this event. However, he's decided he wanted to go and do a Formula Ford race, and unfortunately that means he disqualifies himself from the Academy Championship, where it's all kept very even. You can't go and get extra race experience. So he made that decision. We'll see Bruno van Dijk in road sport class as they're going out later on. But James Hall comes in here as the fairly comfortable leader then of the championship. Alex is the person who needs to get win and fastest lap to overhaul James. Overhaul James, there you go, they've got James Hall in there as well. But yeah, so it looks like James Hall's got it all sewn up, but it is still within the reach of Alex Coombs to get that done. So let's keep an eye out for that. And if James has a particularly bad race and Alex does get that win and fastest lap, he may well still be able to do it. He's still fighting heavily though with Harrison and so that's Harrison Cavers into that sort of second and third place battle. So it's going to be again one of those dynamic races, and we'll try and call the points towards the end, but we will call the action before the points, and we'll then try and tidy everything up as we get through the checkered flag. But 20 minutes of this Caterham Academy green group action. They've had some fantastic races through here. You can follow, if you've been watching on YouTube, Sam's escapades through the Academy racer. You'll know exactly what it takes to be a part of the Caterham Academy. Remember, these are all brand new races. None of them had ever driven a kart or a car in anger with any kind of race license before the start of this year. They all bought their car from Caterham. Absolute level playing field, and one of the best ways to come in and start your motorsport career in the UK. We've made way more than sort of 1,500, 2,000 sort of drivers, turned them into racing drivers. So it's fantastic and very unique proposition. And remember, these cars that you're seeing here in the Academy can then be upgraded through 4 of the steps of the Caterham Academy, the Caterham ladder, all the way up to the 7 Championship UK, which is the first time you have to change your car. But for the next 4 years, they can use these cars and go up through all the ladders and all the racing you're seeing today. So brilliant enterprise, and it's fantastic. And we do generate so many racing. You can see Sam Parker in the Dutch Vonka car. They're just going out the right-hand side of your screen. So follow her in the turquoise machinery. We're going to hope that she can finish somewhere in that top 10 and hold on to that top 10 in the championship. She'll be absolutely delighted with that, I know, speaking to her throughout the course of the season. But who's going to make the best of it? Can James Hall hold on to that lead that he's got in the championship? Can Coombs do anything to overcome him? And Cavers and Thornton will also be looking to see whether they can be a thorn in the side of that. We'll follow along, but let's hope firstly that they will have a fantastic race out there.
Oh, indeed, that's the priority. Whether you have any favourites out there when you're tuning in, the one thing that's important is the fact that we are expecting plenty of brilliant battling action to wrap up the championship for this season in the Caterham Academy Green. And now as our drivers gradually snail trail their way into position, of course, all knowing where they've got to start from, well, there we just do now wait for the last few cars to get into position. And, well, when they do go racing, a track surface that is hot, it's gradually being rubbered in, and we've got plenty of sunshine here as well. And, well, it's the green class cars racing around a very green and verdant Donington Park circuit, but they'll be looking to keep it on the tarmac. And, well, they will now be getting the countdown. There's the green flag. It means the lights are going on, and for the final race of the season for the Caterham Academy Green, very shortly it is going to be lights out, and away we go. A car stopped there, and everyone, oh, goodness me! And it's drama before they complete 100 metres. 2 cars coming together. That was the 77. I couldn't quite discern the other. Everybody else able to make it away, but one of our leaders stalling off the line, and that has thrown a huge curveball in the works. But thank goodness everyone's been able to get away, albeit a little bit of a wobble there. Car out onto the gravel. Not quite sure that. Oh, and it's even more drama there as you have multiple cars go round there and collecting one another, coming out of Redgate Corner. And, well, Chris, we couldn't have predicted that.
No drama at the start then for the green cars, like you say, the stall car causing a chain reaction, and other cars then avoiding action. There was contact, and Charlie Nern was the driver we saw launch into the air briefly and then land down. He got back and joined in, but then Redgate further on, someone got just a little bit too wide onto the green, and that's a really slippy still out there. We've had rain this morning. We'll see whether they can recover all those cars back, watching out for that red flag just in case, but we'll keep calling the race until we do see what they're going to be able to do. So Sam Parker right in the middle of the action there as they head up into Coppice. Really tight action as the cars come out through Coppice then and down the back straight for the first time. It is still our leaders though. Hall into that second place then, and we've got Cavers and other drivers out there. Alex Coombs doing what he needs to do right now. We'll see him over the line this first time. Still no red flag, so I think we're going to keep going.
Which is great to see, of course, and most importantly that all our drivers are okay by looks of things, but too wide there as they make the way on through the S's, and as they come across the line, well, your running order then, it's Thornton who now leads ahead of Hall, followed by Coombs, who's lost 2 places since the start, Oliver P4, Snake P5, and then we do have Darling P6 ahead of White, followed by Cavers, and then Parker and Crawley. But as they make the way onto lap number 2, well, I think we might be seeing Cavers in particular have to make an absolutely colossal recovery drive, because he was the car that just stayed still when everyone else was going, and will finally found a gear. But now as they make the way to lap 2, I mean, Chris, now everyone's going to settle down, but I can imagine that for Cavers in particular there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, absolutely, and remember he was fighting here to see whether he could do anything about overcoming into that 3rd place battle. More tyre squeal I could hear in the background as we saw Sam going side by side through the chicane there, holding her own though, looking to see what she could do in that sort of top 10 area. And like you say, also Thornton making his way up through 4 places up that last time through to take the lead of that race over the top of Hall and Coombs. Then we have Oliver and Snape. It's going to all be changed as they head up and down the back straight. A little bit more spread out, but we still got these battle packs, and as they go side by side through these corners, you will see then the grouping start to happen again. But at the moment, Thornton is absolutely screaming away out in front ahead of Hall, and we got side by side Oliver and Snape as they go through into the chicane this time.
And an indicator on there, I think, for Snape, unless I'm mistaken. I'm not sure what's going on there. I could just see the brief flashing light as they make the way through.
It's Aaron Oliver. It's only a little switch in a Caterham, and actually it's really easy to catch it when you're being exuberant with the steering wheel. So ignore indicators during the course of the race. It will be a complete accident, and I'm sure that Oliver will try and turn that off as the course of this race develops.
Oh, indeed. And well, the only indications we've got here are some brilliant battling still to come as we do look there to number 7 of Sam Parker, already up into what was P9, but now back to P10 in a bit of a back and forth battle with Crawley as they come on down. Looking a little bit further up the order there as the clouds make the way of the Donington Park circuit. That's going to drop a little bit of the perhaps occlusive sun, but there we can see 2-1 as they come on down. Parker on the inside there, as meanwhile going around the outside was that Crawley, I think it was, like you say there, Chris, and well, as a result, Parker holding on for now in that P9 battle, but there's quite the queue of cars starting to group up behind, and already we can see how the field is now starting to split into these smaller pockets of battling. But to be fair, they might be a little bit more intimate with those battles, but the flip side of the coin will be it becomes almost personal in a way over the entirety of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Aaron Oliver who Sam wants to fight, and he's doing a great job to be moving up here. Looks like he's going to be moving up into 3rd place, and just behind Sam was Crawley. She's had a race-long battles with Dan Crawley all through the course of the season. They know they've had some fantastic action out there. Oliver couldn't make it up into that 3rd place. Louis Darling made some good progress as well. So you see him here coming out onto the start-finish straight, but it's Thornton who is absolutely disappearing off down the road ahead of Hall. Then Aaron Oliver still looking to see whether he can do anything about Coombs, and then it comes Snape and Cavers behind. So Cavers is doing a recovery job to come back through the field, and he's definitely been the man on good form as they come into the tail end of this season.
And as they make their way through Redgate Corner, I noticed Snape's licence plate there was High Roller, but I think the gamble was made by Cavers, who's moved up into position with that late run into Redgate up into P5. A lovely move there under braking. Meanwhile, we can see Oliver still tucked in behind in the number 10 as they come on through the old hairpin, chasing after his Coombs, and as they roar the way out, we have had a black and white flag already for Hall in the number 46. That'll be for track limits. That'll be a warning, not a post-race time penalty. But I think Hall, if he's not aware of it, will be starting to think, okay, now I've got to calm things down a little bit, and perhaps Thornton's just going to run off with this one. But whilst the top two might be breaking away, the battle for P3 is only starting to build its way up towards the proverbial crescendo. As you can see, Cavers there, well, of course, having started in what was P2, making quick work and making his way up into the top 5, but now he's got to try and get his way into the top 3, and well, looking for a move here up the inside down the back straight, and that's going to be versus none other than what will be Oliver, and onto the brakes, and Oliver leaving the space. And I think Oliver perhaps respecting, Chris, the fact just follow the pack through. Different kind of race there for what it is. Cavers a lot faster, and learn to follow his lines instead.
Yeah, Cavers is, he is the man on form. He's had a 2nd and 2/3 in the last 3 races, so really coming good towards the end of this. Oliver now looking to the outside, but definitely decided to capitulate in that battle to say, actually, I'm gonna sit back. There's Sam down the inside of Dan Crawley, then going to take that position back. That will move her up into 9th place. Great tidy move there into Redgate, but now she's giving the toe back to Dan Crawley. He's looking down the inside of Hollywood this time, so you can see the backwards and forwards action all the way up and down this academy field as these drivers showing all the skills that they've learned over the course of this season. But Thornton still out in front by 2.5 seconds the last time over. Sam looking again there, see whether she can go down the inside into Old Hairpin, not making it this time through. And then Skelton looking around the outside. He's got all sorts of head of steam, and he does manage to swoop around the outside of the Old Hairpin. Sam having an inside tuck to the inside, that gave Skelton the rune. And here we go with them battling more then. So another move up from Cavers there in the number 51. He was in 4th place as he went over the line. Looks like he's going to see whether he can take 3rd place away from the number 21 Coombs, and at the moment not managing to do it, but he's in the slipstream as they come down the back straight this time through.
And he's experimenting with those lines. He's throwing everything at this bar, the proverbial kitchen sink, as they come down in towards the last 2 corners, not even halfway through this race. And already Cavers is literally tossing everything at this. You can imagine that right now all he wants to do is clear this field and go chasing after Thornton. But first you have to get through Hall after all of that. And you can see Hall in the front of your picture there, as meanwhile Cavers now looking to the outside, very close there, and sending a message to Coombs, which is, this is my place, I'm taking it. And as they make the way through Redgate Corner, a lovely bit of manoeuvring under braking, and it is going to be Cavers around the outside, but Coombs isn't done yet. Will get the better traction off of turn 1, and as they come down the hill, what Indian Cavers does get ahead, seals the door shut through Hollywood, down into the Crane of Curves they go, and now Cavers up into P3, but how far can he go, Chris? I mean, surely now Hall's going to be looking in his rearview mirrors and thinking to himself, is that Cavers behind me? I swear we were long gone.
Yeah, I can't believe that there was enough time for him to restart the engine. I wonder whether he wasn't in gear at the start of that race properly, rather than being stalling the car. Unless maybe he just did get that restarted so quickly. But would have been a heart and mouth moment for him. But he is showing all the speed he's got in the late part of this race as he now assertively puts his car down the inside, the number 51 down the inside of Coombs there. This time he is going to lead them onto the back straight, but that's not always going to be guaranteed that you're going to be there ahead of them into the chicane. But he certainly looks like he's got the car with the momentum. He's got to hope that the other cars behind him, Hall and et al., start battling with each other, which is going to give him a little bit more comfort race. And that's certainly what's looking at happening at Oliver around the outside then, as he goes around the inside for Hall, round the outside then of Cavers. So lots of shuffling of the order, but it is Cavers who just sits out in front.
And as our drivers make the way on down towards turn 1, don't adjust your television sets. That's our camera going from out of focus to in focus there for dramatic effect as they come down into turn 1. 3 wide they go on the brakes, and as they do, it is going to be still Cavers holding on for now, but Hall's trying to come back strong here as they make the way on through turn 1 into 2. But through Hollywood they go, and Cavers right now absolutely refusing to give in. And I can tell you one thing, when he's been in clear air or in the slipstream, Cavers has been setting fastest lap after fastest lap at all. My goodness, Oliver there thinking he'd go around the outside for the Crane of Curves, and well, in the end having to back off and recognise the fact that yes, there is space out there, but there's not the grip to do it. But I think Oliver right now has absolutely said, you know, these tyres, they're going to be done by the end of the season, but he's now got what is their darling looking for the move, and Oliver I think has left himself open, Chris, as a result.
Here comes Coombs around the outside as well, so he's made a couple of places back up in the course of this lap. Hall slipping backwards this time into the clutches of Darling and to Oliver as well. So Darling looking around the outside, he's making good progress up through this field. Man that's never been short of a little bit of exuberance in the car as he's gone through the season, but looking at the pace in his car today, he's certainly looking to see whether he can get through and pass. There's a little bit of jinking and jiving we saw in the sort of snake to throw the toe, and it certainly looks like it's worked for him this time. Coombs having to sit behind Cavers in that second place, then it's Coombs, and then Hall drop back a little bit further, and there's Snape seeing whether he can do anything about them in front. There is a comfortable lead though for Thornton.
Oh, indeed. And another dimension to this battle for P2 through to P8 now is the fact that Hall has picked up a 5-second post-race time penalty for track limits. So it was a lock-up there. That was very close. Oliver almost into the back there of what was Darling. And, well, that lock-up just being manually overridden by the driver. And as they make the way on down, we look back towards what is Cavers, who's now starting to inch away as Coombs and Hall continue to exchange blows. But it does look as though Cavers being given the breathing room. But he's got a 6.5-second gap to close down on Thornton with only 9.5 minutes to go. I mean, they can say miracles can happen, but I think it's going to need more than a miracle here, Chris, to close down Thornton, who's just been allowed to run away with this. And his pace isn't that far off of the clean air pace of what is Cavers either.
And he's only managed a 4th place this season so far, so he's gone from not being on the podium throughout the whole of the course of the season to now jumping to taking that victory if things stay the same. Still got 10 minutes or ish to go of this race though, so lots to happen. Remember, Hall comes into here as the comfortable championship leader, and he has just got to defend away from Coombs behind, and it's only Coombs that really can have any effect on him. I think he's doing enough right now to make sure that happens, but certainly the action has not been comfortable, has it? He's had to defend, and now Darling is next up on the shopping list is Hall's, the rear of his turquoise car, and then Oliver's slipped a little bit in the middle part of this race, down into 6th place at the moment, but we'll be seeing what he can do. Hello indeed to Thornton as he's out front there ahead and sort of pulling clear like we see with Oglesby as they all battle behind him. Cavers does slot into that 2nd place, but he's disappeared off down the road.
And as they make the way onto another lap, well, with all this planning, of course, Thornton will want to just run away with this lead ahead of Cavers, given their scrap for what is P3 in the championship. And of course, we'll give you an update on that as we can towards the end of this race and at the conclusion provisionally. But as our drivers now all make their way on down through into the old hairpin, all line astern for a brief moment. And well, we now see there the number 25 of Darling just simply sauntering on there. And well, it must be said, Lewis Darling doing a fantastic fantastic job of getting stuck into this fight and really putting a thorn in the side of Oliver there, as further back you can see a little bit of a too-wide moment, and that, I believe, would have been Skeleton and Parker battling for P10, and, well, we'll be able to come to them a little bit later, but meanwhile there's the number 25 of Darling going around the outside. Oliver's going to defend hard on the inside, and in the end, well, Oliver will lose the place going on through Coppice Bend. A lovely bit of movement there from Lewis Darling, and now as they roll onwards down the back straight, but look further back there, not to admire the crow on the fence, but to admire those who are coming around through turn number 8, and there is Parker currently chasing after what is the car in front of, excuse me, Skeleton, I should say, but meanwhile they made it Skeleton, I should say, getting it wrong the third time.
It is October.
I will get it right in the end. Spooky season is here, but not quite, and as they make the way around, that's number 27 of Skeleton, just tucked in behind Parker as they come on down towards another lap. Back towards the front of the field, where you can see there number 25 of what is Darling just keeping Oliver behind, and now on the coattails of Hall and Coombs, and, well, Cavers has not broken away as much as he would like, and I think the slipstream just having too much of an effect to enable him to break the toe, but Hall now having to look further and further into his rearview mirror to see that he's got Darling right on his 6 and not letting go, Chris.
If they cross the line as they did a couple of laps back, I can't see whether we've updated since then. Cavers is just doing enough to get past Coombs in the championship for second. So James Hall still comfortably into that lead of the championship and the champion-elect. However, Cavers, with the fastest lap which he has, is enough to take him into a tiebreaker, and he's got 2 wins this year, so he will currently take that second place in the championship over the top of Alex Coombs, who's currently, they're tied on 143. We'll keep an eye on that. A little bit late on the brakes there from Oliver, just manages to scoop down the inside, and they all avoid contact between them and Darling, as we've still got Cavers having to really work hard to try and shake the attention of the Coombs. These are the battling for the second and third in that championship. Remember, Cavers has currently got enough done with that fastest lap ahead of Coombs, but we will keep an eye on that battle and keep an eye on those points as Lewis Darling looks to see whether he can do it, and he's broken free now of that battle pack behind. There's Thornton still sauntering off into the distance.
And as Thornton goes on to what will be his 11th lap of racing, meanwhile that's 2 by 2, it was 4 wide for a brief moment, but not Spears. That's Hall versus what is Darling, and is Hall going to lose another place? Tries to turn in, but he's got to give space to Darling somewhere in there, and meanwhile Oliver and Snape follow afterwards, and this is going to be a 4-way scrap now for what will be P4. The battle for P2 has broken away, and Cavers versus Coombs was they make the way down in towards the old hairpin with the second place in the championship on the line between the two of them. It could go either which way depending on who finishes ahead of the other and who's got the fastest lap to go with it, but as they roar the way up the hill and will come in towards McLean's once again, and Oliver keeping his indicator on there. I don't think he's figured out how to switch it off. I think he's got more pressing things to do, to be fair, as they roll their way off of that right apex of turn at number 7. That was a poor exit there from what was Cavers. Coombs is going to be looking around the outside, but does Coombs go for it now, or does he simply go for the cutback momentum here? I think he goes to the latter, and you can see that cuts back to the inside. It's a drag race down towards the S's once more, but Coombs just cannot find that final 5% here.
That if Coombs gets by this position now, he moves into second in the championship. Every time they swap, they will be swapping positions, so the order that they finish in, if they are here, is the order they're going to finish in the championship, second and third. It's still Hall out front with a 3-point gap, so hopefully he's got enough to stick around to the end of this race. But the battling there for Cavers and Coombs is what we really are interested in from the championship perspective. It's still Cavers out in front as they cross the line this time. Does Coombs know that he needs to get in front? Certainly knows that that's the car. Hall looking down the inside of Oliver. Darling also late, not as late on the brakes as everybody else, and they dive down the inside. Darling will have the momentum as he heads down through Hollywood this time, and we had a 3-swapperoo there, didn't we? It all changed as they went into the corner and then all changed again as they went out. But Hall in that 6th place is still doing just about enough to hold on to his championship lead, and this is where the battle is. He's late to Cavers there into that. Coombs will have the momentum on the way up the hill.
And brilliant bit of driving there from Darling, really teasing open that gap and saying, well, you can brake later, but you're all going to go deep into turn 1, and I'll just take the 2 places back, gentlemen. And meanwhile, we have got a further extension to the time penalty for Hall. I do believe now up to 10 seconds.
This could really start upsetting the thing, because he's showing 6 obviously in our timing screen, but he will be further down the order. I wonder whether that's going to do anything to upset his. I'll do some calculations, see what we're going to get out of that.
And well, whilst Chris is crunching the numbers, I'm going to to continue focusing on the race there because everything's to play for now. 3.5 minutes to go. And, well, we are looking at back at that battle for P2. Cavers versus Coombe. They make their way down in towards the braking zone. And this time it is going to be, I believe, the 51 of Cavers still ahead. Thank you, Chris, as they head on through. They've got a couple more laps to go. Both of these drivers absolutely giving it everything. Meanwhile, behind you can see Darling keeping Hall behind. And Hall, whether he's aware of it or not, will not be. He may finish on the circuit in P5 or P4, but it's going to be further back as Hall's going to look around the outside. They're really going to put the pressure and the screw in towards Darling. But Darling, again, just look at the resilience from Darling. I mean, it's incredible. Lewis Darling right now really showing that even under some of the most stalwart pressure, he does not will. Oh, that's too wide coming in towards the Craner curves. It's very, very tight, and Darling is still there. He's absolutely as stubborn as a mule, and as they make their way out of where's the old hairpin, Darling holds on to P4, and meanwhile now Hall and Oliver have got to look at this and think, what can we do in order to pass him? Well, the obvious question is you've got to go a bit faster, but you've also got to get more inventive, because right now we go outside or inside, although I say that I praise Darling, goes very wide there, and it's a mistake that's going to open this battle back up once again as they make the way in towards Coppice Bend. But look at Oliver now looking for an opportunity to try and get him versus Hall, and Snape behind just watching. And really right now I can imagine that Snape, if he could, he'd have popcorn in his seat and he'd be taking a bite out of it, Chris, for the simple reason he's got the perfect cinematic view.
Yeah, absolutely. He's watching on to see what's going to happen, and anything can happen at this point as this battle is raging on. As you say, Hall's going to drift down the field. However, he is being defended by Brian Thornton, but Thornton being out in the lead is protecting his championship lead from these two. If Thornton wasn't to finish there and Coombs gets past Cavers with the fastest lap, he would take the championship, but at the moment that's a lot of stuff to happen in a minute and a half, so that's unlikely, although never count it out. Cavers with that fastest lap is still protecting that second place and staying in front of Coombs. If Coombs takes that fastest lap, he can still take second place in this championship, even if he finishes behind Cavers, so it's all to play for in this final 1 minute 15. We're going to have, this is the penultimate lap then for this Caterham Green Group action, as we watch them as they tail end of their racing season. They've got the Autumn Trophy to do tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow, but at the moment let's get this action in the bag.
Oh indeed, and a quick off-camera update for the battle for P10 between Parker and Skelton, and it is Parker who's ahead at the moment, but they keep swapping the place lap after lap. But coming back to what is on our screens right now, and as we can see here, still that fight as that is Hall goes a bit deep and Oliver just behind, but Oliver now having to go defensive as Snape trying to take a little peek to the inside, but then looks back to the outside there, and Oliver right now being made to look left, right and centre. Meanwhile, we look back to your leader of Thornton. We haven't forgotten about him. He's just run off into the distance here, and he's galloped away to 7 seconds on the previous lap. Boys are going to be at this time, as he says hello there on the licence plate. One more lap. He will go on to a 15th and final lap here at the Donington Park National Circuit, and as he makes his way to his final journey of 2 miles of the season in the Caterham Academy Green Championship, he'll feel confident. Meanwhile, further back there, well now it is the final lap. Cavers versus Coombs. It is going to be the final showdown as they head into Redgate Corner, and immediately there you can see how Coombs right now trying to settle that cutback run, but Cavers sees it coming and drifting sideways there, Coombs. And well, I can imagine Chris now, Coombs is going to think, right, I've got nothing left, let's go all for it.
He's got to, and if say this position swap is enough for them to take second or third in the championship. We watch the Skelton and Sam Parker going for it into turn one as well. Skelton absolutely pushing Sam as they go. It's Oliver this time. Real good defensive move there from Sam in that top 10. Can she stay up in that top 10 to finish their season off in style? But it is Cavers and Coombs who we're interested in. Thornton just needs to sort of bring it all home now. He's got no pressure, and it is still Cavers who's got a nice little gap, but he's going to lead them with a back marker as well in front of them. That's going to throw the Catamucks, the Pigeons, as well as they go onto this back straight. That's going to give Cavers a little bit of a drag onto this start finish straight, or is he just going to be tripped up? He's got to get past this car quick, smart, and out onto the back straight. It is going to be Coombs with the momentum as they come down. Is he going to do anything about it into the chicane though, as we watch the final few cars coming across the line? In the background we'll see Thornton coming through. It is still going to be Cavers going into the chicane in first place. It looks like he's going to get that done.
And as for the checker flag waves, Brian Thornton comes home to take not just his first podium of the season, but victory. And behind, meanwhile, it will be Cavers who holds on. Oh, goodness me, what?
Thornton got fastest lap on the last race. That takes a point away from Cavers, and that means that he's probably going to drop behind. That might have been drama on the final lap for Thornton taking fastest lap.
Well, still, that drama in the championship. Cavers will take Peter on circuit ahead of Coombs, followed by Lewis Darlington, then Oliver, then Snape, Crawley, White, Hall, and then here comes what will be, in fact, Hall being demoted, of course, for a post-race time penalty. So Sam Park will be moved to P9, then it will be Skelton P10, Jimmy White P11 best to rest, and then Hall will finish P12 after that time penalty is applied. We've still got more to come here, and this is Lorriman versus Hicks in the battle for P13 as they both slide the way to the checkered flag, and it is going to be Lorriman P13, Hicks P14, and then we do have Kinnear P15. We have had finish a lap down both what was, I do believe they're the other member of the Darling family, Scott Darling, and also Stancer. We've still got a couple more drivers on the lead lap to finish this race, including Nern in a P16 in the number 77 with the license plate definitely hanging at an angle. I think that's going to be replaced after the race, and then it will be Davison who will be coming home P17 in the 44. We saw him towards the end, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is your checkered flag. 21 starters, 19 finishers, and what a race. And there is your race winner, who we briefly caught at the checkered flag, and what a way to wrap up the season for Brian Thornton.
And that fastest lap does deny Cavers then second place in the championship. Coombs takes second place in the championship off the back of Thornton getting that fastest lap. And it's going to be then, Thornton, it's going to take us Coombs and then Cavers in the championship.
Oh, indeed, and after 15 laps of incredible racing, well, there's a saying which is always a bridesmaid but never a bride. But for Brian Thornton, he never even got to be a bridesmaid all season. But in the end, he takes the final winner season, and what a way to do it. By 7.5 seconds over Harrison Cavers, with Alex Coombs completing at the podium for the Caterham Academy Green race here at the Donington Park National Circuit. Lewis Darling to an absolutely stoic P4 finish ahead of Aaron Oliver, who wraps up your top 5. Ben Snape P6, Daniel Crawley P7, Oliver White P8, Sam Parker in a back and forth battle with Jeremy Skelton, almost a skeleton again there. Let's keep Halloween to later this month, but Sam Parker taking P9 there ahead of Jeremy Skelton, and then Jimmy White best of rest P11 ahead of Steve Lorriman, Chris Hicks P13, and Alistair Kinnear P14. Fastest lap, like you said, Chris, on the final lap to Brian Thornton there with a 23.0 exactly, and what a way to do it right towards the very end, and what a race. And here's the replay of that race start. From your perspective, Chris, what happened?
Yeah, it's just that stalled car of Cavers that spent everyone scattering, and you can see Louis Darling had to come across, and it was Dean Burden, the other, he's been in the championship fight as well, has came together with Charlie Nern. Nern was able to rejoin, but unfortunately that was the end of Dean Burden's race early on. So yeah, just a concertina effect. Lewis Darling had nowhere to go. He had to run into the back of the other car, and that just squeezed Burden out to the outside, unfortunately, and the car not able to continue.
Indeed, a very unfortunate incident there, and our drivers did very well to react to it on the most part, no doubt about it. Of course, we also had drama at the race start, and in the end, we did see, I think, the car, the number 19 of Morling, end up very quickly retiring from the race. We also did have some other moments further on down. This was Stancer in the 60 early on, taking a bit of a rally cross line there and going all the way around. Yeah. But did he finish it for a 360? He did on the grass in the end. And we also had this fantastic violin, albeit a bollard deciding to be displaced there by Oliver's car, and well, showed just how hard they were all pushing each other. But without further ado, we're going to head down to Parc Fermé for some post-race interviews with none other than Ian.
They're coming to us. Yes, hello everybody, welcome down to Parc Fermé, and I'll tell you what's another thrilling race, wasn't it? Although Brian Thornton didn't see too much of it, though, did he? Because he was so far in front. Brian, congratulations.
Cheers, buddy.
I was just saying, it was a great race behind you, but you didn't see any of it.
I didn't see any of it. I kept looking in my mirror, and as the gap got bigger, I was like, right, pressure off, just don't fuck it up, excuse me.
yeah, apologies about language there, but I suppose emotions run high. You feel pretty good.
Well,
There's been a great
language, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, you said it, not me. Look, a lot of support for you here this weekend.
Yeah, it was great, and it was a great way to finish off a very challenging year, and the standard has been top level. Like, it's just been another level. So to win in this group at this level at the end race, I'm pumped.
Yeah, well done. Congratulations, Brian. Really happy for you. Harrison, of course, coming home in second place. We'll see if we can grab a word with some of the drivers. Sorry, I'm moving around a little bit here, aren't we? Let's go catch up with some of the other drivers, shall we? We've got Sam over there. I spoke to her quite a bit already. I think we've got a little bit of time. Again, apologies if you heard any bad language there, but emotions run high. It's live sport, isn't it? It really is. Let's just jump in. Let's grab the guys here, shall we? Guys, quick word if we can. How was it out there? It looked hectic.
It was good fun. Lots and lots of fun. So lots of fair racing. Yeah, really happy with the result. So.
You happy with the season?
Yeah, very happy with the season. Looking forward to next season already.
You're back?
So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
man. Excellent, good stuff. There you go. Yeah, remember the Caterham Academy. This is a graduation now, really. You can't do 2 seasons of the academy. You step up, go into road sports, so it's going to be something special, isn't it? Let's just move down a little bit, shall we? We've got Charlie over here as well. There's a little bit of damage onto the car. It looks like we've done a bit of off-roading, Charlie. I didn't see what happened.
Well, I didn't see what happened either. Well, I got a really good start, saw the line, and then I think it was Harrison that stalled.
Right.
So I think, was it Dean? I can't remember. One of the cars came right, and I got launched over the front of his car. So I drove the whole thing with my steering wheel sideways. I think I've got a power issue because I was braking way too late into the first turn and making it. So I was like, oh, I think something's up. I mean, frustrating. It happens.
But at least you're in here now.
At least I'm here.
Exactly.
I've gotten something. I think about it like this: free practice for tomorrow.
Top man, exactly. I like positive man indeed. Top man, Charlie there. Right, time to go racing once again, and it's time for the 7 UK Championship. I caught up with Harry Senior up at Assembly, so let's go hear from him now. Right, everybody, here we are back at Assembly. It's time for the big one, and somebody who's having a big time of it in the Championship of late, Harry Senior. It's good to see you again, Harry. And since coming into the 7 UK Championship this season, you're getting quicker and quicker, aren't you? And Brands Hatch is testament to that. And now you're on pole. Are you getting to grips with a car now?
Yeah, I kind of felt like I was getting to grips midway through the year, but then had some rocky results, shall we say. Had a big mishap just there at the Melbourne Loop in May, when I felt like I think
I might have been here for
I felt like I had the car underneath, and that was British GT. But since then, been regaining my confidence, and then we had Alton got a podium at Knockhill, and then Brands, it really all came together and was able to get that win, and that was brilliant. So hoping to do the same today. Perfect place to start. So
it is, but completely different conditions, isn't it? It was pretty grotty this morning, and now it's bone dry.
Yeah, so our main quali was drying conditions, and I took the risk and got on slick tyres and ended up being considerably faster than the guys on wet, but only for like the last lap. So big risk paid off. And then we went into Super Pole, which was a whole palaver, but ended up getting that by just a tenth of a second that time, but still enough, still pole. So perfect place to start. I know the other two, Donkin and Thompson, both have a championship to fight for. I don't.
Well, I was just hearing actually, was at your mechanic or somebody just saying, look, not too much pressure on you today, so you can kind of enjoy it.
No, I think I'll be the only one who will be enjoying it.
They might just let you go then, mightn't they?
Well, I don't know, either that or they'll take each other out and I can just drive off. There's a whole load of possibilities that I'd prefer.
Right, Harry, look, best of luck. Thanks for talking to us, mate. I'll probably see you in Parc Fermé afterwards as well. Yes, so Lewis Thompson leads the championship by 15 points from Paul Donkin. That is what is at stake in this race. Of course, there's more action coming up tomorrow as well. I think it's time to get to the racing action, don't you? So let's hand over to your commentary team. Paul and Chris, they're going to take you through the action. Enjoy. This is going to be a corker.
Thank you, Ian, and well, from hearing from the words of Harry Senior there, we now charge our way into the first of 3 races for this weekend in the Vertex Caterham 7 Championship UK, the top tier of the Caterham Motorsport ladder. And as we can see, Harry Senior and Paul Donkin on the front row of the grid. Lewis Thompson and William Smith on row number 2, ahead of Samuel Smith and Carl Jones. Carl Jones being your AM pole sitter, Chris Fraser and Wesley Payne on row number 4, and Matthew Armstrong and Gary Curtis completing your top 10. Then we come on to the second half of the grid, or at least the next 5 rows, and as we do, keep in mind there are going to be 19 drivers on this grid. Darren McCormack starts best SP11 ahead of Tom Edom, with Craig Story and Jake Swan on the 7th row. Row 8 goes to Matt Dyer and Barry Thompson. Justin Armstrong and Barry Benham make up the final 4 row of the grid, and Mike Evans starts P19 of 19 participants in this race. But what a mixed up field, Chris, and indeed plenty to look out for there. And we haven't just got, of course, what is our primes out there, as denoted by the blue highlight against their driver number on the live timing screen. We've also got your AMs out there, and there's a bit of a championship fight to be looked at in both classes.
Absolutely, and both the Pro-Ams and the AMs cannot sew it up in this race, or it's unlikely that they're going to sew it up. Lewis Thompson in our Pro-Ams is the most likely, but if you've ever won a Caterham Championship or been on the Championship podium, had enough podium finishes, you go into our Pro-Am class. If you've never done that, or you've come in with less experience than you into the amateur class, and Harry Senior did actually start this year in the amateur class, but but he was such as his performance been, he's done enough podiums now that it means that he moves up into the Pro-Am. And he said that means he's under no pressure from the drivers around him. He can just go and do his thing, and he's put it where he needs to put it, which is on that pole position ahead of Paul Donkin. Paul Donkin has to really be on the front foot, and he just comes in here ahead of Lewis Thompson. Lewis Thompson is the only man that can nearly get it done, or just about get it done in this first race. If he does get the fastest lap and a win, and Donkin doesn't have a great race, then it is still possible. But more than that, we're going to be watching that for tomorrow for the race. But this is, they again have 3 20-minute races over the course of this weekend. This is the top flight of the Caterham's here to this weekend, but also the top flight of Caterham in the UK. This is the national championships, therefore they're heading for the title of British Caterham champion. And our current reigning champion, Lewis Thompson, is looking to see whether he can do the double and do a back-to-back championship in this very high level. All the drivers here have multiple years Caterham experience under their belts. We have got a fully race-focused car here, 180 horsepower, 6-speed sequential gearbox, and they've got slick tyres on this machine as well. Absolutely thoroughbred race machinery. It goes around these kind of tracks at touring car and GT4 type spec speed, so going to be considerably faster, and you'll see the difference in the attitude of the cars as they go in. Looking forward to the racing action, and Donington National here, circuit 2 miles around here, always gives us some fantastic action, and I don't think this is going to be any different. Let's see whether they can get it off the line. It's not always easy with the slick tyres. Have they got enough temperature in the tyres? Have they got enough temperature in the brakes? Is everything ready? Who's going to get it done? Can Harry Senior pull away? Can Lewis Thompson do what he needs to do? Will Smith is going to see whether he can do anything from 4th place in the orange machine. Donkin needs a good result to stay in the championship title. Can he do anything about that? We're going to find out then in the next few minutes.
Oh, indeed, we are. Remember, coming in to today between Lewis Thompson and Paul Donkin, the 2 protagonists at the front of the field. They're equal on podiums, 14 apiece, but it's been 9 wins to a single win for Lewis Thompson versus Paul Donkin. And as the field all pitches into position, we are now only seconds away. The last car pulls in to its space at the back of the grid. That's Mike Evans in the number 93. The lights are getting ready to go on. The green flag will shortly wave, and we will be roaring away. There's the green flag. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, as the engines begin to roar. The red lights display, but who will be leading away? Well, here we go then for the first time this weekend. It is going to be lights out and away we go for where's the Caterham's 7's UK Championship as they roar their way down towards turn 1. It's a brilliant start there from what is Paul Donkin, who takes the lead of this race. Harry Senior falling back into P2. A little squeeze inside. There's Lewis Thompson and William Smith. Both look to try and make progress, but they're still fighting over P3. Run wide there from the number 75 further down the order. And as they come on through in towards what will be a turn number 4 via Hollywood and the Crane of Curves. 2-1 a little bit further down. Oh, goodness me, a few slides down, some cold tyres, but it looks as though so far, at least, Chris, Paul Donkin's been able to hold on to the lead that he's taken.
He had to go all the way to the edge of the track that time, though, to defend from the inside. He wasn't willing to let Harry Senior go down there, and they're going to go side by side as they come up into McLean's this time. See how much faster these cars are than the cars we've been watching previously, the Academy, the lowest step of the formula. Right up to the top, you've got Chris Fraser. Contact there, I think that's with Matt Armstrong, so they've had contact going up into Chris Fraser. Looks a bit embedded in that gravel, so can he get that car out? Well done. Yes, it looks like he can, but disappointing for him. He was having a fantastic starting position in that car. Harry Senior has taken over from Donkin, as has Lewis Thompson as well, looking to the inside to protect Will Smith, and then it's Smith, the 2 Smiths in a row, looking to see whether they can do anything about it. Will Smith has to capitulate, and it is Sam Smith who goes down the inside up into 3rd place then, as we watch here. Carl Jones also doing really well still to be up there and in the battle, but Harry Senior is going to lead us across the line. Our reigning champion Thompson is in 2nd place, but looking to see whether he can go around the outside. Then we got Smith, and Donkin's lost the lead and moving all the way down now into 5th place.
And as they roar the way onto lap number 2, it's 4 wide towards the rear of the field as everybody backs out there in diagonal line. Where you can see the number 22 of Curtis fighting hard with Story as they make the way on through. And the 2 AM drivers there both contesting what will be the top 5 of the AM class as they make the way onto this 2nd lap. But as the field comes on through, the sheer ferocity of these Caterham machines really on display now. As we can see a bit of contact, a bit of bodywork getting ready to flap away there on the back of the number 22 of Curtis, but they're able to steer clear for now, and that bodywork stays on for the time being. And well, hopefully no more of that comes off, otherwise he might be getting what will be at the proverbial meatball flag to come in and get it repaired. But as our drivers now start to settle down, well, we are only a couple of minutes in, but it feels as though at the moment nobody is looking to give way at all, and everyone trying to keep the intensity as high as possible. But at the front of the field, you can see up there, well, I do believe that is once again Lewis Thompson who's taken the lead back, and Harry Senior now under pressure from the 42.
Yeah, Sam Smith down the inside then as they go. He's not willing to give up. He goes across the curve. That was very close to a big accident there. Going to give Will Smith the run as they come up here in the orange machinery. Donkin also going to have a bit of momentum over the top. So Harry Senior, by putting his car and maintaining that position, trying to go side by side, he's cost himself a couple of positions as Will Smith swoops around the outside then as the rest of this field sweeping. You can see the experience out there. There's Matt Dyer over the top of the number 22 of Curtis there. Gary Curtis, our Monegasque driver, who's coming over here driving in this fantastic formula as they the late evening sunshine glinting off of their roll cages and their various colour schemes. Mike Evans made some really good progress up in the early part of this race. Remember, he started from the rear of the field and he's now firmly up into the 6th place in class and up there with everyone else as they head up towards us into McLean's once more. And we've got a Thompson just pulling a little bit clear of Sam Smith over the top of Will Smith, and then comes Donkin, Harry Senior, after that side-by-side moment. He was late on the brakes there into Coppice, wasn't he? But he's having to sit back a little bit. Donkin is not doing what he needs to do at the moment to try and keep this championship alive, and certainly Thompson is.
Indeed, Thompson at the moment, like you say, Chris, really just doing everything he needs to do. As we can see the Smith family members there holding on to P2 at P3 with Sam ahead of Will, and as they come towards the end of another lap and they roar their way past the commentary booth, in fact you can really tell the pace at which they're coming past us now as they make the way down towards turn 1 once again. Meanwhile, Senior there just taking a little look to the inside. He's got, of course, Jones now starting to close up behind. Oh, a lock up there, and that is on the number when it's 56. That was Story who locked it up on the front right but brings it back together. And in the AM class, meanwhile, whilst everything else is playing out, I do believe it is currently what is Jones in P6 there, albeit his coloration not correct on the timing tower, but Jones is leading the AM class by what is 3 tenths over Eden and Payne. We'll keep an eye on that as well, because the 3 of them together right now, well, there could be a bit of a thunderstorm between them before all is said and done today. But as the drivers make the way on through McLean's and now up towards Coppice Bend, where it's all about the momentum at this point in these lightweight machines. But now everyone's starting to settle down, and Chris, of course, you've had the best part of what is 10 plus years of experience at all different levels within the Caterham Motorsport ladder. I mean, when you get to this top level right now, does anything change in terms of momentum-based races? We see here Will Smith looking for a move around the outside.
Will Smith looking to see whether he can take that move around the outside, but no, it's all very much Caterham DNA, so the toe is there still. Maybe a little bit slightly less because you've got a bit more grunt under your right foot as you come down, and the sequential box means that there's less chance of you missing gears. We're going to go 3 wide in this top class as Thompson still leading. Will Smith still managing to hold on, swooping around the outside. Donkin does make up a place. Sam Smith losing out a couple there. Harry Senior seeing whether he can come back. But no, the actual DNA of this is exactly the same as a standard Caterham race. It just all happens incredibly quickly, and all the braking zones are shorter. You're turning around the corners faster. You're carrying more speed and momentum, and it all comes at you very quickly. But these drivers have been driving these Caterham cars for many, many years, and the experience there is showing as they all work out how do they get the best of all the drivers. There is absolutely nothing left out there on track. They are scraping every last little bit of time out there that they can, and Harry Senior making a great move up there into the 3rd place then. Sam Smith and Donkin losing out a little bit in that later phases, but yeah, all the drivers know how to drive these cars. You can hear the brakes as they whistle their way in this all highbrow, powered, fully race-focused machinery under them, as Will Smith now fighting hard with Lewis Thompson. So Will Smith came flying out there. I wonder whether Thompson had a slight error, because he lost quite a bit of a bit of ground there in that latter part of the race, in that lap.
Well, indeed, and I think you'd be correct there, Chris, because on that last lap, Thompson lost 3 tenths to what was Smith, and on this lap, it's even more as they make their way 2 wide now down to lap number 6, and as they come in towards turn 1, meanwhile behind it's 2 by 2 as they come. That's going to be the 42 there of Sam Smith batting with Senior, with Donkin just watching. And I wouldn't be surprised if Donkin right now is playing the patience game, because he's got to get past all this battling, but he's also got to make sure not to get caught up in it too much in order to keep that championship campaign alive versus Thompson. So for Donkin right now, it really is a situation whereby he's got to be smart, he's got to be safe, but also he's got to be quick about things, and that's not easy to balance as the battle calms down for a brief moment. Jones still leading in that battle of a P6 overall, or AM class lead ahead of Eden and Payne, and meanwhile as the further field makes its way down into the old hairpin, we see for now at least into the old hairpin everyone lying astern, but lovely to see all these little battles starting to form up and down the circuit. But we look here at the leaders as they come in towards Coppice Bend for the 6th time of asking, and Smith this time still leading, and in fact it looks as though for now, Chris, Thompson not deciding to push it too wide, although as I say that, he decides to pull out the draft and look up the inside.
Pure draft is what's costing him time at the moment. Will Smith able to sit in that, so he'll be delighted that his car's back up to speed after a little bit off song in the last race, but he's got that all sorted, and I saw him earlier on this weekend, and he's got a big grin on his face, also expecting his father for next year. So really happy times for Will Smith, and 22nd as he takes over, and number 27 as he takes over the lead. Then Sam Smith, we see Thompson now demoted back to third. Remember, Donkin has to beat Thompson and do it quite considerably to allow him to continue his championship charge. So Thompson's doing everything he needs to do at the moment. We'll do another points update as we get towards the end of this race, because you can see how fluid all the positions are right now. But it is Will Smith in the 27, the orange car, ahead of our current reigning champion Thompson, looking to see whether he can make it the double. Then it's Sam Smith in that third place, and then we've got Donkin, our other championship contender, in fourth place, not doing quite what he needs to at the moment, but Harry Senior also acting as interference in that blue car.
And as they make the way on around and head up towards Coppice Bend, well, Thompson really wants to get ahead. I think he would love to get away. It's going to be a little bit of a tap there to the rear of what was a Will Smith car by Sam Smith. And I think right now, both of the Smiths wanting to try and get into lead and just run off with this, try and deliver a bit of a 1-2 punch. But as they come on down the back straight, it's going to be too wide.
No.
Then will it be 3 wide? As Harry Senior says, don't mind if I do. Under braking here, and he goes around the outside, and Thompson is relegated down to P3. What a move from Senior. Now that was actually bold and brazen as ever as they head on to another lap, but here they come again. It's now part 2 as Thompson's going to look to the inside in towards turn 1. 3 wide they go, and well, in the end, Will Smith decides to back out. Meanwhile, Senior decides, you know what, I'm going to do it again because it seems to work so well, and it's going to be 2 wide all the way through Hollywood. Down they come in towards the Craner curves, and well, it will in the end see Senior back out there, but Chris, for a moment, Senior right now showing no hesitation, and now he's got to defend for his life.
I can't tell you how brave that move was, but he did roll the dice with that move as well. You do have to rely on your fellow competitors not locking up, not making a mistake, and not and being aware of that the move is happening to let that all happen. So whilst we're still only in the first 10 minutes of this race, I think that was a roll of the dice that he felt he had to make, but you can't make them multiple times during the weekend. Something will go wrong, and that's around that chicane, that's going to see you in the gravel at best. So you really do want to be careful with that. But he obviously felt at that stage in the race he really wanted to get back involved. Obviously we saw him lose positions. He's drifting to the outside again. Thompson down the inside. Here's Will Smith in the middle. Can they roll the dice twice? It's not going to work out for him this time. Will Smith does make it through, and in fact that's going to cost Harry this time through as he heads off. See the skill of these drivers knowing exactly where their cars are, not only their cars though, knowing where everybody else is. Tom Eden coming up to 4th place there in actual, or 5th in the actual race, 4th in first in his class. So in fact he's having that fight with Carl Jones there. Fantastic action here from these two who have also been around the Caterham paddock for a long time. It's great to see them battling for that championship then. Will Smith though is still in that lead. He's not had it comfortably, and it's Thompson rides on his tail. You can see that Harry Senior lost a little bit of momentum right into the path of Sam Smith, but it's back up to speed now, and if you're seeing whether he can do the same thing again down the back straight this time.
Indeed, in a good spot there, Chris, with regards to the Amley battle between Eden and Jones, with Eden taking that place over for now at least. But as we then come back towards the very front of the field, it's Will Smith who holds on for the time being as they make the way in towards turn number 8, and Thompson this time behind. Normally the driver ahead at this point on the lap, but deciding now perhaps to be relegated to P2, and perhaps deciding, you know what, if I can't hold on to lead for that long, instead I'm going to play the game of staying in the pack. But of course the one thing that'll be on his mind is that Donkin's a bit further behind now, and not really. Oh, goodness me! Contact there, and I think 3 tried to go into the space of 2. Well, in the end, that doesn't add up, and well, bits of bodywork come flying off of Thompson's car, particularly off of the wheel arch. It could have been far worse, albeit right now it has not dampened his motivations whatsoever.
No, he just got squeezed in the middle of a sandwich there. He knew he didn't have to go. Great skill to get away with that, only losing a wing. That could have been a whole lot worse for the whole of our front 3. Mike Evans continues to make fantastic progress, 6th in class, but looking like he's pushing way forward and is firmly ensconced in his battle as we go. Will Smith down the inside then. He's going to drift a little bit wide, but Thompson's going to hold on. That's going to give Harry Senior some momentum as they go through the old hairpin. Will Smith held on there, showing the confidence and bravery around the outside round the old hairpin that time. Did what he needed to do to hold on to that lead. He is resolutely saying, I am here. You're going to have to work incredibly hard to get past me. But there we go. He has worked hard, and up into the McLean's that time through. He does make it through. Harry Senior tucked to the inside, as is Sam Smith. They're going to see whether they can hang Will Smith out to dry on the outside. They're not going to have the opportunity to. A little bit of a wiggle there from Harry's car as he has seen his car as they go onto the back straight, and that's going to give Sam Smith slippery surface. It means that's a wing of Thompson's going to be sat in the way. And now it's going to be Thompson. It's going to be Senior down the middle in the sandwich. Will Smith around the outside. Thompson all the way down the inside. They get a little bit of a bump there, so Will Smith's going to lose lose a couple of places as they go through, as all sorts of exuberant spittle coming out my mouth. Such is the action in this, but I am not going to stop and apologise for that. Here comes Thompson then ahead of Senior. Will Smith seeing whether he can make the damage stop. Carl Jones is that battle of the AM just behind, and he's back in front of Eden.
Oh, goodness me, Chris. I mean, when we caught up prior to the racing today, you said that I'm going to need to look after my voice over the course of all the racing, how intense it is. But right now, I didn't expect the intensity like this. But they're absolutely going at it as they make the way down to the old hairpin. And Will Senior once again trying to step up here and potentially trying to steal away the overall win. And as they make the way on the rise up towards what will be McLean's this time around. Well, Thompson's got himself back up into first place. And Will Senior and Sam Smith gets it stuck in. Well, there is a move for a lead being made brutally by what is Sam Smith, but Thompson immediately comes back there on the cutback. All the momentum going this way and that, and Thompson defending hard to the inside as they roll off the apex there, and Thompson just wants to hold on to that lead position. Now that he's had a bit of a shuffle, he'd like the drivers behind to fight even more, and well, I think Senior would love to oblige him on that as they make the way surely not 4 wide down into the final 2 corners. Now it'll be 3 wide again. We're getting pretty used to that at the moment, although it doesn't mean that I'm going to be holding my breath as they get very close there, and that is going to be a lovely bit of a move as Senior runs a bit wide but rejoins there using the rallycross line, and as they head down towards turn number 1, it's going to be a look around the outside here from Sam Smith. Onto the brakes he goes. Thompson a little bit further back, and Thompson now tucks back in, and as the drivers make the way through, I'll tell you right now, we've got some track limit penalties applied, but not for these drivers. Meanwhile, further behind, a bit of a drift wide there. That I do believe was a bit of a slide wide for Payne chasing after Story, and they're battling for what is third place in the AM class, but meanwhile staying up with the leaders, and we can see their long snake train, everybody right now close up. In fact, that's the top 11, all now getting within 5 seconds of the leader as they come around through where it turns at 5 and 6 and onwards towards McLean's at 7, and coming into the braking zone. Thompson still holding on for now, but I can imagine whether you're Sam Smith or you're Will Smith, the patience you've got to have in this situation, Chris. I mean, well, they're not patient in the end, they just want to go battling.
It's about having speed, but also having speed you can use with cars not blocking you, not in the way. Do you shove it 3 wide? Do you cost yourself time? This is surely something's going to bust. They can't keep this up until the end of the race. They are closer than they ever were on the start finish, when they started on the grid. Thompson loses out this time to Sam Smith. Will Smith goes around the outside of Harris Eden, just denies him that. Here comes Donkin, still not doing quite what he needs to do to keep into that championship charge. But then next up is our AM class with Tom Eden right on the tail of Carl Jones as well, so they're having an absolute ding-dong. Here comes Mike Evans on his fight back through from the rear of the field. He's going to go and join that front pack. He thought it looked fun, and there's Wes Payne in his sort of multicoloured pearlescent car, but it's Sam Smith who's now taken the lead of this race. Can he do anything about holding the relentless onslaught of these cars behind? I doubt it.
Oh, indeed. And well, you've got to feel for Jones in the 11, who's now in P6 in this pack, for the simple reason he was comfortably leading the AM class over Eden, and because of the baton that's going up front, he's actually been sandwiched into this, and it's enabled Eden to come up. And surely Jones must be muttering under his breath, can you politely all get a move on, please, because I'm trying to run away with this. But right now, we don't want them to get a move on, because we're loving to see it here, and you guys and girls at home surely are as well. And as they make the way on through, well, now that is a notable bit of a gap being opened up there by Sam Smith for a brief moment at least, as Thompson has to go defensive there versus what is Will Smith as they make the way on through. You can see now Sam Smith recognising that, trying to break the toe down the back straight, albeit intermittently, as he weaves from left to right. And as they head onto the brakes here, well, it's going to be Thompson back up the inside.
Late on the brakes there, really late on the brakes. Managed to get it all stopped though, so he did it well. What a move.
Oh, what a move indeed, and we're showing no hesitation whatsoever as they make the way down in towards turn number 1. The blowiness of the camera there emphasising the speed at which they're coming into the shot, and as they come down in towards turn number 1, well, now Smith leads again for a brief moment into regular corner. It's meanwhile further behind, that is the number 64 of Eden trying to make his way around the outside of Evans, and Eden still chasing after one is Jones, who's now up to P5 in all of this, and Jones, your AM leader, putting Donkin and Evans between himself and Eden, but Eden's been able to get past Evans just that moment ago, and as they roar their way on down, well, we've still got 3.5 minutes left to go in this race, and well, the gloves came off ages ago, but nobody right now showing any signs of running out of stamina. And remember, they've still got 2 more races to go tomorrow, and well, I think they think it's the season finale right now, but who can blame them as they head in towards McLean's. Thompson back up the inside, that retakes the lead for now, but surely, Chris, they've now got to be starting to do a little bit of mental maths here and recognising, okay, how many laps I've got left and where do I want to be going on to that final lap?
Yeah, absolutely. The chess now game starts, although I think they haven't really got enough time to think it through perfectly. They're just going to have have to see what comes up in front of them and just put their car where they think it's going to work. Harry Senior to the outside of Will Smith, who just has enough movement to catch and move over the top of him, but it's still absolutely millimetres between these drivers as they swoop around Sam Smith's lost momentum. Will Smith's going to go onto the outside of him, and then Harry Senior, I think, might look to the inside. Indeed, he is going to. Who's going to come out on top? Donkin shoving his car down the inside now, so he's seeing everyone having a lot of fun up ahead of him. He's going to go and join in as they swoop around then. Redgate, do they all get out the other side pointing the same way? I'm not sure about that. As they go, Sam Smith still does lead this. He's led for the last couple of laps. He's doing a great job to hold off from Lewis Thompson, who's relentlessly on his bumper. And then we got Will Smith just behind them, and there comes Harry Senior then back up into that 4th place. So Donkin didn't manage to make it through and stick. His move down the inside didn't pay off as Senior looks to the inside of Will Smith this time. Will Smith will have the outside as they go around Swans, but that's going to be inside of McLean's. Is that going to work out for him? A little bit of a gap back then to Wes Payne, just a bit back further. Sam Smith still ahead of Thompson, ahead of Harry Senior. Will Smith, then Paul Donkin. I think Thompson might be doing enough here at the moment to take that championship. I will try and do all the maths after this race is finished and bring that news to you. But at the moment, it's looking like it is going to go back to Thompson this year. But Sam Smith can he bring it home? Can he take that win? Can Harry Senior take another podium in this great season for him? Millimetres between these drivers. Will Smith in that 3rd place, back where he belongs.
Oh, indeed. And when we talked about this being the top tier of the Caterham Motorsport ladder, you're seeing why right now as they go on to the penultimate lap for their first race this weekend. Down towards turn 1, 3 wide. It's going to be the 27 of Will Smith on the outside. In the middle, Sam Smith. And then it's going to be Thompson on the inside. As they come on through, he takes 1. Does he take 2? I'm not quite sure as they make the way down the hill. I think he's going to have a nose head briefly through Hollywood, but now it switches back into the left hand of the crane of curves. And Lewis Thompson says, no, you don't. And then in the end, he makes the 2 Smiths fight, but they immediately back out of it, knowing it cost them momentum. And as they head up towards the Schwanz curve and then around in towards McLean's, or here now comes what will be Will Smith looking for that potential move to take the lead this race, or at least force that lead backwards as they come on through the right hand. And you can see there Will Smith going a little bit wide, trying to set up the move of Thompson. Doesn't quite make it work, but he'll have some more momentum up the hill as immediately Thompson goes defensive, now trying to crawl the car on through Coppice Bend. If you could say they're crawling through here, it doesn't look like they are. And as they make the way down the back straight, well, we've got 1 more lap to go now, but this time around at least coming into the S's. It's going to be 3 wide behind Thompson. You can see Senior going around the outside. Onto the brakes they go. Senior with a little bit of a slide there and a bit of bodywork coming loose off the car, losing all that momentum. A small error costing him massively. Onto the final lap we go. It's Thompson versus the 2 Smiths, so Sam and Will. And as they come down 3 wide, Thompson defends the inside. Into the braking zone they go, and into the lead briefly does go Sam Smith. Meanwhile, Harry Senior behind, falling further and further after error, sliding the rear loose. There might be an issue with the car, but we stay back with the leaders here, as right now it could be a championship on the line and ended today as they make the way on down on through the crane of curves. It is still 1 is there. It's Sam Smith ahead of Lewis Thompson currently as they roar their way up towards the second half of this lap. Not much further to go, and I can tell you right now, Chris is crunching the numbers left, right and centre as they make the way up the rise. But as they do, coming in towards the braking zone here for McLean's corner when it's not much further to go in this race, and right now it is looking as though more and more the 27 of Will Smith is leading, but he's still got 1 straightaway to go. And then of course the S's before the final stretch. Can he hold on? Well, they make the way on down now, and as they do, in fact that's the 42, let me correct myself, there is Sam Smith, not Will Smith, who's leading this race. But here comes Lewis Thompson. He's going to throw one last cast with a dice. It's going to be 3 wide as meanwhile it's going to be Will Smith up the inside. 3 wide they go in, 2 wide they emerge. There's some gravel there as well, as it's an elbow out with the 42 as they charge the line. It is going to be Will Smith who takes victory ahead of Sam Smith, with Lewis Thompson P3 ahead of Donkin. Jones who takes the win over Story by a sliver, then Swan, then Senior, and then it will be Payne P9 ahead of Armstrong, that being of course Matt Armstrong P10. Goodness me, Evans and Ian will come on P11. A post-race time penalty demotes Eden down to P12 ahead of Dyer. Then it'll be Fraser, Curtis, McCormack, and then Justin Armstrong ahead of what will be the other member of the Thompson family of none other than B. Thompson, and then it'll be Benham. Goodness me, 19 starters, 19 finishers, and at the front of the field, where if you placed your bets that it was going to be Will Smith who takes another victory, well, goodness me, your predictions would have been fantastic, but what a race. And that's just the first of 3 races this weekend for the Vertex Caterham 7 Championship UK, but in their first race at the Donington Park National Circuit, there are the provisional results on screen. William Smith, your winner by 1.5 tenths over Samuel Smith after that absolute battle to the very limits on the final lap. Lewis Thompson takes P3 there ahead of Paul Donkin, and then we can see Cole Jones, your AM winner, P5 overall ahead of Craig Story, his second place AM rival. Jake Swan P, what was there? When the match is done, P7 ahead of Harry Senior, and then it was Wesley Payne and Matthew Armstrong who completed your top 10. Mike Evans best RS P11 overall ahead of Tom Eden, Matt Dyer and Chris Fraser completed your top 14, and fastest lap going to Samuel Smith, a 1:11.7 on lap number 6. And I'm going to take a breather. I'm going to hand briefly over to Chris. Have we got any thoughts on the maths here, Chris, going into our final 2 races?
Yeah, it looks like the championship is still very much alive and kicking after that. Then Lewis Thompson didn't do enough over the top of Paul Donkin, who got a couple of points extra for the qualifying position, and he followed him home today. So yeah, absolutely fantastic action there from the 7 Championship UK. I can't believe they got through that so well. Brilliant to watch, and fantastic action. Looking forward to the next 2 races and seeing how that championship's going to work itself out. Let's have a look at some of the replays then. There's Chris Fraser collecting up together with Matt Armstrong there. So Chris, they both got back into the race. Where did Chris Fraser make it back up to? Up to 14th place. And we had endless action down into the chicane. Harry Senior going across the yellow bumpy bits of that chicane there to put in to stop the cars, and he lost a lot of momentum that time through, and late on in the race he lost even more. He was firmly ensconced in that battle but drifted to 8th. 3 wide was the permanent situation as we just got a little bit too squeezy, and he lost a wheel arch there for Thompson, but that didn't stop his momentum. He absolutely then flew the car through. But Will Smith, the action didn't end until right at the checkered flag, did it? We saw this absolutely to and fro. I was trying to keep up to date with the scoring, but it was just impossible to do as they went across the line and changing each time they went around. Will Smith holding on. Here's that move again with this time Senior down the middle of them and Thompson down the inside. Sam Smith getting around past Will Smith, who had the uncomfortable ride there that time through. And it just never relented, and you see all the cars coming into the background as well, flying down that back straight. Here come then up to, it wasn't the line, this was Harry Senior losing momentum on the grass tracking back through in, and more action into the chicane, at the end of the lap. That was where we saw a bit of bodywork coming off Harry Senior. He lost a lot of momentum. This is where he drifted back through, but I think we're getting towards the end of the race now. There's Mike Evans trying to make up for that. This is that squirrely moment, and actually Sam Smith had to go the wrong side of the bollard then, recovered back through. Will Smith had the momentum round the outside, held on, made it all the way back, and you can see further back someone else on the grass. Absolutely hand over fist, and Carl Jones was in 5th place, I think, actually on track. But let's go down to Ian in Parc Fermé then, who's going to go and talk to our drivers after what was a fantastic race.
Oh wow, and a great race, wasn't it? From the Men in Black to Wild Wild West to Donington Park, Will Smith conquers them all. Half a second between the top 5 over the line. That was a thriller, wasn't it?
That was one of the craziest races I've ever done, I think. I actually didn't know it was the last lap, so I'm pleased I made that move at the chicane.
Would you have done things differently if you'd thought it would have been?
It's so frantic. There's usually you have a bit of a plan, and I'm going to wait till the end of the race. That was just from the lights out, flat out the whole way.
I'll tell you something, actually. Well, everybody is pumped, aren't they, here right now? You know, some people, of course, they haven't quite got where they wanted to be, but everybody's got a smile on the face. I mean, Lewis got out of the car going, that was amazing. I can't say what he actually said, but it's such a great spirit, isn't it?
It's a great spirit. The circuit really lends itself well to Caterham racing because of the slipstream effect. So it keeps everyone really close, and yeah, it was just mental.
Top man, well done, buddy. Yeah, great stuff indeed. Right, I do want to find, here he is, Lewis. I was just saying, you got out of the car absolutely buzzing there, and you didn't even win. Congratulations, though. 3rd place, and you're ahead of Paul.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, wow, what a Caterham race that was, eh? I mean, I hope it looked as good as it was to drive, man. It was.
Well, I was just saying, I can't actually say what you said as you got out of the car, but you were very happy.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I would have liked the win. Obviously, I think if we would have won, that would have put us pretty much in pole position for the championship. But yeah, I know, happy with 3rd. Obviously, like you said, beat Paul on the road. But yeah, I mean, what a Caterham race. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was a little bit feisty. You know, you'd expect that race 3 tomorrow when there's, you know, you've got the winter to repair your car, but we're all going toe to toe into every corner. It's feisty.
This is what Caterham racing's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's why we come racing, you know, to race. Yeah, it was just really good. Honestly, I really enjoyed that. It was. yeah, proper Caterham racing. I like that.
Top man, well done, mate. Honestly, brilliant stuff indeed. Yeah, big shout out as well, of course, to Sam Smith for coming home in second place. An absolute thriller of it. In fact, it always is with Caterham, isn't it? We've covered him the whole season. It's been absolutely brilliant. More Caterham's coming up. Caterham graduates now as well, the 150s. I was up in assembly a little bit earlier. The championship might have been decided, but second place is still up for grabs. And somebody in the hunt is Matthew Willoughby, and I just caught up with him. Let's go have a chat. Right, everybody, back at the assembly area, and it's the first race of the day for the Sim Motorsport Caterham Graduates Championship. This is the Sigma 150s. Now, things have been exciting at the top of the championship, although Jamie Elwood has already wrapped up the outright championship for a 10th, yes, 10th time. However, this man here, Matthew Willoughby, Bren Maud, Andrew Whitten and Rob Warner, they are all in the fight for second place in the championship. So I'm going to come over and grab Matthew for a quick chat. Matthew, it's all to play for, isn't it, still? Not quite for first place, but you're in the mix for second.
Yeah, first is gone. Second, it's for me to not mess up, basically. So, yeah, I've got a 23 and a 24 points to drop at the moment, so I need to do better than kind of 5th or 6th amongst the championship guys in order to improve my overall score because of the drops thing. But yeah, to beat me, the other guys need to really maximise this.
Bren and Rob are just a little bit further ahead, aren't they? But not significantly so.
Yeah, the car had no grip in qualifying in the wet. We tried all sorts. So, yeah, this will be the first lap I've done in the dry. So
you feel a lot more confident now that the sun is out?
Yeah, I always feel confident. Just don't always follow up on it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. First couple of laps, trying to remember kind of where the grip is in the dry. Yeah, the guys that tested yesterday had a bit of dry running, whereas those of us that have just been here today have only driven on the wet track so far. But no, it should be really good fun. Looking forward to it.
Right, we'll certainly keep our eye on you, Matthew. Best of luck out there for the race. There we go, good stuff indeed. Yes, Jamie Elwood already the champion. It's all to play for second in the championship. We're going to hand over to commentators Paul and Chris are going to take you through the action. Enjoy, everyone.
Well, a big thank you there to Ian, catching up with our second place driver in the championship going into this round of racing, and that being none other than what was Matthew Willoughby. But as our drivers are coming towards the end of what is their green flag lap, we've got the ticker bar there at the bottom taking you through that grid. But just to give you a quick run through, Jack Barlow on pole with Will Stelwell alongside, Max Haynes and Eddie Mora on row at number 2, then James McCall and Rob Warner on row 3, Brian Maud and what is Thomas Querdon on row 4, and then Oliver Smith and Matthew Willoughby completing a top 10. Callum McDougall in P11 ahead of Jonathan Ems, with James Sibbett and Giuseppe Fillet in P14, followed by Andrew Whitten and Ian Anderson, Peter Hughes and Doug Christie on row number 9, and your top 20 completed by Amanda Anderson and Charles Elliott. P21 will go to Barry White ahead of Christopher Raymond. Then we have Pete Wales and Andrew Johnson on row at number 12. Then on row 13, David Hewitt and Paul Vokes, followed up by Miles Clarkson and Graham Ewings, Edward Benson and Rob Appleton on the final full rider grid on row 15, and row 16 starting P31 is Matthew Binnington, and that's just in time for us to get ready to go green flag racing. And with all drivers on the grid, they're waiting for those lights to go on and then to go out. It is a packed grid in what is the Caterham Graduates Championship Sigma 150 race. The green flag waves, and with 150 horsepower at their fingertips, the red lights are on. But for the first time for their weekend, it's lights out and away we go as they roar away into turn number 1, and as they do a couple of slow starts further down the field, but a brilliant start there from what was all good to speak somebody around to the grass there, but they bring it back together, and as they all make the way in towards turn number 1, where looks like most of the field safely on through, though getting very tasty there in the battle outside the top 10, but everybody through turn number 1 as they make the way on down the hill now, and as they roar the way on down. Well, Chris, a safe start for many a driver, but now it's going to get tasty.
Yeah, 31 cars is not easy to get around the first corner. We've seen a couple of incidents already early on, some people drifting a little bit wide onto the cars. The sun glints off the cars, can't see their numbers as they're coming down towards us, but as this Caterham Graduates Sigma 150 class then, the tail end of their season as well. But Jack Barlow starting from that pole position looked to make a nice clean start, and it's Will Stillwell from second place in that black car. That's my championship winning car from back in 2018, so nice to see that car still doing up well in Will Stillwell's hands. He's back in this class this time out to see what he can get done at the tail end of this season. But they're currently leading the group of them as they head onto the back straights.
And as they roar the way on down in towards the final two corners, coming in towards the S's, will still plenty of fighting out at the front of it between Barlow and Stillwell as they go too wide here. And as they roar the way on through the chicane, in the end, it is going to be, I do believe,
will contact a little bit further back there between a couple of cars, then kind of drifting onto the grass there. They had a little bit of disagreement, but it was Stillwell over the line that time ahead of Barlow.
And as they make the way down to the braking zone, it's going to be 3 wide now as the 1-1-1 of Haynes decides it wants to play. And as they roar the way through, well, we leave them for a brief moment, folks, a little bit further back where the heat of the action really is kicking off. And as they make the way down to the braking zone, well, we've even got 3 wide there towards the very back of the field. But we can see the 15 holding on. But as the lead pack now roars its way on down through the crane of curves, a bit of a run wide there from the P7 car of what is none other than McDougall. Well, he's been able to bring it together just for now. And coming on through the old hairpin, if you're wondering why on the timing towel we are showing some cars with what is purple ticker tape against them, it's because you have to keep in mind that with regards to both the Sigma 150 class and also the Sigma 135 class that you will see tomorrow, they do have both the overall championship which they're contesting and also the trophy, which is a reduced form of the championship whereby trophy drivers are only competing a limited number of rounds and they have to nominate at the start of the season which races will contribute towards their championship squad. They can only nominate, I do believe, 3 rounds over the course of the 7-round season, and therefore you'll see some of them here today scoring points and others may not be, and they're just here as guests enjoying the racing. So that's the reason why you have got some drivers with what is the purple against the name. And for example, Will Stillwell, who is the Sigma 150 Trophy Championship leader, well, he's practically on course to wrap it up should he take this result here today as a victory. We'll have to wait to see what plays out over the distance. They make the way down to turn number 1 once again. It's Barlow this time holding on as Stillwell's fallen back to P3 and it's falling gradually. Meanwhile, outside the top 5, there you can see 2 followed by 3 wide as they make the way on through the right-hand of Redgate corner, and that is McDougall still getting right into the thick of it as they roll off. But as they do, Smith not too far behind it either, and then Ems, and well, Ems there in a bit of a battle with the likes of Sibbett and Quarrendon as they roll on to the next run of the corners. But charging up the hill, of course, we do have the 150 horsepower machines here, Chris. I mean, not the fastest machines we'll see all weekend, but not the slowest either. They're good at middle ground in terms of performance.
So these are equivalent roughly to the Caterham one, the 310 class that we've already seen out there racing. So yeah, in fact no, the 310's up next, so we're going to see these sort of same 2 format cars roughly in an order here. But just to point out, Quarrendon had his nose cone just fell off about a lap ago. Doesn't seem to have slowed him down. It looked like the nose cone went to the left of the circuit, so probably no issue, but he's clearly had some contact between the cars in front. But you can see how tightly packed they are as these cars come down towards again, resplendent in this sunshine. You can see there Quarrendon with that lack of nose cone, his radiator sat there out in front. It just shows also how exposed the radiator, I think that was Jonathan Evans going side by side through the chicane there, but yeah, show how exposed that radiator is as they go out there. If they do hit the car in front, the first thing that gets impacted is a radiator, and that is an immediate race over. A little bit of contact, body rubbing there. It looks like a wing has collapsed onto a tyre, and that's going to cause a bit of tyre rub, it looks like, and it's going to cost him. It looks significant.
And that's number 86 there of Smith.
It's gone. Yep, it's fine. Yeah, so it's departed the car now, so that's all the problems solved.
Oh, indeed, a quick fix speed, just get the bodywork to fall off at the end, and well, that we also call that weight saving. But as they make the way on down the hill and in towards the old hairpin this time, well, all the smoke has disappeared, and what remains, of course, is plenty more racing to come. As we're still under green flag conditions, our drivers roar the way through, and a wide variety of drivers on this grid, of course, with 31 car grid. There's a whole mixture of skill levels, but as they roar the way around, we look back up here to what is the fight of, I do believe that is the number 82 and the number 62 having a bit of a scrap, and that is Willoughby versus Willie Smith, and that's the 86 giving chase as they make the way on around the right hand, and they're fighting over what is P12, albeit they're in slightly different classes. And well, as the drivers make the way right into left, oh goodness me, and well,
Max Haynes and Will Stillwell going side by side. Will dive down the inside, and there really wasn't enough room on the exit of that, but Max Haynes confidently took his line. Will Stillwell had to take avoiding action, and somehow they will end up in the right direction, but that leaves Barlow to go take the lead again.
And Barlow now back into the lead, and well, Haynes and Stillwell just watching on from behind as they enjoy their little battle in the trophy class. Meanwhile, back there, we're still seeing a missing engine cover, but that's not going to stop the 142 there. Quarendon fighting hard with the 83 of Ems. Ems coming in hot on the inside, back up front. Well, it's going to be Lyon astern for now in the leaders, as Barlow still keeping Haynes and Stillwell behind as the tyres screech their way as they fight for maximum possible grip. But coming up the rise now, it is going to be a bit of a brief breather here in terms of the battling, but not for too long, as behind you can see Maud and Mora there are separated by less than a tenth as they made the way up through the Swans curve, and then the rest of the field follows rapidly. And well, for now it would seem that everyone's still in line formation, albeit they've still got plenty of the race to go, and I think everyone just now getting themselves settled into a rhythm. But coming out to the right hand, of course, a little bit of context with regards to the Graduates Championship in the fact that this is a parallel championship to the official Caterham Motorsport ladder. And well, for a bit of context, when the Caterham Motorsport ladder arrived in 1995, it was just the Academy series, but the drivers who graduated from the Academy, was known as a scholarship back then, wanted to go somewhere a race. We'll come back to that history shortly. Let's stop the history lesson here, because right now making history is a freeway fight in towards the final corner.
That was tight there, going again. Quarendon fully in all these battles. He's absolutely there. And like you say, yeah, the Graduates Championship set up to allow the academies, or the scholarship as it was back then, somewhere to go and race after their first years of racing. And obviously the championship, the main Caterham Championship, was built up over the years to be a full 5 steps of the ladder. But the graduates continue, and it's a fantastic place that you can continue to use your Caterham. If you either move sideways from that official Caterham Championship, you can have got plenty of places and opportunities to go racing in your Caterham. And many of the drivers I started with are on this field as well back in 2013 in the Academy group. I've got at least 2 or 3 drivers here that I started with all those years ago. It's nice to see them still out there fighting hard and still driving on as they head up here in the Donington evening.
Oh, indeed. And the thing, of course, with this being a parallel series or championship of the world, you'll see plenty of drivers here on this grid who are also racing in the other categories over the course of this weekend. So if you're seeing some similar names, albeit running different door numbers, there's an explanation for you. But as our drivers make their way towards the end of the start of that lap, we did see some progress on white on Elliott for P16 into Redgate Corner. But looking back to the leaders now, and still the absolutely intricate battle for P1 through to P3, and that is Barlow still running away up front, but Stillwell and Haynes, they're fighting over the lead of the trophy class, and these two are not backing off at all as they make the way in towards the opening corner. Of course, for what is Max Haynes, he's already used up all 3 of his sets of results this season, so he's really here now in order to enjoy the racing, and Stillwell has only used up 2 rounds of racing, so Stillwell can add points to his tally. Haynes cannot, as we're to understand it, but they're having a battle. I don't think they're worried about points, they just want to see who's the victor here, and well, we love to see that as they roar their way on for the old hairpin. But further behind, we do see that the 50 of what is McCall trying to keep McDougall and Ems behind, and well, they may be racing different classes, although that's not going to stop them, as that is going to be McDougall trying to go around the outside of Schwanz to the inside of what is McLean's. And as our cameraman catches up there with everything that's going on, credit to their work, well, you can see there for now it does look as though the move was made and McDougall has moved up into P6. McCall falls back, and now it's the pressure of Jonathan Ems right behind in the 83.
Yep, Stillwell and Haynes, 2 very hard races. You can see them on your screen now, side by side. Will Stillwell having that momentum down the inside then of chicane this time through, but absolutely 2 drivers that don't give an inch and don't expect an inch in return, and therefore their fighting is always exciting. We got a bit of contact over the curbs there from the number 50 of McCall, so he does a full 360 and no harm, no foul gets going. Got enough of a gap behind him to continue that, but there are some unholy little sort of blocks on the middle of that chicane, and if you collect them you can see how unsettled the car becomes. 360, off you go again, no harm, no foul.
Well, indeed, the only thing you will have, of course, is the tyre, which is absolutely, well, a set of tyres that are burning hot now and might be at risk of always overheating the tyre a little bit further, but he'll get himself settled down and cool down. But meanwhile, not settling down, that is the 142 there of Quarendon, who is absolutely siphoning at the wheel there to make progress past Smith. And of course, Smith, if you may notice a little bit closely, in the number 86, absolutely batting hard and enjoying it all the way through as they come on down. And also, just keep it in mind, around them as well is none other than what is the 112 of Andrew Whitten. And if you're wondering why his car looks like a bit of a strawberry, well, that's because it's been intentionally liveried that way in the fact they do have the pink-red base colour. You'll also see the yellow pips on the car, and also you will see a lime green roll cage, a stroke frame over the top of the car, which was the colour selected by his daughter, and he's gradually embraced the flavour of being the strawberry car. And well, to be fair, who doesn't love a good strawberry for dessert? And indeed, right now he's the definitive strawberry on the grid. But meanwhile, as we come back to leaders and we put the fruit aside for a moment and look at the fruits of their labour instead, we'll ruin their way down towards turn 1. Barlow now trying to break a little bit at the toe here with Haynes and Stillwell still behind, but look at that behind, and you can see Maud and Moore battling now for Pete Bohr, and well, it looks over the time being the number 55 holding on as Moore not able to get close enough, and I think under braking there a bit of a better run for Maud. Meanwhile, a replay here of what exactly happened only moments ago to number 50.
Watch the suspension travel as he clobbers those yellow blocks, and it just unsettles the car. Already on the absolute edge of the region, kept his foot absolutely planted, and that just spun the car around tidily as if he meant to do it. Just a bit of gymkhana and off you go again, and joined back in the race without losing too many positions.
Oh, indeed, he may not get any points in the championship for that, but he definitely gets some style points in the commentary booth. I think Chris and I both lifted up a 10 from behind ourselves as that happened, but the good thing is all okay for driver. But we also do look back here, it's a bit of drama earlier on, and well, that was a bit of a nasty moment between drivers, albeit we're going to come away from that replay shortly and back to your live racing pictures. So seeing that even further down the field earlier on, things getting very contentious, but meanwhile we still got the contention as that is Stillwell ahead of Haynes. So that's happened off camera. I suspect that's happened in the run into Coppice on this lap on the back straight. There's a bit of a run wide there from what was Stillwell, but here comes Haynes once again. These two are absolutely locked in the Sigma 150.
The Thorns come out of this battle a little bit. They're kind of working together now. They can see that they're pulling away from the car behind. You can see that he's not resisting that move anymore. They're trying to work together now to try and catch Barlow as they can see him disappearing off down the road. And I saw it into the chicane as well. So body language of the car is telling me now that these two have decided that it's not worth battling. They're pulling away into a nice clear podium position. They're not really battling each other, because I think you said that Stillwell, these points do count, but for Haynes it doesn't. So yeah, as they go off and up the hill, they're going to see whether they can catch up with Barlow by the end of this race. They've got a comfort gap behind them, so we'll just see whether they can manage that gap as they come across. But Maud, Moyer and McCall also, and Ems there, doing a great job to keep up behind.
Oh, indeed, and with the pace of this race not falling at all at the moment, indeed, it's the proverbial "the enemy of my enemy is my friend" moment between drivers, where you need to work together to chase down that common goal of the driver up the road. Albeit we also refer to it as 100+ mile an hour Morse code between drivers, albeit they're having to try and think what the other driver's thinking as they roll the way on towards what is the second half of this race. Still 7 minutes left to go, and here we do see what is the 112, I do believe, and that is the car of Whitten. In fact, the 144 there, my mistake, and the 144 of Elliott trying to keep Clarkson at bay with Flay not too far behind. And right now it does seem as though Elliott in P17 or P8 in the championship class really proving to be a little bit of proverbial cork in the bottle as they come down the back straight and in towards what will be the S's. And it's lovely to see whether you're looking at the front of the field or outside the top 10. We've got plenty of battling here, and well, as they roll the way on through, you have to keep in mind as well, Chris, that for what is this series and any of the graduates championships, these are seen as the budget championships, as you will, in terms of being very accessible and being able to run the cars that would run in the official series. So it is arguably one of the cheapest forms for a very casual series to enjoy.
Yeah, and the drivers really like that difference of motorsport's supposed to provide different experiences for what you're looking for, and the graduates absolutely, their paddock, and they really enjoy having that kind of more relaxed atmosphere, or perceived more relaxed atmosphere, let's put it that way, because all Caterham paddocks are fun places to be, I can tell you that, and you can see how much fun the 7 Championship UK were having, even at the top flight of the motorsport. But graduates certainly has a great place in British motorsport, and has been around, and it shows from how healthy this grid is. 31 cars in this field as well, and it shows how many Caterhams are out there, and how resilient the little cars are to be able to keep racing year after year after year. We were speaking before about you can drive these cars to an event, race a whole weekend, and then drive it home again. As we see Max Haynes, Will Stillwell still kind of semi-working together. Let's see whether Will Stillwell does force it. He does force it a bit more. I think they've decided they're probably not going to catch up with Barlow's 2 seconds, and actually pulled another half second over the top of them. So it does look like they're just going to have to get back to their feisty battle again.
I think so, in the fact that whilst they did gain a couple of attempts on Barlow, when they decided to make a bit of a partial truce between each other, they're not gaining enough time in order to really bring Barlow back into the fight. with the slipstream really being noticeable from a second and closing. And well, therefore they've decided, you know what, we'll just fight over the second place spoils and the lead of our class. But as they make the way on through it, meanwhile, we can see further on down the field, the drivers making the way on for the old hairpin. And there's Mora versus Maud once again as they head up the rise in towards McLean's. And then we do see McCall, Ems and McDougall still together as a three-piece, and they're still enjoying their own little fight before then Smith and Witten complete what is the run of your top 10, and will they're in their own little battle as well. But the field just gradually spreading out in this top 10 now. We have 3 pocketed battles, and then outside the top 10 is where everything's starting to get very contentious, with less than a quarter of the race to go in terms of time distance right now. And as the sun continues to set here, the rear lights on some of the drivers' cars right now, well, I think they can see where they're going for the time being. That might be a bit of an error there for other drivers, but meanwhile, back to the front of the field, Stillwell versus Haynes. They make the way down towards turn number 1, and this time Haynes looking around the outside, Stillwell just getting his elbows out there, and well, not giving ground anymore, Chris. Definitely, I think you called it right last time in the fact that Stillwell here, absolutely obstinate. Now, you know what, we're going to have a ding-dong battle all the way to the finish.
Yeah, they've had a great race so far, haven't they? And it looks like they're just going to continue to do so as they head into the latter part of this race. 3.75 minutes are left as we watch some battles a little bit further back down the field. The drivers, yeah, so 31 cars on this, and it looks like 31 cars having an absolutely fun battle out there as we go through. Watching the number 15 there, Raymond, as he leads this little pack of cars through and round Redgate. One of the trickier corners in motorsport is Doug Christie as well in that dark coloured car just there. He's normally has a little biscuit in his pocket ready for the end of a race so he can have his energy back. He's one of our older drivers out there, and again, there's a place for that in Caterham Motorsport. We have a vast array of different age groups all the way through all of our grids.
Oh, indeed, and we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow, perhaps, about the Silvers Championship in regards to some of the series racing here today, with regards to our older sportsmen on the grid. But as we stay in the here and now, in the present, whether you're young or whether you're old on this grid, there's plenty to be exchanged between our drivers as they charge off into the sunset there. That lovely view as they make the way onto the back straight, and we're looking here at what is the 171 in pursuit, and I believe chasing after what is the number 60, unless I'm mistaken. And well, these drivers being a little bit further on down the order, and well, as they make the way past our cameraman there, we're coming across line. In fact, that is McDougall versus McCall, and Ems in the rear of the picture, albeit it's going to be McDougall versus Ems here as Ems looks up the inside, and McDougall not really fighting this one too hard, knowing it's not the final lap. Meanwhile, the strawberry machine there of what is Smith's, and of Witten I should say, battling with Smith getting up the inside there. And as they roll the way down further on down the order here, we can see a bit of a move coming on through, as that is the 164 of Filet having to fend off the charge from Christie. And meanwhile, it's the 89 and the 144 of Clarkson and Elliott respectively. They go too wide through Redgate corner, and they decide they're not quite done yet, although in the end it is going to be Clarkson who makes the move happen. And back towards the front of the field, or at least back inside the top 10. Well, no side-by-sides at the moment, but the calm before the proverbial storm, as it always is. And then we do look back to the battle for P2, and well, whilst Barlow has gone 4.5 seconds off the road, here comes the move from Haynes.
Yeah, Haynes down the inside there. Will Stillwell resisting though, just chopping slightly across. He must have had just the amount of momentum he needed. It's hard to see as this nose on. We've got contact with 37 car there. So who's that side-by-side contact? It looks like they're going to try and untangle each other, but lots of body work hanging off there. And in fact, there's fluid coming out of the number 2, it looks like. So there's that car will have to pull to the inside, otherwise he will. That's Appleton, isn't it? Yes. And the number 37 has had that contact, those Ewings. So they're both having to pull to the inside. They're both cars damaged beyond repair, but will mean that the racing can continue with 1 minute. This is going to be on to the last lap, or very near to it. It's going to be close as they come across the line.
Oh, and indeed, it will be one more lap to be enjoyed. We'll get one more after this one, as we can see Stillwell and Haynes together. Of course, we now might have a little bit of a additional conundrum with a partial yellow flag at Redgate corner coming in towards Hollywood, depending on if any liquid has been deposited onto the circuit, any bodywork there, and the drivers. But glad to see that both of them are able to get away unscathed on that one for the most part, and be able to pull away off circuit. And of course, the wonderful thing about these Caterham kit cars is the fact that the body parts and that can be replaced very quickly, and these cars are quick to fix, and that means that if you have a difficult race 1, you can always get repaired for race number 2. Of course, it's another race for these drivers over the course of Sunday. But meanwhile, 2 wide, we do see Stillwell and Haynes coming in towards the S's. They're making a habit of this, but Stillwell holding on for now. But Haynes has tested every which way, and as they head on to the final lap, well, Barlow's running away. He's made his way out the bottom of the camera. He's a bit camera shy by the looks of things, but Stillwell here defends the inside, and Haynes attacks early this time, puts it in the middle of the road, gives a space in the end, and Stillwell backs out. Interesting interesting there, Chris. I think Stillwell deciding, you know what, I've got to make the counter-attack instead this time.
Yeah, also the yellow flag, don't forget, into that, so they had to cater for that, but equally, he thought to himself, right, the second place is good enough for me, I'm going to have the toe down the back straight, and he's proved that he's strong into that chicane. However, Max Haynes will have a little bit left over, I'm sure, to see what he can do with it. You know that they're not going to give any little sort of quarter in that battle, as we saw Barlow just going through our shot there, and a dispatch with a back marker who gets out the way. There is our leader. He's disappeared off up the road, and he's got a 5-second gap over the top of our lead, the chasing pack in that cup race and the trophy race, and Barlow had very little mistakes and just disappeared up the road.
Oh, indeed, and Jack Barlow right now absolutely in control of this race. He has been since lap number 1, and as he makes way on through, we look back here to the battle for P2 between Stillwell and Haynes. It is Haynes who leads it, Stillwell right there, and well, they've been back and forth all the way through, and it's going to be right now Stillwell gets head, a lock up there from Haynes, and that is going to prevent him from taking the position, as meanwhile it will be Barlow who takes victory ahead of Stillwell, who takes victory in the trophy cars, and then it will be Haynes who finishes P3 overall, P2 in class. Behind him, Moore and Ems, a drag race to line, but it will in fact, no, that'll be Moore and a back marker there, my apologies. But then we do have what will be Ems a little bit further back, and in fact, it's gone wrong for Ems, so we've lost visibility of him as they come to line. And well, in the end, yes, there's been an issue, and there you can see him, as meanwhile, it will be McCall who finishes P5 ahead of Ems, followed by Maud, then Smith, then Witten, and then we will have Sibbett who takes the final spot inside the overall top 10. We'll also have there Anderson, P11, best of the rest, that being, I believe, Ian Anderson, and then we will have Quarendon, White and McDougall through to P14 with what is a penalty for track limits to McDougall there, a 15-second post-race time penalty. That is absolutely punishing. And then we'll have Raymond in P15 ahead of Clarkson, Elliott, Christie, Belay, and then Hughes to complete the top 20. We've still got some drivers to finish this race as the checker flag waves there, but everyone has made it to their final destination, I do believe, in this race. And what a brilliant race there. The first of 2 races this weekend for is the Sim Motorsport Caterham Graduates Championship, the Sigma 150 category in particular, and there are your provisional results on screen. Jack Barlow, your victor after 16 laps of the 20 minutes, and well, taking victory by almost 6 seconds over Will Stillwell, who takes trophy class victory ahead of Max Haynes, who rounds off the overall podium. Eddie Moore P2 there ahead of James McCall, with Jonathan Ems P6, and then we do see Bren Maud ahead of Oliver Smith, Andrew Witten, and then James Sibbett. A note there with regards to what was Bren Maud's performance in the number 55 to keep what would have been the championship alive in the battle for P2 in the Sigma 150 championship. He would have needed to have won this race and taken maximum points. He has not done so, so therefore it does mean that as a result, Matthew Willoughby will have taken what will be second place in the Sigma 150 championship. And we also had there what was Anderson in P11, Quarendon P12, White P13, and McDougall completing your overall top 14. But as the sun continues to set here at Donington Park, what a race that was. And we still do have, of course, one more race to come, Chris. But as we do just wait for drivers to make their way into Parc Fermé, of course, they say you save the best to last, although I think that's unfair to say that given the quality of the racing over all 5 races so far has been absolutely superb. But we still got the 310Rs to go out on circuit.
An absolute personal favourite of mine throughout this course of this season. The battling has been intense, epic and relentless. So if anything we've seen so far, we're going to have more of the same as we're heading into this. I'm really looking forward to this. So yeah, if you're looking for a cup of tea or a break or anything, don't go anywhere. You want to stay exactly where you are in front of your TV sets or wherever you're watching, and come and catch on with this 310R action. I'm looking forward to it immensely.
Oh, indeed. And I think we are very shortly going to cut to Ian down in Parc Fermé to catch up with our victors and podium finishers from the Sigma race.
Yeah, welcome down Parc Fermé. We've got a very happy Jack Barlow. Before we do that, we've actually got Matthew Willoughby again. Matthew, we spoke to you before the race. Of course, unfortunately, it didn't quite go to plan, but we still think you've got second in the championship.
Yeah, I wasn't in gear at the start, which wasn't fantastic. Had a cracking next 3 or 4 laps getting through, which was brilliant fun. Started to lose my brakes a bit, missed my heel and toe down into the old hairpin, through the gravel, lost loads of places, and just decided to get out of everyone's way at that point and call it quits. So yeah, stopped with about 5 minutes to go. But great race. The people that were chasing me for second in the championship haven't had great races either. So
I suppose it's a happy retirement then.
It's not quite the way you want to do it, is it? But no, it's achieved what I wanted to from the weekend. Kind of.
Yeah. Congratulations anyway, well done, good stuff. Let's find Jack, shall we, for a quick chat. Jack, can we just grab you for a quick chat, if we may? Congratulations on the race win, and you were kept honest for a while, and then you just managed to stretch your legs at the end.
Yeah, so obviously Caterham Racing's renowned for being very close. Obviously the toe is an advantage if you're the chasing car, it's a disadvantage if you're the leading car. So I knew going off pole, starts aren't my specialty, so I knew if I could just stay with the front pack off the line, get into the lead and get into a bit of a groove and just let them, I was hoping they would scrap, which they did a little bit, just gave me that gap. So I knew as soon as I had the gap I'd be consistent enough to try and hold it, really, to be honest.
You had Max and Will going toe to toe, because they're fighting in the trophy section as well, so that probably helped you a little bit too. But look, what have you made of your season overall?
Yeah, well obviously look, I've come into Caterham Racing very late. Obviously I raced at Snetterton as a last minute entry, a bit of fun, wasn't quite happy with the car that we were running and stuff, so PT Sports have sorted this car now for this race, and obviously it's got good pedigree, obviously with Harry Senior, so and it runs really well. So yeah, great weekend so far. Hopefully we can do the double tomorrow.
Top man, best of luck tomorrow. Thanks for talking to us. Let's grab Max, shall we? Max, can we just have a quick chat about that one? Of course, you're going for the trophy race there too, but great battling with Will, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the same at Anglesey, and yeah, great racing. Shame we lost the lead car, but yeah, awesome. That's what we do it for.
That's what I love. Look, congratulations.
Can I make a shout out as well?
Please do,
Shout out to Sabrina.
Why? Who's Sabrina?
Just a special person.
I like that. Special. Nice one, Tom. Cheers, buddy. I like that. I'll tell you who we've got over here, actually for a long time, is Callum McDougall. Let's grab a chat with him. Callum! Hello, Ian. I thought I saw your name down. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Okay, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very good. But you got a penalty there. What happened?
Trying too hard.
Fair enough. It's a good penalty to get then.
But I've just been told, yeah, track limits. I'm not surprised. At the beginning there was a bit of a kerfuffle, and I ended up clear of a group, but too far away from a group that were all towing each other away, and I was trying a bit hard and went wide a few times, but I wasn't going to catch them anyway, so I tried.
What do you make of Caterham's?
I love Caterham's. Well, I do this every day, but this is the first time I've actually come just Caterham Racing. Yeah. So it's just a toe in the water, a bit of fun, and yeah, this is a great paddock, and that's just so much fun. Race Caterham's.
There you go, top man. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Nice one, Callum. Good to see you as well. Yeah, so with this, of course, as we know, with the 150s, the championship has already been decided. Second place, it looks like, being decided as well. There is the trophy race, and now Will Stillwell, who came third in that race, was leading that coming in. That's drivers select 3 rounds that they want to come and race in, and then there's a separate championship for that. There is another one tomorrow. Will did actually have a race in hand, so that might actually wrap it up. Ian Anderson was the only driver who could have got close to him, but of course Will's come well ahead of that one. Let's keep going down, actually, see if there's... Oh, we've got Amanda over here as well. Let's have a quick chat with Amanda. She's Amanda, before you disappear, are you okay for a chat? How was it out there?
An interesting one, because I had a good start and then couldn't get second, and then sort of had like a big panic on my hands.
Did you eventually find?
I'm not 100% sure. I might have just gone for third, actually. But everybody managed to avoid me and go round me. But I'm in an old Sigmax, and it just doesn't have the power. So when I'm behind them, they just push away, and then when they're behind me, they just overtake. So I had a good little scrap in the end, anyway.
You enjoyed. You got a smile on your face,
yeah,
mate. That's all that matters.
Well, the sun's shining, and we're here in October, and this morning was grim, and yesterday was foggy. So it's just been a dry race. So yeah.
Well, enjoy it, because tomorrow might be different. It's good to see you, Amanda. All right, there we go. The race over for the Caterham graduates. 150. It's got another race tomorrow, and there's a couple of races with the 135s. Watch out for that one as well. Paul Goldson, he just needs 2 points to wrap up the championship. We're not done yet, though. There's the 310s. They're about to head out on track, so I'm going to hand it over to your commentators to take you through the action. Enjoy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we arrived then at our final race of the Saturday, and here is the grid for the first of 3 races this weekend in the Motul Caterham 7 310R Championship. Tom Willie starts on pole position, joined on the front row by Duncan Mallet. Then we have Harry Cook starting P3 ahead of Andrew Murgatroyd. We then do Murgatroyd, I should say. Then we have Philip Bianchi starting P5 ahead of Freddie Chiddicks, who completes your 3rd row, with row number 4 going to Taylor O'Flanagan and Craig Denman, and your top 10 10 completed by Hugo Bush and Lars Hoffmann. Now keep in mind, this grid is massively shuffled due to their qualifying session being unpredictable with the wet weather this morning, and that theme continues with Harry Iyer starting P11 best of rest ahead of David Yates, with Gareth Lucas line up on row 7 in the company of William Wood. Stephen Lancaster starts P15 there on the 8th row of the grid, joined by Graham McDonald. We then have on the 9th row of the grid Jeff Price and Christopher Welch, and then to complete your top 20, Robert Bullen and Steve Metcalf. We still do have one more row after that, and we'll come to that very shortly, as we can see that lovely view in the background as well to set up the scene. And then on our final row of the grid, Alex Vincent and Ronald Mounsey, and that is going to be your 22 car grid. They're currently on the grid, but Chris, the thing about this championship is the fact we have a 5-way title fight on our hands here. Nothing is certain coming into this weekend other than someone's going to be champion by the end of it.
Yeah, we've got 3 races to decide our champion, and they will need all 3 of those races. I don't think we're going to see this decided until right at the end. Obviously, this is the 4th step of the Caterham Motorsport ladder. Very experienced drivers on this grid, and they'll have done hundreds, if not thousands, of laps around this Donington Park circuit. They know how to battle it out, and they've got the sun in their eyes. That might be a bit of an issue for some of them this evening, so they've got a late starting time for this 310R grid, but they've seen it all before and they'll know how to deal with it. And yeah, it really is it's built so throughout the course of the season over always the same drivers sort of fighting it out there. But a couple of those drivers, in fact 3 of those drivers, Taylor O'Flanagan, Hugo Bush and Lars Hoffmann, find themselves deep in the midfield. They're going to have to fight their way back to the lead group. I have every confidence they will do that, but Tom Willis was delighted this morning with the conditions and really enjoyed the tricky conditions, put himself up into that pole position. Duncan Mallett, relatively newcomer to Caterham Racing, put it into that 2nd place, and Harry Kirkauer, who had everything fully under control for most of the season, looking like he was pushing himself towards that championship, but had an incident which cost him penalty points at the last time out of Brands Hatch, which moves him down into sort of more in contention, so it just brings everything together. But certainly there's drivers out there that need to do some work, but they've got 155 horsepower under their right foot. They've got a few more revs earlier on than the 270s that we saw, and they've got a limited slip rear differential, which means that power oversteer is now a thing, and these cars are fantastically race focused. They're no longer road legal, although it's really easy to put the lights back on if you want to take it back on the road. Many drivers think this is one of the best handling cars out there, and let's see what they can do. They've been delivering the action all through the year, and let's see whether they can finish off in style here at Donington.
Oh, indeed, and keep your eyes out in particular for car number 19 starting P16 in this grid, Graham McDonald. I caught up with him in the build-up to this race earlier today, and he was saying to me he was gutted in qualifying. There was a lot of pace in the car. He enjoys racing at the Donington Park circuit, but the problem is 2 laps into qualifying, his throttle pedal completely unstuck itself, and in the end he couldn't use the throttle, had to come in, and therefore he's qualified entirely out of position. But there's plenty of drivers out of position, but he's not a championship contender necessarily, but he'll be a driver just going, you know what, I just want one last hurrah at the end of the season. And then you add to it your 5 championship contenders of Taylor O'Flanagan, Harry Cook, Lars Hoffmann, Hugo Bush and Tom Willies. They're all jumbled up on this grid, and they're so equal as well coming into today, Chris. I mean, we have 4 wins apiece for Harry Cook, for Taylor O'Flanagan and for Hugo Bush. We have no less than 10 podiums for Harry Cook, Taylor O'Flanagan and Hugo Bush either. And you've also got the whole medley of top 5s. All 5 are contenders. They're so evenly matched. And then you throw all the other drivers into the grid who are just here today to end their season on the ultimate high, and they can't be discounted.
No, they absolutely can't. You can, the top 10, top 15 of these cars, especially around here at Donington, can easily have a say in who's going to go home with podiums, and they have been sharing it out between themselves, and all the wins and the podiums all throughout the season. It's because they've been racing one on top of the other, all often on the same bit of tarmac, but mostly keeping it all stuck together. But let's see how they're going to go on. Their first of their 3 20-minute races over the course of this race weekend. You can see all the cars lined up. We have the green flag, so we're about to get the action underway.
Oh, indeed. And as the lights get ready to go on, all the drivers in position, and the green flag falls, and it does mean now we're at the behest of the timing light. All the drivers itching. They're all keeping their eyes on the lights. You can see all of them looking up out of their cockpits. They're all absolutely salivate at the prospect of going racing. But who is it going to be here as the lights are now finally going on? There they are. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time this weekend, our Motul Caterham 7 310Rs are underway, and as they roar away, it's a good start there for Tom Williams on the inside on the left of your picture, holding on to lead. Meanwhile, behind, we've got an absolute struggle to start there from Taylor.
Taylor O'Flanagan flew two off the line. He's going to be in maybe 4th or 3rd place as he goes in. In fact, Hugo Bush and Lars Hoffmann also making fantastic starts. So all sorts of stuff went on there. Murgatroyd got a good start, but it was actually Duncan Mallett who got the worst start from that front row, finds himself now down in 5th place. But yeah, Taylor O'Flanagan must have hooked everything up there. He's up into that 4th place, just behind Harry Cook. Harry Cook will definitely be looking in his mirrors now going, how the heck did you get there so quickly? What the heck happened? But as they go down and then through Old Hairpin, up the Schwartz curve and up into McLean's this time through, still nose to tail from this whole field as they head up here.
Oh, and as they roar the way on through, of course, everyone right now will be wanting to try and get those tyres switched on as soon as possible. And before the grip levels get up to speed for everybody, if you feel as though you've got switched on, this is the time to make those places before the field starts to settle in and you get the ding-dong battle of the momentum racing. But as they roar the way now onto the back straight, we can see it there. Willie's still holding on towards the front of the field, albeit it's going to fan out to 3 wide here as they come on down for a brief moment. But Willie's holds the inside line there as they make the way under, braking around the outside. However,
that's Willis round the outside, got Cook in 2nd place. Murgatroyd now back down to 3rd, then Taylor O'Flanagan. They've been swapping every single corner so far. It's hard to keep up, but Willis in the aluminium coloured car is in the lead. That's Harry Cook, who was leading comfortably the championship coming into Brands Hatch, but the penalty points cost him. He now finds himself in the lead. Duncan Mallett, after that poor start, shoving it down the inside of Murgatroyd and Taylor O'Flanagan. Hugo Bush having to do a bit of avoidance action, so they can see they're all reshuffling already. The cream is rising to the top, and all these drivers, Harry Cook and Tom Willis, though, they might decide to try and work together to keep them clear of the chasing pack.
Oh, indeed, and it really will be the case of whether they work together or not. If they can, then they'll have a two-way fight to win all the way to the end. But worth noting there, that tiny bit of a tap to the rear of O'Flanagan's car in his battle with Bush and Mallett, when they're able to avoid losing the rear of the car and any potential additional oversteer that came with it. But as the field now comes towards the second half of its second lap here, and these laps are going to come thick and fast, you can see how this top 10 not settling down too much at the moment, as we do have there what is the number 3 and the number 55. That is Wood trying to fight his way around the inside of Aya, and does so just about, but runs a little bit deep coming out of Coppice Bend. That's not going to work out this time. Front of the field, meanwhile, Willis still holding on there at the very front in the battle with Cook and Murgatroyd. But as they come down towards the braking zone, well, it's all going to be about swaps and quick exchanges here as they roar the way on through the S's, and a lovely move there being made for what was, I do believe, Hoffman moving up to P7, getting 2 places ahead of Yates and McDonald.
Yeah, so Hoffman's moving up that time through, and we were watching the battle there of McDonald. So the driver you spoke to beforehand having a battle there with Freddie Chiddicks. He was our Academy and 270 champion, so driver not having such fun in this particular race. Gareth Lucas back with us in the number 10 car as well, so great to see him out on the track once more again, as Taylor O'Flanagan down the inside of Murgatroyd. Then there's Lars Hoffman, who said he's moving up there, and he is indeed in his Motul sponsored Caterham there in this Motul sponsored series as well. But Taylor O'Flanagan doing what he needed to do to get up into this lead battle, but unfortunately he's got a bit of a gap in front of him now. He's going to be working to try and minimise the impact of that. So Duncan Mallett's just in front of him, so Taylor O'Flanagan in the yellow machine, Murgatroyd in the green, then you have Lars Hoffman, then David Yates coming to see what he can do from deep in the field in the number 15 car, the Map Live Motorsport car. Yeah, Hoffman's going to be held out to the outside, but he's going to have the toe of Murgatroyd as they head onto the back straight, so I think he will get that position defended. But Willis and Cook still working together, but his next up is Hugo Bush, also coming from the mid-pack of the starting grid to make his way all the way up to 3rd place. So the drivers who we're expecting to see at the front of this grid are pretty much all there now.
Oh, indeed, they're all starting to take centre stage in terms of this dramatic end to the season, potentially, as they roar their way into what will be the second quarter of this race shortly. But here comes the move up the inside into Endgate corner. It's going to be Bush and Willis. Willis on the outside, the right of your picture, Bush on the inside. Meanwhile, the rest of the field 2-1 as well. Goodness me, there's barely any room there. As you can see, number 11 O'Flanagan in the made to go outside, and that was a lovely move being made up the inside there. But I believe that was Yates making some more progress there as they now make the way down the hill, and as they do through the craner curves in towards the old hairpin, well, now it's all going to be about settling down for a brief moment. But our leaders from lap to lap and corner to corner, constantly exchanging place at the moment. It's going to cost them time, but to be fair, we don't mind that. You guys and girls at home don't mind that, because it means there's even more battling.
Taylor O'Flanagan will want to get, after that great start, he does now find himself back in 6th place, which means that he's seeing his championship rivals now disappear off into the group that's in front of him. So he's going to be panicking a little bit at this stage just to make sure that he can get back towards that group by the end of this race. Still plenty of time left, still plenty of time to get back across gaps. But here Hugo Bush is now our new leader, ahead of Cook, who jinks out of the slipstream. Taylor O'Flanagan has found a way round the outside of everyone, round the outside of Murgatroyd. We're going 4 wide with Duncan Mallett down the inside. Hugo Bush pulls out of that move. Duncan Mallett's going to persevere, but Harry Cook does make it around the outside outside. Tom Willis not got anywhere to go and pushes Hugo Bush onto the greenery. Murgatroyd's got a head of steam as they come down the start-finish straight. A little bit of contact there between Tom Willis and Hugo Bush. Taylor Flanagan is down the inside, 3 wide. Murgatroyd round the outside. Taylor Flanagan's going to take the sweeping line around but our new leader after all that is Harry Cook. Duncan Mallett is in second place. Hugo Bush third. Then we've got Murgatroyd, Taylor Flanagan and normal drivers of Hoffman there in the red car as well. Oh, crikey, O'Reilly, this is going to be an intense race, isn't it?
Oh, it is, and Willie's been elbowed all the way back down to what is there in that long line, down to P8 in the running order. And look at this, you've now got the top 13 all together going on through the old hairpins where all this fighting's playing. It's just bringing more and more in terms of the battle, and right now it could be anybody's opportunity. You never know what could come all the way to the end. But as the field gradually makes its way through the old hairpin, we look back towards the front and it's side by side again. This is Bush battling hard with the number 4 of Mallet as they come in towards Coppice Bend. And Mallet looking for the cutback here, being very smart is Duncan as they make the way through, but can't get it settled down in time. Gets on a power oversteer, and as they come on down the back straight, you can see now they all fan out here, all want an opportunity. Murgatroyd looking for an opportunity to get ahead. Yes, he does, but also here comes Hoffman, and also where's O'Flanagan? They brake hard, and Murgatroyd literally braked as late as he dares on the inside as O'Flanagan's the suspension ricochets off the apex curb, and as they head onto another lap, you can see now with Cook leading, he's trying to brake as much of the tyre as possible. He doesn't want Bush anywhere near him. Murgatroyd up to P3, and O'Flanagan, Hoffman now sharing the spoils in the fight for P4. Further back, 3 wide there, and that is Willis, and also what is there? I do believe, unless I'm
David Yates McDonald,
Yates McDonald being swallowed up in that fight.
Yeah, so Willis doing what he needs to do, Taylor Flanagan doing what he needs to do, but Willis has got in front of that chase group again after being 8th place, finds himself 6 over the line, I think probably about 4th or 5th now, as he watched Yates and McDonald going side by side through the old hairpin. That's going to cost them both a little bit of time and momentum, so you'll see the chase group then catching up. Cook and Bush are out in front. Murgatroyd isn't part of this championship battle, so he is acting as interference there. He's just going to look to see whether he can take a trophy home as the evening sun glints off these cars and drivers. Hugo Bush out in front, then it's Cook doing what he needs to do really at the moment in that 2nd place. Then it's Taylor Flanagan now finding himself up into 3rd place, demoting Murgatroyd after that lap, and where's Hoffman? Hoffman's just behind Murgatroyd in the green car, and then I think it's Willis. So it is an unusual affair. The usual cars out front now, they have fought their way through this battle. The only driver that's not always there is Murgatroyd, and you can see Hoffman seeing whether he could go around the outside, took to the grass, and a little bit of contact there as Murgatroyd squeezed him and showed him the edge of the track. He's going to have a little bit of a wound there that he's going to want to get his own back for, but here comes Willis as well. Then a little bit of a gap back to McDonald, who's headed over Yates after that issue we saw down at the old hairpin last time.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic racing here, and meanwhile further back, I mean, this is towards the tail end of the top 10 and outside of it, and it is all coming to blows here, albeit they're all keeping it relatively clean so far, and please continue to do so, lads, because we absolutely love to see it as they make the way on down for the crater curbs. We look back to the lead battle here of Cook and Bush, and where you can see that O'Flanagan now, his sights firmly on it, but the problem is, can he get close enough without Murgatroyd and Hoffman pulling him back in? A bit of a slow run there, intriguingly, for what was Cook, and that's going to enable Bush to get along the inside, albeit force the outside going into McLean's. That might be a bit of a tactical run there in order to make things work, and you can see there Cook absolutely nailing that defense, and Bush wanted to cut back but came too high on the apex curb and had to back off there because the front right suspension started to compress quite heavily, but as they make the way on around through turn at none. But I think Cook now, when you say so, Chris, really starting to experiment where he can put the car to frustrate Bush and perhaps in a way push him backwards.
A little bit of body language there of the cars. They were almost working together, but then Cook decided that the gap to Taylor Flanagan wasn't big enough, so he then ended up putting his car and persevering with that position. He's worked out mostly throughout this year how to defend from this pack of cars behind him. He's probably led most laps of all of these drivers, and but he is across the line in the British Fossils car there, and it's Taylor Flanagan though who's making that move, and Willis, you can see now, side by side with Hoffman as they went into turn 1. Did he make it through? No, but it is these cars. Murgatroyd, I said he was the one acting as interference. They've spat him out the back of the group, and it is now back to our 5 championship contenders in the top 5 spots of this. We have seen this all year, and it's just unbelievable stuff that is continuing here. And welcome to Donington National with all the tow that this generates. The chicane is always drama filled, and let's see how we do it as we watch Harry Eyre go through there over the number 92 of Bianchi, who started off well in qualifying, but it looks like he's just lost a bit of speed as this race has gone on. Cook heads them ahead of Bush. Taylor O'Flanagan, then Willis has got past Hoffman. Hoffman is in the red car at the rear of this top 5 for championship contenders, all at the front of this race.
Oh, indeed, absolutely fantastic racing, and a little bit of a notable trivia with regards to Hoffman. I spoke to him earlier on today, and he was saying to me he has never won whenever he's raced at Donington Park. Regardless of what he's racing, he's never won. He's chasing his first ever Donington Park win. Well, that's going to be a little bit up the road for him right now as Cook and Bush once again go side by side, but they swap the places around this time as they make the way onto another lap, roaring their way onto what will be lap number 9, and we've got plenty more to tick up here, ladies and gentlemen, as they head in towards turn 1, and there he comes, and coming through the middle, it's O'Flanagan, but he can't quite find a way to make it 3 wide. What he can do is put some pressure down to Bush. Meanwhile, Willies and Hoffman have swapped places. Willies now to P4, Hoffman back to P5. Murgatroyd just watching on, like you said only moments ago, Chris, have really been forced out of this battle, but that top 5 right now, relentless, and there is move. O'Flanagan gets into P2, and Bush now looking very vulnerable as a bit of a wide, what was there, Willies, it's now the pressure on Hoffman. I mean, it's small mistakes here, but those mistakes could be race defining.
You've got to figure out whether it's worth pulling out of the race line. Is that move going to pay off, or is it actually going to cost you more time? Don't forget that, Murgatroyd, McDonald are waiting to pick up any pieces that get to fall from the scraps of this championship table. Cook, though, has been out front for a couple of laps, and it's now Taylor O'Flanagan who moves into his rear view mirror, but Hugo Bush has been good and strong on the brakes so far as I've been watching those cars. Willis has also been patient in recovering those positions. Remember, he was down in 8th place not that long ago as Cook tries to throw the toe off. He looks to the cars coming to his inside. He knows then he's got to protect down the inside, and it's going to be Hugo Bush looking to see around the outside of Taylor, but everything is evens there. That was a little bit of car positioning just to act a bit defensive and deny the moves. Hugo Bush has got a run on Taylor O'Flanagan, though, as they come over the line this time, and Hoffman's got a run on Willis. That's not going to happen. They're going to go nose to tail. Murgatroyd's getting closer again, isn't he, as they all go side by side. That gives Murgatroyd the momentum on the wall.
Oh, and as they make the way on around there, around the outside of Willis, who's really exploring with track limits on the outside of turn 1, and hopefully he'll be allowed to get away with that this time around, given the fact he's really producing fantastic race. He had nowhere else to go as they come down. Oh my goodness, there's some bodywork flying off the car.
Rear wing, yeah.
Well, that's a little bit of a weight reduction there. That might just give him a little bit of a boost going into the second half of this race as they roar the way up the hill. Also further down, you may have seen in the rear of your picture moments ago, we have got a 4-way battle for P10 playing out with Mallet, Wood, Aya and Bianchi all together, and Chiddick trying to get involved in that. But we're going to stay with the leaders for now, as this is the championship defining battles all the way through to the end of the season. And well, Cook is now starting to break away a little bit, and it looks as though Taylor O'Flanagan might be starting just to run out of a bit of steam.
Yeah, it's hard to judge because he's lost a bit of that toe from Cook in front, who's got a tiny bit of a gap. He's still going to be feeling the effect of that, but Cook's doing a good job to actually act as interference. He's sharing his toe with the person who's overtaking, and therefore drew Willis through there that time through, and actually chose to pull Willis through over the top of O'Flanagan. He's kind of playing that tactical route, and because he's got that small comfort gap, he can afford to do that. Now Taylor O'Flanagan, after having lost that one position, is going to have to work hard to defend from Hugo Bush, who's side by side with Hoffman as they come into turn 1. Murgatroyd still firmly now attached to the rear of this battle, and he will be not shy about putting that forward, and they're all dragging Graham McDonald up to through the whole field he's fought, hasn't he, to come out to this battle as well. So real people driving it through. Hoffman round the outside. That doesn't often work down the Craner curves, and in fact I think Hugo Bush has got the momentum, so he will take that position back. But more action. 6 minutes left of this 310R race.
Oh indeed, and for Graham McDonald, a P16 start, P7 currently, and absolutely charging as the drivers make the way on around here. We haven't got long left in this race. We're heading towards the final quarter, but as we see all the field make the way through, there's plenty of battles further on down as well. And one battle we haven't had a chance to really talk about is the Price-Lancaster Mounsley battle. It's a 3-way fight for P17, which whilst it may not be championship defined at the front of the field, they're enjoying their own little scrap. As we look here at the number 66, that's Chiddick chasing after Mallet, and then just in front there they still have the battle of the 55 and 15 of Aya and Yates as they chase after one another. But we come back to the front of the field, which is the centre of attention. It takes centre stage in the spotlight, and there we can see the shuffle between our drivers, and the number 70 of Hoffman now down to P5 for a brief moment, but for how long is the question. As you can see, Bush has been demoted back to P4, and I think Bush at this point just simply playing the time game, albeit has Hoffman got the patience, and the answer is yes for now as he pulls out the toe, perhaps to bleed a bit of speed. And there's the number 19 of McDonald, the driver who said he wouldn't seem to be much higher up on the grid, and with that throttle repaired, he's made his way all the way up there, albeit I think he'd like to be part of this battle, Chris, but I think right now everyone's huffing and puffing so much, have they got any energy left? I'm surprised.
Remember that Cook decided to pull Willis through with that the toe on the last time. He might be regretting that now, because Willis has clearly got a fast car. Remember, he started on pole position in those tricky conditions, was a little bit worried that would he have the pace in the dry conditions, but it certainly looks like he has, as he's going around the outside of McLean's there to secure the win of the lead of this race, as we start with just under 5 minutes now of this race to go. The minutes are ticking down quickly, aren't they? Cook, though, still where he needs to be, still ahead of Taylor O'Flanagan, and Willis doing what he can do to try and see whether he can got anything left in this championship. Remember, we're not going to decide this championship until Sunday, and so we can just enjoy all the action, and we'll work out all the points this evening. But Harry Cook back to the lead then as they went down the straight. He did that overtake fairly easily. A little bit of a lock up there from Hoffman. He's lost a bit of time and momentum now. Hugo Bush has sort of broken a little bit clear. 4 minutes left to go. Murgatroyd now acting as interference on Hoffman. This is not what Hoffman wants late in the race. He's going to have to do a lot of work to try and recover back over that gap and get involved in this battle.
Oh, indeed. And for Hoffman, perhaps just running out a little bit of steam late on in this race now. But to be fair, if he can hold on to P5, it'll be a good set of points. We look a little bit further back here, and a lovely move being made there, but a 92 of Bianchi around the outside of what was, I do believe there, was that the number 66 of Chiddick?
No, I think this is the Mountsie Welch Lancaster battle. It is. So this is the number 12. Yeah. So Mountsie, they're having their, as you said, the battle between themselves all the way up and down this 310R grid. There is Chris Welch in the DPR Motorsport Machinery out the round, fighting the Dutch Barn Vodka of Lancaster there. But this is the lead battle, and obviously when the championship's coming down, we do like to focus as much as we can on this lead battle. Now McDonald's have got past of Hoffman as well, so Hoffman needs to stop this rot. McDonald doing a great job though to make a couple of places up on this lap, but out front it was Cook still with Willis and O'Flanagan. Here it is, Cook, Willis, O'Flanagan. Our top three have broken clear of Hugo Bush in that fourth place. Has he got enough time to come across the gap? It's going to depend whether these three go side by side. We've got side by side Hoffman around the outside of McDonald. He needed to do that move. It was desperate. He used every single last bit of the apex curve as well. Uncomfortable place to be riding your car, but had needed to do it. Cook's still in front though.
In as they make their way onto what is likely free from the checkered flag in terms of laps remaining. Will Cook ahead for now, but you can see Willis and O'Flanagan so close. And whilst we don't have access to onboard cameras, I can only imagine how close they'd be running if we could then. In fact, they probably could reach out and touch the rear of the car in front of them. But as they make their way down in towards what will be the Craner curves, will coming on down in towards the right hander. Absolutely incredible between them. And will the trio here just simply running together, but also a little bit of mutual cooperation here with Bush just hanging on. In fact, Bush has closed that gap up by a couple of attempts. We've got a bit of body work, I think, there.
Scraping his front wheel arch, yeah, just touching the wheel. Hopefully that's not going to cause him too many issues, or will depart the car fairly shortly. But you do get tyre rubs that can cause punctures, and that'll be on his mind. It'll certainly be slowing that car a little bit. When this is all so tight as this, any kind of bit of friction like that causes it will slow your car down. But it is Cook over Willis, over O'Flanagan. Bush has caught that gap up without any issues, hasn't he? So, and they are well clear now of Hoffman.
Oh, and as they make their way down in towards the S's, there will be 2 more laps to go, and Willis there swapping place with Cook, who takes a very close line to the inside of turn number 9, and well, the suspension absolutely been rocketed, but that shows you how well the suspension's been built as they now make their way onto the penultimate lap. And here comes Cook once again looking around the outside. Meanwhile, Flanagan thinks about the middle. It's enticing, but decides, you know what, perhaps I'll save it for the final lap. As they roll the way through, it's going to be a bold move here from O'Flanagan. Meanwhile, it will be Cook who gets back into the lead. Willis goes defensive there. Now into Hollywood they go, and well, you couldn't write the script for this, as meanwhile Bush is now right back into the fight. Squeeze there, coming on down for Hollywood into the Craner curves, and Bush, I think, was thinking, you know what, I might just be able to get around the outside, but in O'Flanagan saying, no thank you, you're not allowed. And as they make the way onwards towards what will be the Schwann's curve via Starkeys, will charge him through the double left complex here, and right now it's all gloves off between them. They're keeping it sensible though, they know exactly how wide their cars are, and Cook around the outside here, really making Willis having to work hard on those inside lines all the way up the rise they go. But here comes O'Flanagan again, and in this group, of course, despite the toe, O'Flanagan, I'd say, Chris, looking the most racy of the quartet here. But to be fair, I think Bush is the silent but deadly type right now. He's just waiting.
He will store that move. Yeah, definitely O'Flanagan did block him to the inside, and he will store that one away. Hugo Bush looking left, right. You've got to get on the brakes to get into the chicane, and it's Cook still out in front. O'Flanagan's done what he needed to do to get up into second place. You see how important that block move was. Willis is now trying to fight for that toe because he knows he's got a Hugo Bush right on his tail. Hugo Bush absolutely in his trail, trying to figure out where he's going to go, left or right. He chooses the inside. Has he got enough to get on the brakes late and move down? I think he may just going to go side by side. It's going to be uncomfortable for both of them. Willis gets pushed out onto that track, and he's not getting left back any room to get back on. He does squeeze it back on. Hugo Bush, like I said, has stored away that little bit of pain from the lap before and decided it's time for him to get his elbows out. So Flanagan chasing down Cook then as we come towards the last half of this. Hugo Bush looking down the inside of Old Hairpin. Can he make that stick? At the moment, everything is looking a little bit precarious, but Hugo Bush is into that third place. Tom Willis finds himself in fourth place, and a little bit further back you can see Hoffman is now a distant fighting with David Yates. I think that was Hugo Bush looking up the inside of all three of them. Can he make it stick? Willis out wide onto the greenery that time, and therefore is that going to lose a bit of momentum. But one straight to go in this 310R race.
And as they made the way through what is copy spanned, it looks so Harry Cook may just be allowed to run away with this now as Taylor Flanagan tries to hold on to P2 with Bush hot on his heels. And meanwhile, Willis seems to have fallen to P4 and he can't find his way back in. Now, will there be a last gasp dial on the brakes here? Well, here they come, and Cook holds on and through the right, through the left. A bit of bodywork shakes there for Flanagan's car. But as the checker flag waves, it is going to be Harry Cook who makes it a 5th win of the season ahead of Taylor Flanagan. With then it will be Bush in P3, Willis P4, 3 wide behind us. It's going to be Hoffman ahead of Yates and McDonald. Murgatroyd then takes P ahead of Mallet, and then it will be Io completes your top 10. Chiddick P11, Bianchi P12, and then it will be Denman who comes through P13 ahead of Vincent Lucas. We still got more fighting to go, to be fair, and this is the fight for P16. We're back the fight for P17. That's Lancaster holding Mounsey and Welch to the finish. We talked about them a little bit earlier as Price meanwhile takes P16 just up the road, and then we will have P20. The last of the lead lap finishers will be Stephen Metcalf, who right now a long way down, but will get there. And just a quick comment point on the fact that we did see between Hoffman, Yates and McDonald literally 200ths between 3 drivers in the fight for P5, and at the front of the field only 2.5 temps separated Cook through to Willis. You could not make this up, but that what a race.
Might well go back to a photo finish. We do have a camera on the photo line just to make sure and double check with the timing line. It's a little bit further back, and I think by the second line I think Yates had got through, but because the timing line is actually the first line that we see across the track, I think it was Hoffman that got it. But yeah, by 200ths of a second. But here are the provisional results then of that fantastic 310R race.
Oh, indeed, what a fantastic race. And in the end, Brugge, Harry Cook taking victory after 16 fast and furious laps by half a second over Taylor Flanagan. Hugo Bush P3 there, hold off Tom Willis in the end, who missed out on the podium but gets some good points, and Lars Hoffman, who fell away in the closing stages but did well to hold on to P5 ahead of David Yates and Graham McDonald. Special mention to McDonald, started P16 and did exactly what he wanted to do, get into that top 10 and stick it into the fight. P7 for him ahead of Andrew Murgatroyd, and then Duncan Mallet and Harry Iyer completing your top 10. Freddie Chiddick's finishing best rest P11 ahead of Philip Bianchi, and then Craig Denman and Alex Vincent completing the top 14 overall. Fastest lap going to Duncan Mallet, 1:17.25 on lap 15 on the penultimate lap. But what a race to wrap up our 6 races on this fine Saturday, the 19th of October. And well, the Caterham racing weekend at Donington Park, Chris, well and truly underway, no doubt about it. And that's just a sample of what's to come tomorrow with another 12 races on the schedule. I mean, I'm breathless just from 6. I don't know about you.
Yeah, so if you enjoyed all the action today, then again, just remember to tune in again tomorrow, because we've got it all to do again with 2 more races from the majority of our championships, Road Sport and the Caterham Autumn Trophy, all still to go. So absolutely fantastic action all the way through the course of tomorrow, which is going to kick off just before 9:30 on the live stream. So we'll make sure you see here, but like I promise you that all the action that we've seen today is going to be even more amplified. And I think we're ready to go down to Parc Ferme maybe to speak to Sam, and who'll have the drivers.
Well, that has got to be one of the closest Caterham races I think I've ever seen. These guys did an absolutely amazing job. They put on such a great display for us then, didn't they? And it looks very smooth and calm, when you watch them on track. But I know it's not like that in the car. But let's run through and have a quick word with Harry. Congratulations! Now, Harry, honestly, how you kept these guys behind you, I don't know. That was impressive work.
Thank you. Well, that was my target, keep everyone behind me and I don't know, get to the lead and do that. So I did it, and I've been, it's the last race of the day, so since qualifying I've just been waiting for this, sat there getting more and more stressed, but I'm really happy to win. It's what I needed to do as well after Brand, so really happy.
Yes, exactly. But, with the toe, because it's so strong around here, you really have to defend hard, don't you?
Yeah, you do, and you have to get, if you're going to hold the lead, you have to get your exits correct, and just really be watching where everyone else is, and then if someone's got a bit of a gap, you could let them pass. But if there's a big pack behind you, you've got to really fight for it, else you could end up losing about 4 positions.
Exactly. Well deserved. Congratulations. More championship points.
Thank you. Yeah.
And where's Taylor? He's gone to speak to his family. Let's go and speak to Taylor quickly. Taylor with his family. Congratulations. That looked such a battle. And I was just saying to Harry, how he kept everyone behind, I'll never know. It was impressive.
Yeah, he did very well, and very clever last lap as well with the lights. Caught me napping a little bit, but yeah, I'm very happy with that. I actually went on an old set of tyres so I could save some for the wet tomorrow. So yeah, I knew I'd be a little bit off, but yeah, very happy to take P2.
Definitely. Keeping the championship points up there.
Yeah. We'll just play forward tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's not going to be like this with this amazing sunset we've got right now. It's going to be very different.
No, we're forecast some heavy rain, so yeah, definitely tune in for that one. It's going to be tasty.
Tasty, good word. Well done, Taylor. And Hugo in third place. Hugo, well done. Well done to you, Tom.
Cheers,
that was, good racing out there. Fantastic. Well done. That was very hard work behind Harry there, wasn't it? A lot going on.
Yeah, I think usual 5 of us first to 5th. I thought Harry and me might break at one point, but we cooperated with each other for about half a lap and then didn't. And then Taylor was back on us and came through well. So, yeah, happy with 3rd, I think.
Yes, definitely. And that was, it looked, I was just saying to Harry, it looks really calm on track, but we know it's not like that in the cars. A lot more going on.
Calmish, yeah, a little bit of rubbing, but nothing untoward, I don't think.
But it was great racing, though. I mean, there's so many times where you were so close to each other.
Yeah. Story of the year, isn't it?
It really is, especially with you three.
Cool, thanks, Sam.
Yeah, well done.
Cheers.
Right, that is all the Caterham racing for today, but we've got loads more to come tomorrow. And here is Ian.
Sam, we're not here tomorrow.
Actually,
Mitch
you're
is here.
leaving us.
Well, Mitch is here tomorrow, so he's great. He's done a lot of work with me before. He's fantastic. I'm elsewhere. But you're coming back, of course. However, I might be making a little appearance during the lunch break tomorrow. So.
Oh, yes. We'll look forward to seeing that again.
We will. It's been a great day. Congratulations to you as well. Great racing out there. I did watch your race. I know I always support you, Sam. So it's brilliant to see. More coming up tomorrow, though, but we are going to hand back to Paul and Chris for the final word, aren't we?
Thank you for watching.
What a set of thoughts to wrap up our racing today, and it has been incredible Saturday of racing. But as we do bring the schedule up, this is what you've got to look forward to tomorrow, and this is just part of the schedule. Again, we've got 12 races, but we'll kick it all off at 9:30 with the continuation of what is the Bilstein Caterham Road Sport Championship. You didn't get to see them race today, but you'll get to see them have both of their races tomorrow to wrap up their championship campaign. And then at 10:05 we move into the Vertex Caterham 7 Championship UK. 20 to 11, we will have the Sim Motorsport Caterham Graduates Championship, and the Sigma 135 class will go out there for their first of their races over the course of this weekend. First of 2 races. We've also got the return of the Motorsport Caterham 7 310R Championship, and also we've got the Mission Motorsport Caterham 7 270R Championship. That's all interwoven into the schedule just in the morning. That's a teaser of what's to come, and there'll be plenty after lunchtime as well. But as we do wrap up here from a lovely day at Donington Park, it didn't look lovely at first, but the sun came out and absolutely smiled on the racing here, Chris. I mean, it's been an absolutely sensational day, and well, we're back tomorrow to be taking even more breathtaking action. What could be some very changeable conditions?
Yeah, we're looking like it's going to be pretty tricky conditions out there on track, but Caterhams don't tend to calm things down just because the weather goes a bit inclement. But yeah, absolutely fantastic racing today, and so glad for all the drivers out there. It's not easy to do and drive like they have done today, so well done to everyone out there. Thanks again to all the marshals and everyone that goes to putting these race weekends on and letting us do what we love to do. And I can't wait for more of the same. Get your lounge picnics ready, put yourself in front of your TV and don't leave.
Oh, 100%. And again, just to echo the sentiments of Chris, that big thank you to the Orange Army of Marshals that make everything happen like clockwork. And indeed, despite multiple delays, we still finished on time. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to sign off here from Donington Park. At least for today, we will be back tomorrow. Save the time, 9:15 in the morning, British summertime, that's BST, or Universal Coordinate Time +1. We will be back live here to get all the action underway. But until then, it's goodbye from myself in the commentary booth as Paul Walsh.
And bye-bye from me, Chris Hutchinson.
And we will see you tomorrow nice and early, ladies and gentlemen, for plenty more racing at the one and only heart of British motorsport that is Donington Park. Have a great night.